Welcome to Wrestling on the Rocks. I don't know about you guys, but I need a drink. You guys with me?
Hey-o.
Oh, God. Take 3, episode 1. God, I just keep hitting everything. This is not a good... I'm sitting too close to something. This is good. No, this is good. This is good. Welcome to the first show. Oh, I messed that up, too. This is good. No, we're going good. A half hour into episode 1. Take 5.
Thanks for bearing with us, everyone, with our audio issue.
Yeah, somehow during all of that, we got a follow while we were just literally putting out a bunch of nothing. Us coming in great frames. Yeah. We're giving the people what they want. And they want our mistakes.
They want nothing. What they want is a show that's off the air.
Side note, though, it looks fantastic now. So video looks great.
Yay.
All right. We did it. We did it. We're live. We're here. We're recording our podcast. If you're listening to us on podcast, give us that like, give us that subscribe, rate, follow, review. I don't know how all that stuff works, so just do all of it. Do all of it, and it's good for me and everybody else involved. It's good for you guys. It's good for your heart. You feel like you've done something good. For the less fortunate, that's us. If you're live in Twitch, welcome to the chat. Thank you for coming through. We will definitely respond to anybody who comes through the chat and has anything to say. Kuro, thanks for hanging out. Let's see. I'm at Ref Marsh. I'm Marsh, and I've got a couple special guests this week. I've got returning champion from... That's funny. Returning champion from last week, Dork Chop. Chop, you're back. Say hello.
What's up, everybody? How are we doing? Thank you for having me. It's your boy Tex, the Dork with the Chops. Twitch.tv/dork_chop. Just find me there. Yeah. Come hang out.
Absolutely. Fun place to hang out, his chat rooms. And he is not only our mod, but our Streamlabs guru. That's why we're back live. That's how we made it.
At least it works. At least it works.
At least it works. You know, I wouldn't feel so bad if every single day I didn't see a tweet from an AJ Styles or an Xavier Woods or a Ronda Rousey where they all say, technical difficulties, everything fell to shit. We'll be back as soon as I can be. If it weren't for that, I'd feel a lot worse about it.
Yep. That happens to
Our
us.
other special guest is my brother and yours for the low, low price. This is Aaron M. Marsh. Aaron, say what's up.
What's up? Thank you. Thank you. It's good to see all of you. I am specialized in nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, he's not bringing a ton to the show, so we're really hoping he picks it up.
Yeah. I'm just here to take.
Yeah. I like the idea of, like, every time we say something, you go, yeah, I'm going to use that later. Just, like, jotting stuff down. Like, what?
Yeah, I did bring a notebook so I can take all of your guys' opinions.
Yeah. Hey, that's how wrestling Twitter works.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly how it works. I should actually reference whose opinions I have when I say them.
Yeah, this opinion brought to you by.
Yeah, exactly.
Drop your sources.
Yeah, sponsored opinions. Definitely a thing we see in wrestling Twitter all the time. And we are going to probably talk about that a little bit, as is something I sent you guys before the show. Mm-hmm. Oh, so with all that calamity, let's start the show with a little what's in your glass. Today I got Johnny Walker Red Label looking for a sponsorship or a cease and desist. It's only our first show, so you can get on in the beginning.
Whichever one comes first.
Yeah, whichever one comes first. You can be the first one from the first show. It's up to you guys. It's really your call, Johnny Walker. Aaron, what's in your glass?
Just red wine. A mason jar of red wine. Actually, that's a lie. This is all just iced coffee. I'm going to have some Kona iced coffee this whole time. Just get wired.
Where'd you get the Kona coffee from?
Yeah, what kind of Kona?
It was at CVS for sale, and I was like, yes, please.
Okay. CVS had Kona coffee? What brand?
Right.
What's the name on it?
I don't know, but it was a really nice, like, white-looking bag with a little gold clip on it. It looked like...
That's the one.
Nice.
Yeah, that's the one we got.
Yeah, that's a legit one, dude. That's not even mess around Kona. That's what we used to get in Hawaii.
Yeah, that's a Hawaiian Islands.
When I drink this, like, when I go to the bathroom and...
Okay. Mm-hmm. Keep going. Expand.
It's like my whole bathroom smells like I'm brewing coffee again.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
Like, I know that... Yeah, it's one of those where you're like, oh, is my whole body just a backwards coffee maker?
Yeah, you're kind of a backwards coffee maker. That coffee redo. You know what I mean? It's like how in the morning you're like, man, I wish my house could always smell like this. and then later on it does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it. It's totally satisfying, and I know this is the kind of show that you run where you're like, talk about your functions.
Yeah, we need to know what's going on, man. We're here to put out what we think about wrestling, how much we like to
Mhm.
drink, and just get everything out. Literally,
Yeah.
physically get everything out. Not an
Perfect.
emotional
Thank you.
standpoint. Yeah. Dork Chop, what are you drinking?
Mostly water and just a little bit of Coca-Cola since I had a headache all day and I needed some caffeine. That's pretty much it. Nothing special.
It's good.
Dude, I've been craving cherry Coke.
Oh, I haven't had a cherry Coke since I was a kid, probably.
I know it doesn't sound good though.
It does sound good now that you said it.
Did you change the frame rate to 3,000? I don't know if you can do it over live. I wouldn't bother. They're getting what they
no.
get today.
The video's going down again.
Is it? It looks good to me.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're
I think it
frozen.
froze. Yeah, I just watched it freeze.
It's choppy. I don't know.
I
why
refreshed
at
it,
this
it's good.
point, but now it's fine. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Just
You
keep
know what?
going.
Yeah, I think we're just gonna keep
Oh.
going with it. What they get today. This is what we have for you. It's only our first episode. If you've been watching for the year and a half we've been doing this, you already know this is the show where every episode is our first show. Do you think I should put that on a T-shirt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put everything
Alright,
on a
we'll do that.
t-shirt. Don't you know anything about wrestling? That's how it works.
Put everything
good
should be
point.
on a T-shirt. Should be on a T-shirt.
This is not AEW.
Yeah, actually, we should make like a Wrestling on the Rocks AEW style logo that says everything should be on a T-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And on the back of it just says Wrestling Biz.
Also, this is not AEW. Should also be on a T-shirt.
Yeah. Yeah, not AEW.
AEW.
That's true. They do say
I
dub.
want to have you disparage my precious AEW.
Oh God, he's one of those.
The good goddamn name of AEW. Yeah. Door Chop is our resident shill. If you check out in the chat, you can actually command it and say, who's the shill? And you get Door Chop, total AEW shill.
I'm waiting
That's
for
why we have
that.
him on here.
I'm waiting for that
I
Tony
think-
Khan money to come in.
Oh, yeah. If you can finally get yourself to a Tony Khan meet and greet. I think we could get Tony on the show.
He goes on every other show, so I don't see why not.
He's on so many podcasts, and every time he just got out of bed, he's not prepared. He's just there to giggle. Like, I think we're right up his alley.
Yeah, sounds great, I think.
Yeah. He might probably have a drink with me. No one else is, for fuck's sake. Are you even drinking over there? Coffee? Christ.
Yeah.
All right. I'm drinking this show alone.
At least have a full one.
No, I'm saying
Chuck
producer.
showed up
she's
with
got
a
coffee.
barely a soda. Oh, she's got only a coffee over there too.
We don't
Yeah.
have that Jameson mix anymore. We ran out of that. Gotta get more of that.
The Cold Brew Jameson was a game changer for the show. Definitely
my
had a lot of
wrestling
late nights because of
fandom-
that.
I'm sorry, my wrestling fandom has not driven me to alcoholism quite yet. So
And you call
know
yourself
why
an
you-
AEW fan?
It's not on Twitter.
Yeah, for one, he's not on Twitter. For two, he's going to come on my fucking show and say this to my face.
I don't even know that you can be a wrestling fan without a Twitter. How do you tell the wrestlers they suck when you are enjoying their product?
I have another Twitter.
Oh, you
You
have a different Twitter.
I've got
Oh,
my
he's got-
I've got my dark match account.
Trying to not tell us.
Oh. Yeah. No, I mean, it's probably for the best. He doesn't want to see all my Bailey tweets. He knows. He already knows they're there.
I've got a ton of, I got like 15 burner Twitter accounts.
I'm waiting for
sure.
her to block you.
Oh, yeah.
Fair Oaks in the chat.
Yeah, Fair Oak showed up, so this is not the chat to flex I'm a black order jobber or I think it is the show for that.
That's the perfect
like I said,
place for that, buddy.
100%. I mean, that's why we even wanted Clump on here to begin with, was that we want to have people who passionately love the things that maybe we don't get, so they can, I mean, it, in a sense, we always made the joke of it, of defend this shit, we would say, but the reality is if there's some part of it that we're not enjoying, I want to know what about it you're enjoying, because maybe then I can get on board with enjoying it and just like more wrestling, you know what I mean? I think the conversation ought to go that way. Let's see. I think that's the stuff for the top. Yeah, that's, I mean, we get into the news now that we got the
Yeah.
drinks out of the way.
Boom.
Yeah, anything else you guys want to do? Or, Aaron, plug what you plug at the top, too.
Okay, I got a podcast called Putting Up with Aaron Michael Marsh. Christopher has an episode. Marsh has an episode. I'm not allowed to say your name, am I?
Son
We can
of a
bleep that out in
bitch.
post.
What the
Marsh has an
Son of
episode
a
on my
bitch.
podcast.
I know, but it'd be funny if they searched Marsh on his episode list trying to find me.
They're like, I wonder if it's Marie.
Yeah, which Marsh could it be?
Yeah.
First off, every episode would show up because your name's in every episode. And
That's also
secondly, yeah, if they tried to reduce it by guest Marsh, they're also going to find a number of those as well. So
Which I also suggest listening to all of them to figure out which one is Marsh Ref. You know, like just listen to all of them, figure it out. And by all of them, I mean all 45 episodes. Listen to every 45 episodes to find the one with
it's a
you.
diamond in the rough. It is a diamond in the rough. You got to look for it. You got to dig
You know,
for
you
it.
should really look to your brother for inspiration since he made it to episode 45 and we're still on episode 1 here.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good point. We'll have to talk offline some point about that. How you got past episode 1. We have not figured out episode 2. When we get there, we're gonna throw a fucking party. Let's see. Let's get into the news right at the top. Tears in our beers. Passing of Kamala. Any great Kamala stories you guys have about growing up, watching him, being afraid of him, toys of him, anything?
I do like that he is the rarest Hasbro of that series.
Ooh, that's an interesting little tidbit.
Yeah, with the moon
That he
belly.
with the moon belly. It's exactly it. The moon belly was an error, so there was a good handful of them actually released, and it became like the one that was valued, I think, at like $500 or $1,000. Other fun fact about that toy: it's worth more if Kamala didn't sign it, because it's so easy to get his signature at the time. He signed the majority of them that were out there, so to have one that was unsigned made it worth more.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm. That should be something that we only do for Virgil, not for Kamala. But I understand. I understand as a toy person. Yeah, I know that he couldn't make it to Roddy Piper's funeral because it was up a hill,
Mm.
and he had already lost his legs by that time.
So when he's like, "Where is it?" and they like pointed upwards, and he's like, "Well, shit."
Yeah, and somebody made fun of that at the thing, and I guess DDP was like, "Jesus, lay off Kamala right now."
Yeah, but Kamala was at the bottom of the hill, and he's just like, "Mrrr." Up there. Pharaoh, thank you so much for the bits. Bits on bits on bits. We got a little bits tip jar. Hopefully, we got a little graphic that went by. I think my favorite Kamala story I heard on, I want to say it was Jerry Lawler's podcast. He had Jimmy Hart on, and Jimmy Hart talked about actually the creation of Kamala. More or less, whoever they had to main event with Jerry Lawler didn't show, and they went out to see who was trying to get in and saw this big dude and said, "Hey, have you trained wrestling ever?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, once." And they're like, "Perfect, come on in." And they took him in the back. Jerry Lawler painted him up, said, "You're a cannibal from some crazy island, so now you can't talk, so you don't have to worry about promos." He goes, because you're a cannibal and you're an islander, you don't know how to wrestle, so now you can slap me instead of punch. And basically created this entire gimmick out of the idea of he was an untrained wrestler about to come in a main event spot.
That's brilliant. That's absolutely
that's actually
brilliant.
amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible. Jerry Lawler was absolutely brilliant. And I think the creation of Kamala is just a sign of that. And I think Kamala did an awesome job with it. Definitely something we all remember. Definitely a notable character for sure.
Yeah, he not in the Hall of Fame?
I'm pretty sure he's in the Hall of Fame. I thought I saw a Hall of Fame figure.
Good.
And he's in the Hall of Fame toy line. If he's not in the actual Hall of Fame, I'll be kind of upset by that.
If he's not, he should be.
Yes, if he's not, he definitely should be. So cheers to Kamala, unless Chop, you had a story you want to tell about Kamala?
No, not really. He was a little bit before my time, but he still is one of the more recognizable faces in all of wrestling. I mean, you see him and you know exactly who he is. So, I mean, it's definitely a loss to the business, and luckily he lived a lot longer than a lot of people in his peer group. So
That's true
good on him
too.
for
I
that.
did meet a wrestling fan who was wearing a Kamala t-shirt, but it wasn't like a shirt that said Kamala. It was a brown t-shirt that had like 2 stars and a moon.
That's hilarious. They should still make those.
I
It was
kind of like that
amazing.
too. Yeah.
I tweeted at him when Kamala died, and I was like, man, I think of you every time I think of Kamala because of that shirt. And he goes, I can't believe you remember that shirt. But apparently it was a shirt that was for sale when Kamala was trying to come up with money for his leg amputations. So it was like a GoFundMe shirt. But it was
That's great.
hysterical. I loved it. I pointed at it, and I was like, man, I love that Kamala shirt. And he goes, everyone else has asked me what the hell this is. I was like, then what are they doing at a Jake the Snake signing? Like,
That's true.
you
That's
guys-
even the right era.
yeah, exactly. How did you get to a Jake the Snake signing and not know Kamala just by the look of the shirt? So cheers to Kamala.
Cheers.
Let's see. I only had a couple things in the news today, so we're going to get through them pretty quick. The other thing I had, which will probably be pretty short topic as well, the NWA is returning. They've announced they'll be back. They're collaborating with United Wrestling Network on Fight TV for what will be a weekly pay-per-view. In an interview about it, Nick Aldis said it was going to be low cost and that it would be worth it based off of the matchups that they're going to be having. That's as much as we know about price point. But what do you guys think about the NWA coming back, having started on YouTube to now a pay-for pay-per-view weekly show?
I don't like that. I understand it because they probably can't get any audience in, so they're not going to have anything there. But it's such, I don't know, something about the way NWA is on YouTube. It feels so pure. It feels like it really is for the love of the art, and it's for people who really love the art. Because I know you like AEW and stuff, but it does feel like a television show. And WWE specifically feels more like a television show than a wrestling show. And NWA feels like a wrestling show that happened to get on and happened to get great wrestlers.
Yeah, and I feel like that watching NWA Power was, especially after at that point we had seen several months of AEW, and not a knock on AEW to say that AEW is not dramatically different in presentation than WWE is at all. Like, it really is an alternative only in the sense that it just seems to be like a different type of humor but the same presentation, where watching NWA felt like this is a different thing. And it did feel really refreshing and a different style altogether. Dorkchop, did you ever get to watch NWA Power?
Yeah, I was just about to say 100% agree with what you just said there, especially the difference between AEW and NWA.
Yeah.
Because, the whole studio atmosphere and everything, I didn't grow up in that era, so I didn't really have any experience with the studio shows back in the day. So it was pretty cool to see it. And I wish it was still free on YouTube, but I definitely understand that, with everything the way it's going in now, you can't sell tickets or do anything like that. So, I mean, it is what it is. You got to make some money somehow to pay those people, and you're not going to make that money on YouTube. Honestly, I think it'd be better off just doing a live show on Twitch and making money that way. But they could probably get some, at least some sponsorship being on YouTube too.
I think so too. Also, Impact for a while was strictly on Twitch, and I think they did okay. They've always said that being on YouTube wasn't the end goal because there wasn't much money to be made there. But I do think this is a little weird since they are partnering. It's not strictly NWA though, so you're going to see talents from the UWN. I'm not familiar with their roster at this time, but I'm excited to see what they do with it. But at the same time, they said there's going to be the NWA title is going to be one of the main titles. They're only paying Nick Aldis. No one else from that show is on their contracted to them the way that Nick Aldis is. Everyone else is left to try and figure out how to get paid, which is exactly one of the reasons why Starks and Eddie Kingston went to AEW as soon as the offer was made. There wasn't really another option for them,
NWA is not going to be able to find a way around that, though. They're not going to be able to find a way to not get their talent to leave. There's just two other big things that can actually pay complete, exclusive, livable wages. Sorry to cut you off.
And I mean, if we're being completely real about the whole thing, Billy Corgan's not Tony Khan. I mean, he doesn't have that kind of money to sustain it just on its own. I really don't see that working all too well. I don't know if NWA really has the overall support base to fund pay-per-views every week.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can really see them surviving too much longer without actually getting some sort of television deal, even if it's for just a weekly hour-long show somewhere.
Yeah, I don't think I know the answer for how they should make money at all. This seems like to be what they're going with, but I agree. I can't think of a price point that I would think of as, okay, I'll pay every week that amount. Like, if they're putting on a 90-minute pay-per-view show with a bunch of talent, can we really expect it to be less than $10 a week? Could it be? I don't know. Real quick.
that's per episode. Could you imagine paying
Exactly.
$10 per Raw?
Yeah, I know. That's what we were saying is we don't have a price point. So when I say $10,
Yeah.
I made it up. I don't know what it's
I
going
mean, it
to
might be
but
$3.
Yeah, if
But even
it's
then,
$3,
I don't want to pay $3 a week to watch NWA, and I don't think there's that many people out there that will either, except for the really, really hardcore NWA fans. And how many of those are out there?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think there's as many as they might even believe they have, just because I don't think the Patreon. If there was that many of them, then the Patreon would be enough right now, but it's not.
Yeah.
You know, I went to one of their tapings at for Hard Times, and it was pretty packed for the pay-per-view, pretty much full for the second day for the actual TV tapings, but by the third day TV taping, it was kind of half capacity. And I know one of the things that they were saying, because I talked to somebody else who is friends with them, Grim Reaper, who's in the chat, saying what's up from the Not Sam Discord. He knows Front Row also went there and knows people who were there and people who run it, and said that they sold a lot of tickets and they had more no-shows than they expected. But I think that's also an indication of a problem, right?
Yeah.
Why would you buy a 3-day pass or tickets for 2 days and not show up to all of them? You know what I mean?
Yeah, because they burnt out.
Yeah. That's my concern is I don't know what price point is going to be the price point where I say, yeah, I'll pay every week to watch an hour and a half of this. I just don't know what it's going to be, and I want the best for him. I don't know if weekly pay-per-views, how long that can last for.
Yeah, I don't either. I just don't see that model really holding water for very long.
I was
I mean,
really
maybe
hoping
just enough to prop up the company for a little while until they can get some sort of other funding. But yeah, I don't think that's any sort of viable way to stay alive.
Realistically,
thing
third. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I think the other thing that confuses me is that they're not putting on shows, so they're not renting out the production studio. They're not paying for anybody but Aldis. Aldis, very brazenly, went on a podcast to say that he makes the company tens of thousands of dollars every month, so he's made his value. So, okay, if you're making all of that much for the company and you've paid for yourself already, I don't see where their other cost is coming in. They're not paying for the other talent. They're not paying for a studio that they need to fill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, why does it have to go to this to survive? I think also a lot of it is just they're running out of time before people just won't come back.
Yep.
I think people are forgiving in this time. If it takes them another year before they have another live show and they make a big deal out of it, and they do pay whoever's fallen from the wayside on AEW and WWE to show up and wrestle at it, people will pay attention.
Oh, yeah, for
I
sure.
agree with that too. If they come back after they could actually come back and make a big splash, that would make a lot more sense than trying to use this week-to-week pay-per-view
Yeah,
model.
no, this feels like a model that's going to die way more than like an all-in, like we're now here, motherfucker.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, am I allowed to swear?
Yeah. No, I've been swearing a bunch.
Hell yeah!
Oh, thank God. Oof. Okay, I got scared.
Yeah. No, we're not making that YouTube money. We can swear all we want. Fuck 'em. Let's see. That's about all I really had to say about that. Is that I'm excited that they're back. I'm excited for new content. I don't know if I'm going to be buying every episode. It feels like I might buy a couple episodes if I heard a thing happens.
But I'm not gonna watch it. I know I won't watch it. I've already made the decision I'm not gonna watch it. So it's like that excitement lasted half a sentence.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I think that I think that I will watch something that they do moving forward. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to get every episode, I don't think. But if I saw that after the fact, people are like, "Oh, this happened on that episode." Okay, that's worth a couple bucks to watch that setup. You know what I mean? But I don't know if that's where you want to be as a company. People picking and choosing which episodes they're going to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. My initial thought was, "Oh, cool. How late after the pay-per-views are the bootlegs gonna drop?"
Yeah, at that point, I was hoping that they would either do subscription, like season subscription, like, hey, buy this one package deal and get all the episodes, or they would have free weekly and one pay-per-view a month and just kind of feed that way. It feels a little bit TNA-ish. Remember they were once a month, $10 a month was their whole thing for a while? Except
And
this
how did
is
that do
more.
'em?
Yeah. Got them off the ground. So good luck to NWA. We're big fans, and we really want to see more, but I don't know how much I'm willing to pay for it.
Also, sorry.
Yeah, go
Real
ahead.
quick, producer. Also, who is left? I mean, we got to think about how much of the talent has moved on to other companies, and other talent, creating their own companies. So, I don't really know what I'm gonna get. Is the other thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of talent that has moved on and gone other places. I know Thunder Rosa's starting her own company, but I don't think that her being NWA champion is lost in that. I think that she still has a contract with them that in that regard. But I think that, I mean, they also had a huge contract with ROH. Half of the people we were seeing at the time that they went off the air was ROH staff. And they're starting to ramp back up. I don't know if they're going to be able to bring over ROH talent if they're getting regular work, if they'll be able to afford it.
And there's also Marty. Like, there's other.
And yeah, Marty Scroll is kind of under the dirt right now, just seeing what happens with him. And that was their major storyline. It is hard to say where do they go and who do we see. Are you guys there? Did I lose you?
No, I'm listening. I didn't have anything to add to that, but because it's the same thing. You're like, yeah, I can think of a couple guys who are unemployed, but I feel like they're better off going to New Japan than NWA.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, at this point, I don't know if anybody's really doing well off being an NWA other than Nick Aldis. So
Yeah. I really want someone to pick up Eli Drake and just give him just free TV time. Just give it to him.
I feel like he's already peaked there too, though.
I feel that, yeah, I don't know how much more he can do in NWA that he would be able to do somewhere else. I think that he's definitely done a lot.
I want to see him at one of the big two.
I do. He was in NXT, though. And
Yeah,
it didn't work.
no, I know. Yeah, but that doesn't mean he can't come back.
I know, but his whole thing was with Bill DeMott, right? And he's gone. So maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe so. The only other thing that I had to say about it, or about the news, is Fozzy has ramped up touring again. How exciting. Fozzy's on tour, packing houses with bikers. Literally elbow to elbow.
Jesus.
What do you guys think?
Makes me sick to my stomach, dude. Drives me fucking crazy. I can't believe the balls on these idiots. And they're smaller states, so they don't get a lot of news, but I actually looked up some of the statistics. And North and South Dakota are not doing well in this whole crisis. Their states aren't very high budgeted. They don't do a lot of testing. It's just not really a great place for them to be doing these shows right now.
Were they performing the day after, the day before, or on the same day as Smash Mouth? Were they opening for Smash Mouth? Is that what happened?
I saw that too, and I wondered. I think they were performing somewhere the day before.
Okay, yeah,
But
because I
I
saw it
could
was
be wrong.
Sturgis. It's the same weekend. It's for the same event. It's for that
I didn't realize.
the biker thing, the Harley gathering
I hope
that I
Fozzy
thought
opened
was
for Smash Mouth.
WCW Hog Wild.
what it sounds like. It's bad. It's all around bad. And it's like, how can they go ahead and do something so dangerous? And then later on in the week, he flies in and does his AEW segment. You're like, no, if you got contaminated and then you contaminated the entire company, you deserve whatever you have coming to you.
Yeah, I mean, dude, have some respect for those people that you work with too. I mean, if you want to go out on tour and do the Fozzy thing for whatever
That's what I'm saying.
fucking
He's
reason,
not quarantined at
take
all,
some
did
time
he?
off and do the Fozzy thing for a while.
And
But
from a
don't come
company
back
that's
and do
referring to
Dynamite on
WWE as a
Wednesday.
sloppy shop.
Yeah,
Like-
like get the fuck out of here, man. I'm sick of Jericho's bullshit. Anyway, anything that he does outside of wrestling drives me fucking crazy. A lot of stuff he does in wrestling drives me crazy too, but not quite as much. And
You saw him singing that song, right? I sent you that tweet to show how good of a singer he was.
Oh yeah,
What'd you think?
his lovely voice. I mean, you can't even say anything else about it.
I mean, how many albums deep is he? I mean, like, we can't. Fozzie's got their audience.
Can you
Yeah,
imagine?
but he sounds
though,
different now.
Can you imagine contracting COVID because you went to go see fucking Fozzy?
I mean,
Ugh.
imagine somebody's going to have that as a reality, a
I
very,
know.
very real reality. They're like, well, you got to understand, I wasn't there for Fozzy. I was there for Smash Mouth. They
Oh,
were
that's
just the
true.
opening
Yeah,
band.
yeah, that's right. They're just opening
Yeah,
for
good
Smash
point.
Mouth.
Can you imagine? It's like, well, at least she died seeing her favorite band, Fozzy.
It's not even that.
real-
It's like at least she died seeing her 5th favorite wrestler from her 2nd favorite wrestling company do his side project.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you're looking at what is like the Fozzy audience, it's people that want to see a wrestler. And I'm not saying that Jericho is not a great wrestler. I put him top 5, which is a great compliment. You know,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, because I wouldn't, but I hear you.
yeah, but I'm saying who is the Fozzy audience? They'd be like, oh, he is one of my favorites. You know, like, and I get that he could be someone's favorites. I have yet to meet someone that's their favorite, absolute. But they're just there to see the wrestler sing the songs.
They were fun like years ago before he joined the company. He had a really good show that came through town.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
I
came through
bet.
town and we got to see him. And I do remember specifically thinking, wow, he sounds really good. Like, this is all has been his focus.
Yep.
But listening to the stuff he's doing now, he's doing Jericho promos with a sing-song voice. It's really weird. Like, he sounds like he does on commentary. You're like, that's what?
Yeah, I mean,
He's become
Axl
kind of
Rose tore his voice up doing the same noises too. And
yeah,
yeah,
he's got
that's-
something to show for it.
he does. He does because he climbed the whole mountain with it. But yeah, I feel like your whole gimmick as a wrestler is to try to become a cartooned version of yourself.
I don't think Brett did that, man. But maybe he just got hurt too soon before he could.
Yeah, he became the bitter version of the cartoon version of himself. But either way, there's no way to look at the Fozzy thing and to not just think it's just purely ignorance.
It's ridiculous.
It's ignorance and arrogance all rolled into one. He's got the Joe Rogan syndrome where he is really open to every idea, but he's not educated enough to think critically about them. And so he'll just talk about whatever is on his mind without actually thinking about it.
He's not in a position to do that.
Yeah, and then he's been posting all stuff about how this is not a real crisis and this and that for, months since February. So,
Yeah, he's really doubling down on this.
fuck him.
Because it's like that's the thing. It's like he's putting all of his bandmates in a dangerous territory. Everybody in AEW. If anyone in AEW takes this seriously, they have a right to be like, "Oh no, I'm going to stay home if you're going to keep bringing Jericho on TV." Look what
Yeah,
he's doing on
absolutely.
his days off.
And Cody
Yeah, I hope
kind of threw away some criticism of it on Twitter that somebody gave by saying, "Oh, I'm sure he was in this production bubble and this and that, blah blah blah." But I mean, he's on stage in front of however many thousand slobbering, spitting biker dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, disgusting. I wouldn't
not
want to be
camels.
around him.
Well,
well,
said that's
you
like
know,
they all
but-
like camels.
They're drunk rock and roll fans. I'm sure that there's bodily fluids flying around. That's all I'm saying.
I hope so. I'm gonna be honest. It's not a good rock concert if there's not.
That's what I'm saying too. But it's a
The
Fozzy
other
show, so
thing-
there's no chance of it being a good rock concert. I don't think.
When you think of it, yeah, that's the only way it's gonna be good is if there's fluids. The other thing is when you think about it, Moxley stayed home for weeks because his wife had contracted it.
I was just about to bring that up too.
Mhm.
Moxley's got to be like, "What the fuck is that?"
Yeah, and Jake stayed home. He got quarantined? At DDP's, he got quarantined just because of I think the same thing. It was like
Wait, now, do you think that's why Renee tweeted, "I quit this week"
how long ago was it?
I didn't know what that
2 days ago?
2 days ago.
Yeah, I didn't understand.
I think she just says this week sucks. I think is what that means.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or if it's
'Cause-
just like I just recovered and now this person who works with my husband is running around doing these shows.
Oh, that'd be good.
Mhm.
That's spicy.
It's a good
Uh,
angle
you-
for a storyline.
I mean, it lines up time wise. I just didn't see the tweet, so
Yeah, it's true. Well, I mean, it doesn't look like you tweet at all, Chop. I do want to throw this out there because forever my perfect AEW angle involves Jim Cornette. And Jericho gets on Twitter and says, "I'm officially banning the Jim Cornette from watching any and all future episodes of AEW Dynamite and AEW Dark. He is under AEW suspension until further notice. Thank you. #DemoGod." This is in response to the last several weeks of Jim Cornette saying on his show that Jericho's become a joke of himself. He says that he doesn't understand why Jericho's doing this because he knows he doesn't need the money. And that Jericho at this point is doing bad shtick and is no longer doing anything at the level of which he's used to seeing Jericho perform. I think that's a fair criticism, but I'm biased. Jim Cornette did respond to that, and this is my favorite part because of the whole thing we were just talking about. He goes, Chris, I appreciate your consideration of my sanity, but I do it as a service to the wrestling fans. They do need some measure of comfort in these cosplay times we're in. But don't worry, I never watch Dark. P.S. Careful of the drooling bikers. Hashtag little bit of the virus. Hashtag COVID God.
Brilliant.
Like,
I love Cornette so much.
Little bit of the virus is a clutch hashtag. That's fantastic.
Oh my God. As soon as I saw it, I was all like, oh no.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah, we should.
That's gonna
Put a little bit of the virus on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
definitely gonna be the next.
Not the
Jericho
words. I mean,
hashtag.
actually, a little bit of the virus.
Yeah, just a swab of it.
Just casually creating bioweapons.
Yeah. I just want to throw that there because I thought that was a pretty good thing too. What did you guys think of Meltzer's take on the whole thing? I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's a whole lot of stuttering and beating around the bush and trying to figure out how to say what you don't want to say.
Yeah, he really tried to take it easy on.
I know he's trying to
Jericho with
protect
that.
somebody who's so guilty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even as a complete AEW shill, I'm sick of this garbage. And Jericho needs to either be suspended or quarantined for a few weeks until he, passes all the tests and does all the same things that Moxley
He should
went
be
through.
suspended for the quarantine. Like, hey, listen, you're
Yeah,
not getting
exactly.
paid until you do your thing, come back with your negative test, and quit the touring.
Or
No.
if he wants to go on tour and he wants to do the Fozzy thing, then go do Fozzy for a little bit, then come back and quarantine and then do the testing. Da-da-da.
That's fair. It's
That's
still
true.
stupid, but it's fair.
The whole Brock Lesnar thing with UFC. Absolutely. Like, hey, if you want to come back and fight, you're going to have to take this year-long suspension for failing that one test. But until then, so he's like, well, I'm not going to come back. I'm like, all right, well, whenever you do come back, you're going to be taking that suspension. So just whenever you're ready. Same kind of concept. Like, yeah, whenever you come back, you're going to be taking this quarantine. So, whenever, do whatever you're going to do, I guess.
Yeah. Drives me crazy.
Yeah,
I mean,
think it's
and
grossly irresponsible, and I think that it's a really bad look because he is such a huge representative of that company. He's the most visual of that company, and the company has been very vocal. Meltzer's been very vocal about their distaste and their belief in their superiority in this COVID battle and all the wrestling shows that happen around it. And I thought, that's not going to help them.
No, they tried to make him the Hogan of their thing.
Yeah.
Hogan couldn't have done that. He can't miss a practice or a TV show. And what Jericho did is he made it so potentially he's out for a couple weeks or a month if they choose this wisely. I don't know if this week was taped before the concert or not. I don't know any of that timeline stuff. I don't know if they pre-taped next week because there's no reason not to be pre-taping a month in advance, realistically.
Yeah.
But
I think they let some fans in at this point. Real quick in the chat, Lou Kazoo came through saying woo. There's a whole lot of ooh, and I'm into it. Thank you for coming through. And Miss Fabtina brings up a good point. Jericho's playing Jericho on stage out there, but also as far as timeline goes, Kamala died from COVID. He obviously had poor health in general, but he did contract COVID and then passed due to complications of that virus. So even timeline-wise of this showing up is not a good time when you're like, oh, one of these legends just passed from COVID, and he's all like, but COVID, it's not real. And you're like, well,
exactly
putting
that
up
moment of
graphics
silence
because it is. Yeah.
Yeah. No shit. I personally know 3 people that are in the fucking ground because of this.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I'm so sick of hearing that bullshit.
Yeah.
And I'm done with it. I'm done with Jericho's antics outside of the wrestling ring. And I just
Let me ask you
am
this, John.
detaching myself completely from it.
How is this going to make you feel about Jericho in the future on the other side of, like, in a year from now, 2 years from now, if things go a little bit closer back to normal? Can you look at Jericho the same now?
I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see when we get there. I don't really look at Jericho the same currently. I mean, when I watched Dynamite this last week and I was taking my notes and everything, I didn't know about the whole Fozzy thing. I only found that out in the last couple of days. So my notes reflect my love of Jericho at that time. But as of this moment, I'm fucking pissed. And I want him to not be on television for the next few weeks while he sits his ass at home and records his stupid little podcast.
Okay, since I didn't like that answer, I'm gonna mute you. Sorry about that.
Yeah, he's got to mute him. It's funny. Dorkchop's the mod of our chat box, but Aaron's the mod of the chat of the video chat. So everyone's got their own point of power. So, Chop's just all like, "You're blocked from the chat room."
He actually muted me. I had a request to be unmuted.
I granted the request. I think that's polite. Let's see. Let's get into the shows then. I don't have anything else news wise. Oh wait, Aaron, you had something news wise you wanted to bring up.
Yeah, Marty Jannetty. He on Facebook got up and told a little story. No one asked for the story about how when he was a young man working at a bowling alley, someone upset him and he took him to the back, and that man disappeared and was never seen of again.
The first of many, apparently.
The first of many. Yes, so he kind of admitted to murder.
Serial
But didn't
murder,
say
potentially.
any names. And then that's one paragraph. The second paragraph is about how he's in love with a Jamaican woman, and but it didn't work out because of her Jamaican temper.
There was also another post from a couple of days before or around the same time where he said something about his daughter wanting to be with him or something like that too. Just real weird stuff, man. Like the last few days of what he was saying before the murder stuff was also just way out
I've been
there.
friends with Marty Jannetty on and off Facebook for about 4 years now, because a friend of mine, we've never communicated or talked or met or any of that. Just a friend of mine that was a wrestling fan was like, "Hey, you got a friend Marty Jannetty on Facebook?" And you're like, "Why?" And he showed me just a bunch of his statuses are completely wild. They're totally crazy. He lives in a trailer park and he goes through all of the gossip of everybody. It seems like he tries to just F everyone in the trailer park, and whatever drama happens, so be it. You know, like, and he'll just complain about it. And it is quite the tale. It is like what we all got out of Tiger King, you will get out of Marty Jannetty's Facebook.
Oh my God.
No,
I was gonna
exactly.
say he's like a long-term Tiger King. Like we thought Tiger King was good for a few hours, for a week or two. But long-term Marty Jannetty.
Yeah, but if you want a slow drip, you know, go ahead.
He's actual just Facebook taking human form.
Yeah, but also the other thing is he also just spouts complete bullshit sometimes. And so you also have to be like, well, who knows if this person he murdered even existed.
Yeah, that's what's weird about this, because they actually are opening an investigation into it, because you kind of have to. It's a pretty serious thing.
And he doesn't seem worried about it at all. Like he's like, got his feet kicked up in his trailer, like, go
Real
ahead.
Weird, man.
Tell me how long you investigate this.
Like, I don't know if it's a cry for help or if it's just like mental problems or CTE or
the last 10 years of his life are a call for help.
I mean,
help from what? It sounds like he's winning.
Yeah, he's winning fights in the back of a bowling alley.
Yeah, he won that fight. No one ever caught him. Now he's with a Jamaican chick. Like, boom, he's doing it.
Living the dream.
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels got his boyhood dream. Marty Jannetty's boyhood dream was to just be the ruler of a trailer park.
Is Marty just trying to find his smile?
Yeah, he's just trying to find a smile like everybody else, man. And you know what? I think he figured it out. I think the moral of the story, stay out of his way. The guy knows how to be happy on his own.
The moral of the story is 100% stay out of his way. That is true. There you go. There's not too much about this because there's not anything known if this is just a man spouting nonsense or if any of this is factual.
Yeah, and I heard a few things that were he contradicted himself in a couple lines there that raised a lot of doubt kind of right away. But, I mean, it's riddled with red flags and then riddled with doubt. It just makes for a good story and one of the best Facebook posts of the year. Not a lot of people tweet about Facebook posts. This one they were tweeting about, and I think that's good for wrestling.
Yeah, it's definitely an all-time wrestling Facebook post.
Yeah.
As a fan of the RAWcks, I'm just happy anytime they get brought up in any way. Like
just keep the conversation going. That's how I feel.
You got to keep your autograph worth $15 somehow.
Yeah. Let's see. Well, let's get into the shows. I don't know. Was there any news that you needed, Dorkchop?
No, I don't think so. I was just going to bring up Marty as well. Everything else that seems like we covered. There wasn't a whole lot of news this week, I don't think.
You guys are terrible.
Hey, it was interesting.
As soon as Aaron messaged me, he's like, "Oh, we should talk about Marty Jannetty." I was like, "Why?" And I like that you're all like, "Yeah, I also really wanted to talk about it." Like,
I just couldn't remember if we had covered it last week or not, or if it happened
because he's greasy.
Afterward.
It's a fun, greasy story.
Oh, it's good. That's good. Let's get into the stuff. So, Aaron, you never watch AEW, is that correct?
This is actually my first full episode of AEW ever.
Oh wow.
I've watched segments.
Yeah.
I've definitely watched some highlights. I would say I probably watch 1 or 2 matches a week. So I'm
That's
not
fair.
unfamiliar with the product, but I have never actually sat down beginning to end, watched the whole show until now.
Fantastic.
That's fair.
And
That's basically where I'm at with WWE now. I just watch a couple of matches a week, whatever stands out.
yeah. And so I think that's what's going to make this conversation pretty interesting is we're going to get views of not seeing it, views of always seeing it, and the like.
Dude, there's like
so,
13 hours of wrestling on every week. It's a lot.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
hard to
you can
keep up
definitely
with all of it.
handpick. You can definitely curate what you want. So for me, as far as the top 5 of the week concept and bottom 3 of the week, Aaron, it being your first full episode of AEW, did you have a moment watching that you thought this segment is one of the best segments of the week across all wrestling shows?
I'm looking at my notes to see if I have. I did.
Cool.
I had a couple things. I'll tell you this about the AEW. I'm going to call it the AEW like an old man.
Yeah.
I liked it way more than I thought I was going to.
Cool.
I actually, the first thing that really surprised me was, the 12-man tag match is a great way to kick off a show. But to watch a clean win is something WWE just doesn't do very often, and something AEW is not afraid to do. And I was thrilled by that. Be like, oh, yes, wins and losses, instead of all of this gray area stuff just to move the story along was something that I listed as a thing. I actually listed like 6 things in my top 5. The other thing I was really, really happy with was Matt Hardy. Like, I've loved Matt Hardy for many years, and to watch him kind of be like, cut the gimmick and then go with like this, like, I'm an old man mentor sort of thing. It seemed like, at first I was like, this is very obvious and on the nose. And then I was like, no, but why isn't this a storyline? This could have been a storyline for the last 3 years at any given point, and I am interested. And I am interested to watch him be out there with some younger people trying to teach them like how to be dangerous safely. You know, like as he's the
And that
master
went well.
of. I think I mean, yeah, I know he got beat up. Oh, but also to go with that angle and to try to like live that through, I thought was a good choice. So those are my top 5 from, but I don't want to jump around too much around this episode. But those were the first 2 things I noticed right away.
Can I interject just one little thing on that?
Yeah, please.
Just because of what you said about Matt Hardy, I'm looking at my notes here, and in my Matt Hardy section, I put Matt says he's done gimmick shifting and is just going to be plain old Matt Hardy. Boo, give me that goofy shit. So we're at opposite ends of the spectrum there right off the jump, which I thought was funny.
Well, because I know he's going to
also-
go back to it.
I don't know.
Oh,
So he put out a video a while back where he was saying that, not a while back, but like a week or 2
I was just
ago.
about to say at least a few weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a couple weeks where he had said that he had thought he was going to go to AEW and replay all of his greatest hits kind of a deal and bring it to a new audience sort of feel. And he was starting to feel like that it just didn't feel true to where he was in his career, and he didn't know why he was doing it, and that he felt like something he's never actually done is none of the gimmicks, and he wanted to kind of see how far he could go with this new audience as himself and as real to himself as he can be. And I thought that was a pretty cool concept to take, and I'm sure he's got to be some level of gimmick. It's still TV, you're still performing, but if he's playing it closer to his chest, I'm way more interested in that than I am in any of the old rehash stuff. If I want to see old Matt Hardy, I got the network.
You know what? I don't believe Matt Hardy can stick to it. And that's what I like about it, is that Matt Hardy can go full regular person Matt Hardy, but the drone will show up and he'll argue with it. You know, like, I feel like there's a lot of fun to have with his old gimmicks and all of this. Like, it is interesting to delete the delete, but I just see it being like just a really great direction, another direction for him to go to, another angle for him to do, but he's still going to pull out with that old stuff. The way we watch Undertaker jump right over American Badass and go for like that early mid-90s sort of look when he comes back.
Yeah.
Can I interject one more thing?
Yeah, I was about to throw it to you. Yeah.
I didn't want to bring it up too much just because I know neither of y'all watch it, and usually they don't really have it impact television that much. But on BTE, that came out yesterday. They wrote in somehow that chair shot that he took from Sammy is actually making his gimmick shifting even worse. Maybe like it was like every sentence he was switching for a couple of
What?
segments.
So he's already given up on it.
So I don't know what they're going to do with that.
Yeah, concussion will do that to you.
Right. So I don't know if that was just a gag that they were doing because that chair shot was actually really nasty and he had to get stitched up for it, or if it's actually going to carry through. Because
It's
you
where
never
his
know with
bizarre
CTE.
comfort zone is.
I don't know about a comfort zone so much as. Let's see. Fabtina says, I was shocked that he was back on the road this week after the gash. He's back?
Posted on his Instagram. And it's all stitched up.
Yeah, I wouldn't put him on TV. I actually really liked the Matt Hardy promo, but I did list the recklessness of Sammy Guevara as one of my bottoms of the week just because it was so needless, so reckless, so dangerous. It was such an injury to him. And the fact he even said, well, I'm going to have to get CAT scans. You could have ended his career. We don't know yet. It might be over now.
He really hucked that fucking chair at him, dude.
He hucked it like a spear. I couldn't fucking believe it. And watching it, you're like, what? And you even see it hit Matt Hardy, and you see this look on his face like, fucking seriously?
Yeah. They showed the replay of that like 12 times on the start of BTE this week, actually, from a bunch of different angles, and you can see how nasty it actually was. And I think he even says something, or you can see him mouth the words like, what the fuck, Sammy, or something like that.
Yeah.
Apparently, Sammy got some backstage heat for it, rightfully so, because that was reckless as hell. I agree.
I think he should get a ton of heat. I think he should be off TV for a little bit because I think
Well,
honestly,
we said that last week.
Yeah, well, yeah, we wanted him off TV last week. Yeah, anything it takes to get Sammy off TV. No, I think that it was this weird, like Tony Khan. I thought someone said Tony Khan I couldn't find it, but I thought someone said Tony said that he had apologized, and if they were okay with that. And I'm all like, what? I'm not okay with Sammy apologizing to Matt for that.
Yeah, more than just an apology. We're talking about one of the legends that AEW has. He's one of the flagship performers that people recognize. He needs to be one of the most protected men in the back. And anybody who hurts one of the most protected men should really see some kind of downfall for it.
Yeah, there should be a level of repercussions.
Let's see if he gets his receipt on TV this week.
Man, I would love it if there was some gnarly shit.
He needs more than a receipt.
Yeah.
Like just on a business standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but at the same time, that's kind of how wrestling's always been.
That's true. No,
they
you're
just
right.
handle that shit out there on TV, and somebody will hit him with a really fucking hard clothesline or lay an elbow real fucking snug, and he'll think twice about that shit again.
Yeah,
put him in a match with Lance Archer for a little bit, and just let Lance Archer beat the shit out of him for half an hour.
Bring in Sami Callihan for a match. That guy doesn't know how to protect anyone.
There you go, Sammy versus Sammy.
Yeah. Let's see. One thing I was going to bring up for you on your second point of that it was nice to see a clean finish.
Yeah.
And the WB doesn't do clean finishes. There's 2 points to that. One,
we'll get in that later.
everyone's favorite part of everyone's favorite generation was the Attitude Era, and fucking find me a clean finish. Find it, right? Because you don't need clean finishes was almost how they got to the end of a story. The other thing being that what does a clean finish mean if there's no story, right? And I think that although AEW continuously has these clean in the middle finishes, none of it's leading anywhere and none of it's protecting anybody else. It's not doing anything for me because it's not a blow off or a payoff. It's just another good match with a couple of wrestlers. It's just people who want to do this together, you know?
That's true. And actually that 12-man tag does have that feel a little bit with the Dark Order getting the win, but also it doesn't make them feel stronger for some odd reason. I mean, Brody's still seems stronger than he was WWE-wise, but it doesn't make it feel like, oh, God, these guys are going to wreck the whole shop. You know, like you don't get that. I still love a good clean finish, though. Like, I do love watching somebody lose to a person 3 or 4 times and then finally getting that win when it's sweet.
100%. And that's what I wish we were getting all the time. That's my only complaint about it is that they're using them all the time. And I don't think they're using them to the possibility they could have with them. You're doing something that another company is getting criticized for not doing. Why don't you punch it up a little bit and actually make it mean something? So not only are you doing it, but you're doing it for a reason, doing it with cause.
No, I agree with all that. I was just shocked the first match I really watched of the whole episode was like this clean finish, and you're like, "What is this SummerSlam?"
Well,
Like,
especially
really,
for a big multi-man tag match like that, you don't really see that in those huge matches anyway.
yeah, it was unexpected
I-
because of that.
There was no way for them to get out of that match without a clean finish. There weren't rules to begin with. The only way you can end the match was with a pinfall.
Yeah, that's true. But a lot of the times, that's what I'm saying. Like those matches don't even really end in any sort of way. They just get called off because it turns into a huge schmoz or people come out of the back and interfere or whatever the hell.
And all that stuff happened, but without consequence. That's what I mean. Like,
No, I know. I get it.
because they don't do anything that's like rules oriented, they're almost kind of pinned into the corner where they have to do a clean finish because you can't lose by schmoz. All their matches are schmoz till it gets to the end, which
You're
is
not
an
wrong
interesting
about that at
concept too. Real quick, do you guys think that FTR ankle injury is legit?
No,
No? What do you think, Chop?
No, I don't really think so either. It was like the one that Mark Quinn had a few weeks ago where Matt Hardy helped him to the back. That looked like it.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked good, like it was sold well, but I don't think that was legit either. So yeah, I think it was just an angle to get Hangman some more time with FTR. And
That's
get
what my
them
thought was.
That story going again.
because like
Gotcha.
at first I was worried about it, and then like as I saw like Hangman Page like really be all on the camera to get him out, and then like to get him like
Yeah.
kind of back in, I was like, oh no, this is just to push him.
Yeah,
Okay.
it looked good. I'll give him that because at first I was like, "Oh shit, did he really hurt himself?" But again, like I said, with Hangman going back, and they've been teasing that for weeks, so yeah, I
Cool,
just
cool.
figured that
Yeah,
that
no.
was just an angle.
I was
But I
kind
thought it
of
was a good
teetering back
angle.
and forth on it, looking at it, because I rewatched it and I was all like, "No, it looks. I mean, I could go.
I mean, it
either
looks
way with
nasty.
it,
But
so.
I don't know if he was
Well, I
supposed to
think he
come
did
down that hard on it.
Yeah, but I think he did.
It was
all
a
right.
work
I
shoot.
think it was good. Yeah, it was a work shoot. The other thing I wanted to bring up real quick, and then we'll get into Chop's tops. Just because of the brutal injury that Matt Hardy took and the amount of blood he was gushing, were you a little off put by Moxley cutting himself later on? Or did that
No.
not bother you at all?
No, that doesn't bother me at all. I'm a total blood and guts guy, so more blood and wrestling is better for me.
That's funny because I just consider them two completely separate segments. It didn't even like occur to me like, especially like now that we're watching in like these COVID times, I just assume that almost none of this is even recorded on the same day.
Oh, they're almost all bubbled to you.
Yeah, I feel like they bring in like whatever talent they need for a day and then bring in the next for the other. So like it didn't occur to me. I was like, oh, this is a lot of blood for this one show.
Yeah, I really have no idea how much of this is actually live. That didn't really occur
Yeah.
to me either. And
I was
you
just
know, they
wondering.
were so far off in the show. You had that Matt Hardy thing happen in the first first 40 minutes, and
Yeah,
then
and then the other-
Moxley thing happened however long later. So
You know what I will say about Moxley cutting himself as often as he does? He's not as good as I thought he would be. He always
He's a
doesn't
wild
bleed
man.
very much.
he bleeds
Matter of
just
fact-
enough.
The first time he did it, he cut himself a bunch of times over again because it just wasn't fucking bleeding. And then he got this huge swell on his head with no blood. And it was all like, Jesus, dude, you got like a donut. Like, how do you not know how to do this? Like, I'm not saying I know how to do it, but this is where you came from, dude.
Maybe
So,
he's got
I was-
impenetrable skin like Luke Cage.
Yeah. All right, Chop. What else you got?
For AEW tops, is that what we're doing?
Yeah.
For me, I had the debate section because I love that goofy bullshit. And I'm a total mark for Orange Cassidy. I love the character. I love the whole thing. I'm into it. And then my other one was actually Moxley versus Darby Allin. Those are my two from AEW this week that I actually put in my tops because
As
I thought
matching
both
in
of
themselves.
those segments were pretty excellent. And I just love Moxley, man. I think Moxley's a good champion for the company right now. And I hope he holds onto the belt for a while, even though I want MJF to also have all the belts. So I'm a little torn on that.
I gotcha. I do think Moxley's the best champion for them right now. I think he's a super believable champion, but I also think that he's a believable champion because of stuff he hasn't done in AEW. And I don't think that him being taken to task by Darby Allin helped Moxley as much as it put over Darby. And here's the thing. Here's what I
I think
thought
that was
would
the
have been
goal
amazing.
was to put Darby over more anyway.
It's important to
Right.
put
He
over
doesn't really
Darby.
need it. I think Darby needed it more. So
But you
having
can
him lose, but losing
dwindle.
that way worked out really well. So
Yeah, you can dwindle Moxley's shine, or even like it's the same thing I was saying about Cody being taken to task every time he's in a match with anyone. Then the
yeah,
big wins from like a Sunny or a Kingston, it doesn't mean as much because you're like, well, here's people who should be becoming stars because of this match, but they're not because this is just another Cody match where he can barely win. If Darby Allin is taking everyone to the limits all the time, he stops becoming an underdog. And he's kind of needs to be an underdog for that to work, in my mind.
The
but
company
if he
needs
takes
their
people to the
sting.
limit but doesn't win, that means he can go. But when he actually gets that big win, it'll actually mean more. I think I'm into it, but I'm not as big of a Darby fan as I was to start. Anyway, I've kind of soured on him generally speaking. We
I
had
like
that
the kid.
discussion last week, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, last week
What
was
were
a
you saying
hit to
there?
the Derby, but I think that Derby is important to the company as a whole to have their own homegrown person who has no WWE experience, who can also be competing for the belt right up there with those other big boys so that they can really distinguish how they are different than WWE. And so, like, I think it's important to get Darby to be over, especially on a former WWE champion.
And I
And
know it's
so,
going to be
like,
fucked up to say this real quick. I think one of the things that makes Darby so important is not only has he never been in WWE, but he doesn't hold a believability that he could ever get to WWE. So I think it's super important to make him a star
there is,
because of that.
I agree with
He's
that.
going to be
I was
super homegrown.
of course, yeah, he doesn't have the body that Vince likes to push, but he's
I,
got this, like, look.
I was just
Yeah.
about to say that they like him and he's important to the company as well because they want those skinny guys to look good on TV and to get some believability in there so that the rest of their division also stacks
Looks
up really
big.
well.
Yeah, the Young Bucks don't look big unless they're standing next to Darby. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Yep.
I'm not worried about the Young Bucks. If they can't figure their way to get over, that's on them. But Darby's getting his own way. Like, he headlined the Dynamite, and it was a good match.
It was a good match. You know what I think would have been amazing, though? And I think that, I mean, obviously they're trying to build Darby as a big star. But that first punch that Moxley struck him with was such a cannon. I think it would have
Oh.
blown the internet up if he had won with that. If he just decked Darby's head off and pinned him and then grabs his belt, gives him the finger, and walks off. Being like,
Oh,
I
God.
fucking told you, kid. Like, I didn't want to do this. If he had one punched Darby and Darby said, no, you rang my bell, man. That's not even fair. And then they had a rematch where he took him to his limit, I'd been more interested.
I
I'd
would
been
have
like,
fucking
dude,
loved
Moxley
that,
murdered
actually.
him.
I would have loved that.
As soon as he hit him, I was like, oh my God, because it was such a good punch. I thought it was going to happen. And then when it didn't happen, I was like, nah, fuck it. All right, we're just having a normal good match. Okay.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, okay, fine. Just a normal good match.
Yeah, I thought it was a good match overall and just really enjoyed it. And then I like the angle at the end with MJF hitting Mox with the title, but not being able to put him away with it.
Yeah,
And Darby
was
actually
good.
taking advantage of the situation.
Yeah, that was good. I did think that the angle they used for the coffin drop was not flattering. It made Darby look incredibly light because it was such a flat angle of Darby hitting Moxley and Moxley barely budging that I was like, oh man. Like,
I caught that a little bit too. It did not look as devastating as it usually does.
yeah, that's also like wrong angle, guys. Pick a different angle for that one because I like the move otherwise. I was just like that made it look soft.
That's
But
going to be fine, though. We have a lot of little
Oh, yeah.
guys that we know are much lighter looking than they actually are, and he is a little man. Like, you're not going to be able to
Oh, yeah.
make him look heavy. And I do really like the pairing of him and Moxley just in general. Like, I think that Moxley and him wrestle really fucking good together, and it's going to be great
Yeah.
for him to grow and learn. To be like, oh, no, this guy's going to teach me a lot of the little things that really make the big pops. And especially,
Yeah.
like, with somebody who has had a couple real reckless moments, and Moxie's whole thing is, like, wild man kind of reckless thing, like, but also does protect people when they need to be protected. Like, I think
oh,
it's
for sure.
good for them to have a long rivalry for him to be able to be paired up with some of these more fragile other legends they're going to be getting or currently have.
For sure. Yeah, no, 100%. I didn't think that it ruined the coffin drop. I just thought that was not the desired angle for that one. I was like, I'd have shot it from an angle that made the impact look a little more. I don't think it ruined it either, though. Yeah, I think it's fine. I think he's going to move through it. Aaron, what did you think of the debate? Because Dork Chop said he thought that was one of the best moments of the week.
I like Orange Cassidy.
Hold on, caveat that. I didn't say it was
no.
one of the best moments of the week. It was one
You
of my
listed
top
it.
5 of the week.
That's a top moment of the week.
That means. That means
I know,
it's
but
the
I'm
top
saying-
5 moments
I'm not
of the
saying
entire
that
week
it's.
of wrestling.
I'm not saying that it's the best because I know that it's garbage. but I
but
love
we
that
all
it's
do.
garbage.
No, but we all watch wrestling because of this.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
let's
amazing.
not act like we're not wrestling fans, because that's part of being a wrestling fan. Is you're like, oh, this is some of the best garbage I've watched all week, and I think that Orange Cassidy killed in it. I think he really shined, and it was a great little gimmick. I was really disappointed to see Eric Bischoff. I think it's a huge mistake to throw him out there. I think
He
the
definitely
AEW
pulled away.
Yeah, but AEW
draws
should have
attention.
never called him ever.
Yeah,
I agree
They-
with you on that because the comparisons to WCW are already unfavorable, and they
Yeah.
should try and distance themselves from that. But at the same time, I still pop for Bischoff. So, like my first line of my notes is debate pyro Eric Bischoff. What the fuck? I love this.
yeah.
Oh, see,
So,
no,
that's
I
the
was
garbage that I
definitely-
enjoy.
Yeah, but I was like, oh, for the thing that where everyone's like, oh yeah, this is the new WCW. You can't have one of the faces of WCW
Right.
out there holding a microphone. That makes no sense as far as making your own company. It goes against your own thesis. So I was like, oh, boo on this move. And then of course his recent, just his track record in the last 5 years. It's like,
Yeah.
no, you should stay at home. Like, let wrestling be wrestling. Just watch it. You should be as involved as Jim Cornette and get your own podcast if you want one. You know,
He's
like,
had one
but-
for quite a while.
He's got one. He's got a good one.
Oh, good.
Here's the thing.
Oh, I don't
He's
even
also
listen.
never calling anyone. People call him. He doesn't have any desire to be in the wrestling business. When he went back to WWE, it's because they called him and he went in for a couple of meetings, but he had no intention to be back in wrestling. And he
Oh
made that
yeah,
very
I'm
clear
sure
on the
Tony
Yeah.
Khan
podcast.
gave him
I
a fat
believe it.
check for this appearance.
Yeah,
yeah.
and I believe that too, but I also feel like it's
You should
really
just say
off
no.
the mark for AEW to want to reach out to him.
You know what the whole segment felt like, and I felt like it started with that and didn't stop. I felt like Tony Khan was in the back just giggling and giggling.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I
Like-
like that.
I
Me
don't
too.
like the idea of someone's running their show and they just can't stop giggling because they're popping themselves. But it also made the whole thing look like a big reference joke. We're going to have Eric Bischoff come out because it's a reference to WCW. We're going to do a debate thing and make it a reference to old school. Like, I felt like everything was a big reference joke. And I feel like BTE does a lot of reference joke stuff too. And Aaron, you and I have talked about this since I was fucking like 12. I'm not into reference humor. When people make a big joke about an older thing, I'm never like, that's a good one. I'm always all like, oh.
No, it's true. It's more of a trivia thing than it is an enjoyable punchline.
Yeah.
Although now that I'm gonna just make a reference joke right now, then.
Do it.
And how far into the debate do you think before Khan was like, "This is such good shit"? You know, like, that's like to me what that moment is. It's like that's his. This is such good shit moment. He
Drop
doesn't
some,
have that weird, immature Vince sense of humor. He
Drop
has
some
this.
Vince
weird-
emojis in the chat real quick for that one.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, but this is like his sense of humor, his moment to like really do that. And part of wrestling is inside jokes, you know, like and letting it kind of fly.
Yeah, I think maybe that's part of my issue. I mean, as much as I try to forget that they keep saying that they're the alternative, you're like, okay, it's not the alternative. It's just your humor, not his. And that's all it ever is. It's just,
Yeah.
okay, it's your hokey shit, not his hokey shit. So now it's good shit. I was like, it's all hokey, man, and it's fine. We
Well,
all
it's
have
still
different sense
hokey.
of humors.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
but I-
WWE. I'm sorry, go ahead, Chop. I'm talking.
No, you're fine. I was just gonna say, but like I said before, I enjoy all that hokey shit from both sides, and you'll never see me
yeah.
saying, "Oh, WWE sucks" because they do this goofy bullshit. Because I love that goofy bullshit, baby. Give me more of that goofy bullshit.
Oh
And
yeah,
I
no, I
think
love
it's
that moment
two
where the
tones.
Miz was waiting for his tag partner, and then like a bear comes out. You know, like I like that kind of stupid stuff. Although, like to me, when I was watching, of course, I compared everything that happened in this episode to WWE. You're like, why isn't WWE even mentioning that a presidential election's happening? To where AEW is like made it front and center that a presidential election's happening, and I like that they were able to do that
You
without
know.
actually getting political.
You
I know exactly why
WWE.
WWE. Doesn't exactly because they are too in bed with the actual president.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But they
WWE had their own political take this week that I was not a fan of, so we can get into that later.
Yeah, but AEW found a way to play with it without having it be
Yeah.
about the politics at all.
I
You
agree.
know,
Oh, yeah.
I
from
think that was
both
fun.
MJF and from the Jericho Orange Cassidy moments. And so
And
you're
it's
like,
funny,
oh no,
my-
this is great.
Now you mention it too. My first AEW T-shirt that I ever had was a Cody 2020 shirt, and it was.
Oh,
I think it was actually when AEW was maybe had just barely even got off the ground, and it's the. I don't know. I remember I bought it from Hot Topic. I remember that because it was on sale. It was like $6. Dude, I'm not investing a ton in AEW T-shirts, but I got it. And it was it said Cody, and he's like on top of it looks like he's on top of a car with a crowd, and he's like out there like, yeah, and it says Cody 2020. So yeah, for me,
Yeah, no,
they're always
they,
political.
all the MJF campaign stuff that they've been doing has been excellent as well. Like I had my notes for this week because they had that little backstage segment where he talks to his pollster girl and all that stuff. And all I wrote about it was MJF campaign update, and I just put MJF is the shit because I love
That's
him.
funny.
He's so good, and he's doing that little bit very well, and I'm enjoying it. And I hope there's more of that coming. And seeing all the little MJF 2020 posters all around the ring.
There has to be more of that coming.
Yeah.
There's just no way
Oh,
they're
yeah.
not gonna, they're going to
I
cut
hope
that
they
bit
run
now.
that all the way through till November, though.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
they can, and I think they can do it well.
I wasn't as bought into this segment as I was last segment that he had done, but yeah, I
It
can
was short,
appreciate it for what
so
it is.
it wasn't very much, but I just love it every week. I want more MJF on my TV.
Aaron, did you find the debate funny?
I understood what the jokes were.
Yeah,
You know, like
it.
they're exactly. I definitely felt like that. Where you're like, yeah, I get the humor, but I wasn't physically laughing at anything.
No.
You know, like, and it was also kind of like predictable where the jokes are happening, but also this is a program meant for like a 12-year-old boy, so I
Yes.
can't judge it too hard on that. You know,
I
it's
take
like,
offense to that.
it doesn't have my sophisticated humor. Is like it's the wrong angle to take on wrestling. You know, like I've seen a lot worse happen in wrestling that went over very big. You know, like so you're like, all right, it's fine. It wasn't. It would take a lot for me to actually really be belly laughing at wrestling.
Yeah,
Oh,
this
sometimes
wasn't
I
any
do with Bailey.
groundbreaking humor, but
Bailey's
Mhm.
hysterical to me. But real quick, one of the reasons I think is annoying me a little bit, which first off, all the jokes are super obvious, but I've heard so many people online, and this is what makes Twitter so horrible, say that,
I know
well,
where you're going,
obviously WWE is for children and AEW is for adults. This is adult wrestling for adults, and WWE is for kids. If you like WWE, it's because you are a child. And then I see segments like this, and I'm like, who are you talking to? Like,
I hear the same thing, and I thought the same thing. You're like, oh, I thought this was for adults. You're like, no, this is still a kid's show. This is still wrestling,
it's
still a
still-
kid's show. And whoever wrote it isn't a joke writer. That's the other thing. Like, they got somebody who writes wrestling things to write these jokes.
I think Jericho wrote it, but that's just my thought.
I 100% agree with that. This definitely seems like a Jericho idea.
But the
Yeah,
other
that
thing
doesn't
is
mean
that,
Jericho
like,
couldn't outsource it to some actual comedians.
yeah, he knows people. But I did like it in general. The only thing I thought that was like a true critique, because what I'm saying is just a little bit of shit talk and poking fun at the bear, but the true critique I had on it was I felt it was wasted because Orange Cassidy did deliver so well that if this was a legitimately more important storyline, because quite honestly, fighting Jericho right now is not an important storyline in the AEW scheme of things. I know they think it is, but I don't feel any importance to this match. If they had saved it up for longer, you're only 1 year in, and we never saw Orange Cassidy to begin with. So we've only been seeing him for a couple of months, and he already popped this off. I felt like you blew a real opportunity to save that up longer and really rock people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I have that in
feel
my
like he's
notes
gonna
as well
rock people
because it
anyways
was.
in the future.
I'm sorry.
No, you go
Uh,
ahead.
I have that in my notes too, just because it was. I think it was the first time he's actually spoken on Dynamite, which, you know, a year or whatever in is pretty impressive for a wrestler to actually be over with the fan base and not speaking at all. But yeah, I agree. I said the same thing. It was just kind of a wasted moment, even though I enjoyed it and it popped
Yeah.
me and my friends. I think as a whole for the company, they should have saved it for something that was more impactful, like you said.
Yeah, 100%. That was my one real critique was, well done on both parties. I wish this was for a bigger thing than just a rematch. You know what I mean? I just wish it felt like bigger stakes, because then you'd be like, oh my god, he's serious. Like, that was my only thing. Aaron, do you have a thing to add on that? Sounded like.
No, I was gonna agree.
Okay. Chop, did you have another thing on AEW?
I do have something in my bottom 3 on AW,
Get up your bottoms, dude.
which was the Big Swole versus Reba squash, which not anything to do with them generally. It's just the women's division is so depressing right now.
Dude, I wrote the words AEW women, and that's all I said for my bottom.
Dude, I think I also put on my bottom 3 the same thing, where I was like, these women things they're using as filler instead of actually building a division and storylines with them.
Yeah, on my notes here, I put women's division is so fucked. If this is all they're getting on TV, they're regulated to YouTube for tag tournament and dark matches. How can you expect me to care at all?
Yeah.
And I have nothing against Big Swole. I like Big Swole. I think she's really entertaining.
I thought
And I
that
think
segment
Reba's
was
funny too,
perfect for
but-
what it was supposed to be. And I thought,
Yeah, but
I thought
just
Rebel
women-
did an awesome job. I thought she
Right,
did
but
great.
just the state of their division had me
Yes.
depressed.
Yeah, we all wrote the same thing on our bottom 3. No, exactly. You're just like, this feels like a heartless division. There
And-
is nobody who's in charge who actually loves it in the company the way like Stephanie's going to make sure that the women end up on TV for something, and so the women therefore have to deliver. These women aren't given anything to bite into.
And I put this down too. I wrote this: less than 6 minutes of women, all inclusive, on Dynamite from any segment. Less than 6 minutes were women even present. I didn't count audience. But then I listed just for WWE specifically. For one, Zelina alone had a 6-minute promo. Just alone, she had a promo that was as long as the women division even got on Dynamite.
Yeah,
But
and I didn't even care about that promo.
Yeah, it was fine, but yeah, I mean, she did fine with it, but yeah, it wasn't this whole like,
It's
oh my
just
god, was
The dumb story that they have going on there, but yeah.
yeah, it's
But
just
still,
their
if
story.
they could give 6 minutes to that, what are they saving
Exactly.
for Dynamite?
I mean, and they had the Bailey versus Asuka, they had Dakota versus Rhea, even the Bianca versus Lena match I thought was better than the promo. Tegan versus Indy, and that's not even all the women's matches they even had.
Iconics.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
They had a ton more segments and a ton more matches, but I was just like, just these alone, Bailey versus Asuka might have been my favorite match of the week when I really break down just solid wrestling match.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
it
fair.
was really good. I don't know if it is my top, but it's in my conversation. You know what I mean? When I start listing what are the best matches this week, that's one of the ones I'm bringing up, whether it makes it to number 1 or not. As far as the women go in AEW, that's just never part of the conversation.
Not to jump too far ahead, but kind of going in that same direction, because I watched NXT probably, I think, the same night as Dynamite. I watched it kind of late that same night.
Yeah.
But the first match on that was Rhea Ripley and Dakota Kai.
Yeah.
And on my notes here, I put women's wrestling on NXT is just leaps and bounds ahead of AEW. If you want to watch women, watch this show.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't really say anything else about it. It was, it's flipping the switch.
Well, yeah, if you're a female wrestler on WWE and you want to jump ship because you're mad at the company, there is nowhere else in the world to go.
Yeah.
There's just nowhere else in the world that can even put you would just like dropping from number 1 to number 20, but just going to number 2. Like that's like.
I know a lot of people say Impact, and they talk about how strong the women's Impact division is. But I'll be honest with you, watching a ton of those matches, I think they have about 4 really strong women's competitors, and then a bunch of overrated names.
Yeah,
and I
they
don't
got-
mean that
yeah.
there's not a possibility, but like Deonna
Not the
Purrazzo,
quality.
that's what I mean. Deonna Purrazzo's over there as their champion. She just put out a T-shirt saying "greatest technical women's wrestler ever," but I remember her matches in WWE, and I was not impressed. I kept thinking, "Oh, I see what they see in her, but it's going to be a while." And then she immediately jumps to Impact and becomes their champion. I go, "Oh, they must have a pretty low grade roster if that's who they think their top is."
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But I mean, they have Kylie Ray. She's fantastic. So, I don't know.
Yeah, and AEW has a couple of potential female stars, and
Yeah.
no TV time for them?
Yeah,
What do you guys
and a
think
lot
of
of their division is hurt, but then they're doing that tag team tournament, which is taking up a lot of their time. But they're putting none of that on TV, so why should I even fucking care?
Yeah, it's all on YouTube.
Yeah, I mean,
What do
I'm
you guys think of
just
AEW
over it.
heels?
Oh, that was a bad move, especially with the state of their division right now. To try and cater to women's fans, have them spend that money. It's they talk about being inclusive, but that's a very exclusive sort of idea, isn't it?
Yep, there's a producer shaking her head like crazy over there. It felt exclusive.
That's
Uh,
exactly what I said when I saw the ad and I turned to Marsh and I said, "That seems somehow very exclusive." I know they're aiming for inclusive, but this completely misses the mark.
It felt a little bit to me, a little red velvet rope. You know what I mean? Like,
A little
oh,
bit.
if you want access to the women's wrestlers and if you want to be a women's wrestling fan, you're going to have to get in this VIP club to do it. And I was like, it seems like,
That's a way to
weird.
make sure they never get over.
Yeah.
You're
And
giving
then
them an
their
extra
defense was
hurdle.
that it was for women's wrestling, women fans, not fans of women's wrestling, but women who are fans of wrestling.
Yeah, so it's supposed to be me.
Yeah. And then that's what they were trying to, when they tried to backtrack it, saying, no, it's not that only our women's division will be behind a paywall. It's a community for women who like wrestling to be involved with each other and feel accepted to like wrestling. You just have to pay at the door,
Yeah.
and then we will accept you.
You
Oh,
got
that's
to
so
give us
bad.
something.
Just show that on your program. You can just show that the women are equal and they can take up the same amount of time and have just as good as matches, and then the audience will follow. You don't need their money first and then ask them to follow.
I do think Brandy said the most poignant thing about it, and I think it's very on brand and made a ton of sense. She deleted her Twitter.
I thought that was really funny. I was
It made me laugh.
really surprised because I at first was just like, wait a minute, isn't she supposed to be
The
like
chief Brandy
an
officer.
yeah, as an executive, you're not actually fighting with people on Twitter, or you shouldn't be, because again, you're professional.
Can you imagine Stephanie deleting her Twitter because the fans called her names? Either way, I don't know if the fans called her names. That's the defense that Cody took. I
Yeah.
didn't see that. I don't know, but I've blocked a ton of people who are prone to doing stuff like that. So it could very well be that I've already blocked all the idiots who would have said it anyways. That's an absolute possibility.
We
But
also
I
don't
do
see
think
everything they
that-
don't respond to, and I think it is wrong for the chief brand officer, if anything, to respond to anyone in any sort of light when they're tweeting at you like that. You're going to get some negativity, and you just got to
Yeah.
move on to the next.
Yeah, you take it, absorb it. I think if the response, honest to God, if their only response was, we hear what you're saying on Twitter, we're doing the best we can, and we promise there will be changes, I'd have been like, okay, cool. But she didn't. She was all like, fuck you guys. You sound like a dog barking up my tree. Get out of here. You don't like it. And I was like, what?
Yeah,
Like-
they could have just used silence. They didn't have to say anything. Or
Well, see,
wouldn't have to say, "We
you
hear
wonder
on
why I
Twitter."
don't use my Twitter for anything except to promote my Twitch channel. Because
Yeah,
Twitter
I was-
sucks. It was a
I was
mistake.
just expecting like, okay, maybe you look on there, you see all that, you give 2 lines in a press release, and then you come back a week later with something else.
Yeah, but she deleted the Twitter.
Stephanie doesn't do that.
I know, but
I like Stephanie's Twitter. It always makes me laugh because when she interacts with the wrestlers, it's always funny. And when she interacts as a businesswoman, it's always straight to the point. This is what we're doing. I've
I
always enjoyed it.
I actually
Yeah,
do
well, she's
follow,
at 25 years in.
I do follow Stephanie on LinkedIn because it's nothing but just professional stuff. It's her talking about things with other women. She's joining these esports groups with other executive women. She's like,
Yeah.
she's networking on a different level. This kind of, honestly, when I think about it, feels like child's play.
It does. Here's the thing that gets me. Dorkshot, you know the one thing, my probably second favorite thing in all of wrestling is pettiness. To hear the smarky ass shit when they said we're gonna call her the chief brandy officer and taking a dig at Stephanie McMahon and saying if Stephanie McMahon could be a brand officer, there's no reason I can't. And then for her to like have it play out this way, the person in me that loves the pettiness is like, oh yeah, fucking sink in it. But as a human who feels empathetically about other people, I'm like, damn, that sucks that she got pushed to her limit and couldn't handle it. That's a bummer that she felt that way. But the pettiness is like, you fucking drown. Just drown.
When AEW started, I followed Brandy on everything, and slowly I've unfollowed her on everything because you just realize that she just is like, I feel like mentally and maturity wise, she's kind of just a young person who's just put in this position.
Yeah. 100%.
As opposed to Stephanie, who is like a really strong person who came up through this thing and watched her dad go through all the things her dad had to go through and be like, I could do that. And totally the fuck she could. And she's proven it time and time again. And you're like, this is great. Like, this is all the qualifications that Stephanie has that makes her great at what she does. Brandy was just kind of put in that chair to see if she could do it. And I don't think she can cut the mustard on it.
Yeah, and I do think it's really unfortunate. I think she was put in a really shitty position really early. I think she
wanted
was
it.
unprepared. I think she wanted it and felt like she could handle it, and I don't think she could. I think she was in over her head from the beginning, and I feel really bad for her about that. I really do. But
I do
don't
too.
talk so big at the same time. You know what I mean? Like, just sit back and say, hey, I'm going to learn this, and I'll be good at this someday.
Yeah, I wish she'd kept her mouth shut a little bit more and just kind of tried to do the work in the background and just, put her head down and be the chief branding officer if that's what she was going to do. But also on another note, as somebody who has no experience being a woman on Twitter, a woman of color on Twitter, or a woman of color in the wrestling business on Twitter, I can't really speak to the kind of vile shit she probably had to read every day.
Yeah,
and I'd probably delete my Twitter after a week or two as well. So, I don't really have, I think everybody should delete their Twitter. So I don't have any problem with anybody deleting their Twitter.
It's actually kind of the nice thing about our Twitter is that no one knows that I run it.
Yeah.
So I don't get any of
Secret's out
the
now.
stuff that women normally get. I'm not getting dick pictures. I'm not getting any of that. It's great.
I can tell you for a fact she's getting dick pictures, but not through Twitter.
No, because they look at the page and all they see is you guys. It's awesome.
Yeah, 100%. And I agree with that too. But like I said, I've blocked so many people who tend to be abusive on Twitter. I see a thing and I go, that seems mean. I'm going to block you now because I have no purpose
You have
to not.
to.
Yeah,
Especially if you're going to be as
keep to that.
public a figure as she is.
Yeah, and so I think there's a very good possibility that there's a ton of shit I just did not see at all because of that. So I also give her that too, that there's a lot there. But at the same time, I don't think she should be reading Twitter. I think she should be making tweets and signing out. Like, there's no point.
1,000% agree with you on that.
Yeah, she needs to argue with people on Twitter as much as the president needs to. Not
The
as
only
much as he
person-
does, as much as he needs to.
The only person that should be on Twitter is Kevin Nash.
He's good. He's good on it.
I love Kevin Nash's Twitter.
So I do think the AEW heels was where they missed the mark. I'm curious to see what ends up happening with it. But apart from that, there was nothing else I even had as a jot down for AEW. That was kind of all the marks on it. Anything else you guys wanted to say about it? Aaron, overall, you said you enjoyed the show as your first full show?
Yeah, I enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to. But it was a consistent comparing of WWE, and it was funny. Every time they did something right, I was like, oh, I wish WWE did that more. Like, I just took it as like almost like a rough draft for what a WWE show should be stealing from. I find it interesting that you have nothing to say about Zack Ryder already. He's like 3 weeks in and you're already done with him.
No one's heard of him, and he's the action figure guy, and it's such a bummer, dude. I didn't put it on there because I feel like it's such a bummer that's how they're treating him online. I mean, I don't know how many shills are in the chat right now, and by shills I mean not Sam shills, because they asked me for my link when I went live, so I threw it in there. Grim Reaper was in here a minute ago, and they can see, man, during that whole show, Sam's really good friends with Cardona, and we're in the chat being like, dude, are you hearing this commentary? And he goes, yeah, I don't know why they keep saying this, and then we just were having jokes back and forth about all the comments they're making. They're like, oh, here's Cody's good friend, and he's also an action figure collector. He's one of the most elite action figure collectors out there. He's top of his class as far as action figure collecting goes. I did ask Sam, I was like, Sam, do you got heat with JR? Is there a reason you're not talking about your action figure collection? It's pretty good. But that's how they're talking about him, as Cody's friend and as an action figure enthusiast. Doesn't exactly strike fear into my heart.
No, it makes him feel like a child.
Yeah, which, I mean, maybe he fits right the fuck in. I don't know.
Honestly,
he's too man-sized. He's got to be childlike somehow. What was that, producer?
Messed up.
For a second, it kind of reminds me of how they were introducing Nikki
Yeah.
with Alexa. Oh, look, the best friend of Alexa, the best friend. It's like,
Yeah.
are there no other great qualities about this wrestler? Do they not wrestle?
Alexa Bliss and her best friend, Nikki Rose. That's how
Yep.
it was. Yeah. Cody. It's Cody and his good friend. Who? The figure
That's
guy,
how it
right?
feels.
The guy with the toys?
The only notes I have about Matt Cardona is I hope he brings back the internet title and defends it on Dark every week to match Cody defending the TNT.
Dude, if FTW can be defended by Brian Cage, he can sure as shit defend the internet title. Because I'll tell you one thing's for sure. Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona, he earned that fucking internet title. Brian Cage was handed an FTW title and has nothing to prove that he should have it. Fight me, Brian Cage. Oh, shit. We just lost the camera.
Oh, we just got a W on our screen. And we're back. That's great. I love Brian Cage. I want to see more Brian Cage all the time.
Oh, that's because I'm doing this. I need to hold it in the other hand. What was that? Say it one more time here.
I said that I love Brian Cage, and I want to see more of him all the time. Every time he's shown up on
yeah.
TV, I've been so excited and happy for him.
100%. I think it's so good, except I think he could come off a bit tougher if Taz wasn't talking about himself the whole time.
Yeah, I'm not happy with the Taz managing him thing either. I don't think it's really worked out that well. I'd rather see Brian Cage just do Brian Cage things.
Yeah, I want to see Brian Cage be a bad motherfucker and not be a guy who his manager, who gave him the toughest son of a bitch in the business title, says, I'm going to throw in the towel. You can't handle this.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, oh. I feel like if your coach throws in the towel, you don't go over to the ring announcer and say, can I have my fuck the world toughest son of a bitch title now, please?
I just like that the camera dropped right when you were trying to do a mic drop.
Because I pulled the YouTube, or not the YouTube, I pulled the hub. But little peek behind the curtain, that's how we do these special effects. Pit. I fucked up.
Special effects.
Yeah. My fuck up is our special effect. I do think, I talked about it before, Eddie Kingston needs to take that FTW title from Brian Cage. Bad motherfucker.
Yeah. I just want to see more. I mean, I know Brian Cage barely got an AEW, so it's like tough to be like, I want more of a guy you barely got.
Yeah.
But I'm just excited that they got him. I think it's a great pickup.
I think it's incredible, yeah. If that's all you got for AEW, we can move on to NXT.
Boom. You guys didn't
Chop?
see it. I just hit the trash can.
What's that?
Yeah, no one believes it. Are you ready to go to NXT?
Yeah. Sorry, I got like 4 cats in here doing dumb shit right now.
Are they yours?
Show the cats. Show the cats.
Are they your cats? Were you expecting to see cats when you look down, or you not know where these cats
No,
came from?
They were just fucking with some lights that I have, so I had to get rid of them real quick.
It is alarming when you look into a room that's not meant to have cats and there are cats. I'm going to tell you that right. Let's see. So in my top of the week, I do have one top to talk about, and I do have a few little tidbits about NXT that maybe we'll get out of the way first. Did either of you have any top 5 of the week for NXT?
I have 2.
You have 2.
I do.
Chop and his Wednesday Warrior.
Yeah, I really liked Wednesdays this week.
That's good, man. No, it's killer. Aaron, did you have any tops?
I'm
just wanna
looking at my tops, and I don't think I did.
Wow.
Nope. I just got a bottom
Shitbag.
for it.
Whoa.
What? I'll throw this out there for NXT. This was the one that felt like an assignment this week.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I disagree with that completely. That's interesting.
Oh, good.
It's really fun.
All right. I know because you
No,
have
this
2
is gonna be
tops, and I'm like question marks. I'm like, look
Well,
at my
as
notes and see where those are.
I rarely keep up with NXT, so
Mhm.
this was the first time sitting down to watch it all the way through since War Games, I think.
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
So it's been a while, but yeah, I actually really enjoyed this week's NXT.
So let's start then with Aaron's. No, we're gonna start with Chop's top.
Well, one of them was the first match, so we can start there. Rhea Ripley versus Dakota Kai
Yep.
was awesome. It was a really stiff, hard-hitting fight. Ripley hit that crazy electric chair drop on Dakota Kai on the apron. That was nasty. And then Dakota Kai reversing the Riptide into the DDT looked fucking excellent.
They
Um,
did so well together. I don't want to say I was shocked, but I've seen Dakota come off a little bit not sure-footed in the past, and these two gelled together so good. I was really impressed by everybody. Yeah.
I
I
had
was
so
in it.
much fun watching this. The only thing I had wished was that there was, uh, an actual finish instead of a run-in from Miss Mercedes Martinez, who I'm not really familiar with. Apparently, she's just coming back. So,
Yeah,
if
she's
if there's a
badass.
if there's an actual story there that they've been running, then cool. But then, yeah, in my notes, I also had the thing I said earlier about
It's
women's
funny. My
wrestling
notes are
always
great
just being
match,
exactly
finish boo.
better. Yeah, exactly. Pretty much the same thing. Pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
But the thing is that's how they're starting the Martinez and Rhea story, which is going to be you guys are going to love it when it gets going. Those two talent in the ring together is going to be something crazy. I just feel it.
That's what I was hoping for. So that's fun.
This was kind of the end of Dakota and Rhea being kind of going back and forth in this weird way where it really didn't need a finish. No one needed to lose that match necessarily because no one was going to get something out of it huge. Did Dakota get the win or Rhea?
Dakota got the win.
Dakota got the win. So I think that's to get Dakota a little bit of a shine because as a heel, she can take a shitty win and brag
Yeah,
about
doesn't
it.
this make her a
Yeah.
number one contender for the belt?
Yeah, and it sets us up for Dakota and Io, which is
Yes.
going to be good.
At Takeover 30.
Yeah, and it gets us to Martinez and Rhea, which is going to be brutal, and it kind of closes out this whole thing. And like I said, it gives Dakota the shine and the shit-eating heel perspective of I got the W, I don't care how. Like, it kind of, for all intents and purposes, did what it needed to do. I mean, it launched two separate storylines. But I get it. We all want to pin in the middle because that's the most important fucking thing.
No, that's not what I wanted. I wanted a Rhea win. That's what I wanted. That's what I was hoping for the whole time. And
All right.
because it was like I feel like the title was unjustly taken away from her. And
Yes.
she's now starting to get back into NXT, and I feel like they have kind of shit on her in the last couple of weeks. But
Yeah, it's weird.
like you said, if this does build off into some much bigger storyline for her, I'll be very happy. But right now, as this stands at the end of this match, I was like, are we just pushing her to some bizarre middle? She was on top of the mountain as she should be. And she's the kind of person that could be the main event for a takeover. But
Yeah.
we are potentially, I'm watching her get buried a little bit, and I wasn't happy about that.
She was in what many people consider, not me, the greatest wrestling match that was in WrestleMania this year. A lot of people consider it the best match of both cards. I did
It was a
not.
really good match. It was a good match, but I wouldn't say that.
I get what people are saying, but that is one of those conversations. So how do you go from being in the best match in WrestleMania, arguably, which I don't disagree with, to being put in this position where you're putting over everybody and you're not kind of getting any wins. You have no real footing. I don't know where they're going with her. She seems to have kind of disappeared from.
Yeah, she's not at the part
prominence.
of her career where it's like she can lose a bunch of times and still be putting people over and it still feels big. The way John Cena comes back to just put somebody over now and again. She's just barely got to the footing of like, oh, look, we potentially see you as a person that could be headlining WrestleMania in 2 or 3 years. And
Right.
now they're kind
But-
of burying her on their third tier show. So I'm not happy about it.
But she's also 23. And so she's got a lot of time to rebuild.
Yep.
And personally, I don't want to see another Io Rhea. But I'm interested in Dakota Io, and I'm super interested in the Rhea Martinez.
I'm interested in that
so.
future match for sure. I was just upset to see this is what
Yeah.
they're doing with Rhea right now. But like you said, if that other storyline takes off and becomes something really good, in fact, if it becomes something like a cage match, or something where it's
It
just
could
like
get
this
brutal.
is, yeah, and this is like a really important thing that doesn't even require the belt. Because I want to see the women involved in more of those main eventing, but it's also not for the title. Like for them to have a storyline that's strong, that's not so title based, I'd be very excited for it.
I will
And
say I
Rhea
was
was
a bit
protected.
surprised.
Go ahead, Chop. I'm just saying that Rhea was protected because she didn't get a clean loss. So
You're right.
They
Yeah,
both
she
got
was.
out top on the end. So go ahead, Chop.
I was just going to say I was a little bit surprised seeing this, just from the perspective of somebody who hadn't really come back since War Games and started watching again week to week. Just because after War Games, I thought Rhea Ripley was a fucking star. I thought she was going to be taking over this show. So
Yeah,
I'm a
that was
little
it.
surprised that she isn't there, and a little just concerned with that. But otherwise, like I said, this was one of my tops of the week, so it was a fantastic match, and she looked great. So they
What I
both
think
look
is
great.
funny-
Dakota Kai looked fantastic too.
Since you haven't been watching, I got two questions then. Because Aaron, you don't typically watch NXT either, yeah?
I used to. There was an era where I watched it every week,
Mhm.
but it's been about a year since I've watched every week.
I think it's funny that you haven't watched since War Games Chop, because if you've been watching the last several weeks, Rhea's been tied up in a Robert Stone brand storyline, which has just been absolute trash.
Good.
So-
I'm glad I stayed away from that then.
Yeah, I'm glad that you kind of jumped over that one. Since both of you guys hadn't seen it in a long time, Aaron, real quick question about AEW. Do you think you're going to watch next week, this week, tomorrow? Or today if you're listening on a podcast, WrestlingOnRocks.com podcast?
I am definitely going to check in and find out what happens. I am definitely curious to see if Jericho is taping tomorrow or not, and that's not related to the storyline writing. But I also am very curious to see what goes on with, like, because they made the Darby Allin and Moxley moment such like it felt like the end of like a pay-per-view where they're like hugging and stuff like brothers, where you're like, well, where are they taking this next week? So I'm curious to watch how they're going to follow it, not in the sense of like I need to know what happens with the storyline. I want to see how they interact with the storyline.
Right. So with that in mind, after having watched NXT, do you think NXT is a show that tomorrow or you might tune in to see what's going on or keep up with?
No.
And then Chop. You always watch AEW. You never miss it. I pop in and out of your chat because I can only handle so much shill at one time. And that is a shill room. That
we're all
place
big
is
AEW
legit
fans.
AEW and shill. That's that
I do
room.
I do an AEW Dynamite watch party on my Discord every week, and we're all big time AEW fans. So
You need to change the room name to AEW and shill.
yo,
Flat
that's
out.
a great fucking idea. I might just do that.
I've been trying to, because Chop helps me out so much with this stuff. I'm trying to do everything I can to help pimp out his stuff. So I've sent him some videos and graphics and stuff. So
Yeah, I appreciate that too.
do you think with NXT this week, and we'll still get into the other stuff, do you think you're more inclined to watch next week being tomorrow or today if it's podcast listening?
Yeah, I do. I generally try and keep up with the overall goings on, but I rarely sit down to watch a whole show. But this week was very easily digestible. It went by really quick, and I don't see why I shouldn't be doing it more. So I think I definitely will.
Awesome. So let's see. Chop, what was your other top?
The main event and the whole
The main event
goings on
storyline?
with that.
I'm gonna put a pause on there. Aaron, what was your
Exactly.
bottom?
My bottom. Let me look at it. Oh, my bottom was Adam Cole talking through a woman's match, where it was just
Adam-
like
Pat
he was talking over
McAfee.
through the. What's Pat Magic? What does that mean?
Pat McAfee was on commentary, not Adam Cole. During
Oh,
the
I'm
women's
sorry.
match.
Sorry. Yeah, the Tegan Knox match and where you're just like, we don't. It seemed like the wrong time for him to be promoting himself, and so
Okay.
like it was just like the match was already kind of short.
Yeah.
And so it was just kind of like, oh, did they just not know what to do while he was talking? So they went ahead and like just threw a woman's match in there to ignore. Like I was unaware of what they were trying to really make the thing we're focusing on at that moment.
Okay.
That
So
was
we're
in the
gonna get into
honorable
that.
mentions of my bottom as well.
We're gonna get into
Yeah.
that. We're gonna dive into that a little bit. I did want to say Damian Priest and Bronson Reed in the parking lot cut one of the best promos I've seen on NXT in such a long time because it just came off so natural and so authentic. What do you guys think of them in the parking lot?
I really like that too.
I like every time they've gone to the parking lot. Every time WWE takes it outside of that room, it becomes more interesting to me for some reason. And like,
right.
yeah, this is the same.
Apparently, there's a running joke that the parking lot of the Performance Center is the most dangerous place in all of WWE right now. So
Yeah, cars are getting stolen.
Cars
probably.
are stolen. People are kidnapped.
Oh, they're getting flipped.
Distributions.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, cars getting flipped. Yeah, there was a tweet that went out that said it was the most dangerous place, and the Full Sail security bot tweeted, the Full Sail University bot retweeted saying, if we have security 24/7. If you ever have any issues, give us a call. This and that, and people were responding to that like, "What are you fucking talking about?" With a ton of pictures of all the shit happening at Full Sail.
That's hilarious.
That's
It was
amazing.
so fucking good.
I love
Yeah,
it.
their bot was gold. There was two little things, and we're going to dig into to Pat McAfee. I did want to say, if you guys haven't been watching, you might have an opinion on this, but El Hijo is Ben de Fantasma is wrapped up in this Breezango storyline, and I'm not interested, which is really weird because I think the dynamic of El Hijo and his partners are so cool that I actually want to see them pop up in Raw Underground. But if you guys haven't been watching, I don't know if you have much of an opinion on that.
I do not have an opinion on that.
My only opinion is just I've been tired of Breezango for the entirety of Breezango.
Yes.
Yes, the name
So when you
Breezango
put-
just makes me upset.
Yeah, it turns my brain off immediately.
100%. She said, producers all like, we haven't talked about El Hijo. And I was all like, I haven't been watching them. And they're like, what do you mean? I was like, well, they're wrapped up in a story with Breezango. I don't watch that. If you're in a story with Breezango, I'm not going to watch. There is nothing for me there. And then they beat up Breezango, lay him out in the thing, and then they tell somebody, I don't even remember who, what, it was Swerve. They go, Swerve, if you're not careful, that's going to be your fate. And I was like, no, don't become a stripper. Because that is
we need
the Breezango gimmick.
Male strippers in Underground. We've all discussed this.
That's
already.
true. Breezango should also show up in our Underground as the dancers.
We
You know what's funny is the only action figure I have in my room that's not on display is a Breezango figure.
We'll have
shouldn't have it on
Breezango, and then we'll
I know.
have Lacey. All the people that like to strip should be the strippers in the Underground.
Yeah, people want to do that. One more thing, and then we'll get into Pat McAfee. I thought it was really weird.
Hold on, he's showing the figure.
Yeah, I'm showing Tyler Breeze the figure that I got for Christmas. It's still in the box. If Melissa's watching, thank you
That
for
was-
this gift.
That was her first bullying attempt at you, I think.
I think it was. And what's funny is I don't do this often when I get gifts. I'm usually very grateful. But when I opened it on Christmas, because it was wrapped, I was just like, why?
Mm.
And then I was just like, oh, she probably doesn't realize, like my feelings on Fandango and Tyler Breeze.
Yeah. I had a similar moment this year, but we've talked about that. The other thing, I thought it was really weird, and tell me if I'm wrong or if you guys just didn't even notice or give a shit. Regal says the losers of the triple threat had what he felt was a valid complaint, that they didn't lose the match, so they therefore should have a second chance. And that felt really weird because it's like, that's the fucking point of a triple threat.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, I did notice that. I had a note on that as well. What's the point of the fucking match then?
Yeah, and then
Even though I really like that
GM,
match, that triple threat was on the outskirts of my top because the match itself was actually really enjoyable. But then it just all gets thrown to the wind for no reason.
And for the guy who made the match to say, it's a valid argument, man. If you're not actually... Why'd you made the match? If someone came to me and I made the match and they're like, hey, your stipulations I didn't think were fair, well, you signed the fucking contract. That's the match you got. I'm not hearing your complaints now.
And it's annoying too because Regal is just so generally enjoyable that I actually just kind of liked what he was saying anyway, just because he's Regal.
Oh yeah, he said it great. His delivery was perfect.
Damn it!
The accent.
Why'd you draw me in, you bastard? I knew it was dumb.
Yeah. 100%. That's all. I just wanted to say I thought that.
But WWE always does that with their GMs. Every time there's a GM, anyone that makes any complaint, they go, "Oh, how valid," and then they let them do whatever they need.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? You should get a title shot because you just asked for one.
And it's always a babyface GM and a heel fucking wrestler too, which makes it so weird. The heel's just being pouty and bullshit, and the babyface is like, well, it's hard to argue.
Yeah, that's why I like when it's more of a Steph kind of thing, where Steph's like, "Oh, deal." Oh, you don't like that? Then earn your way up. Here's the match you need to do to earn it.
Yeah.
Give him more obstacles.
100%. So let's dig into Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee was listed as my favorite thing of maybe even the week, man. I am so into this. I watched that clip of Pat McAfee kicking Adam Cole in the fucking head and knocking him dead because that dude went out. That was one of the best sells it might be the only sell that Adam Cole. He's been saving it up, like taking the mustache. He's been having years of not selling any fucking thing because he knew this day was coming and he needed to be able to sell. And he
makes
only
me
had so
wanna
much
ask,
sell in him.
Do you think it was real?
Do I think he really got kicked in the head and knocked the fuck out?
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you, every part of my body wants it to be real.
Because I don't think an alert Adam Cole would sell it like that.
You He doesn't have it in him.
I don't think he does. I think you're like, oh, this is the best sell he ever had. I'm like, yeah, I bet it was.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, I bet he had a lot of choices.
Yeah, exactly. He may have just actually got his bell rung.
I mean, it did look really good. It looked pretty snug.
He fell with his arms tucked in. I was like, fuck. I know. Oh my God. Dude, I hope he spent weeks falling forward off that table. Just being like, how can I fall forward without protecting my face? I can do it. Because he fell. I watched it easily 100, 150 times because it's my favorite moment in the history of NXT. Nothing's made me so happy in all of NXT.
Call yourself a Bailey fan.
Yeah. Bailey did good things after NXT too. But you know what? Nothing tops Pat McAfee kicking Adam Cole's head clean off of his body. It was incredible. He like lands on his shoulder and then rolls forward. He's like, boom, 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 and you're still like, fuck. And he's just dead.
Yeah, he sold it like he got absolutely murdered, which I loved.
Yeah, there was like no sell to it. It was complete sleep. There was just he sold
his
a lack of consciousness.
His feet were like up on the table too, like bent up. You see the way he was landed there? Oh, I loved it.
You watch
So
it the
amazing.
way that I love watching the Kelsey Grammer fall.
Oh yeah, when Kelsey Grammer fell, do you guys remember that video? He's telling a lecture.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
he's just
yeah.
walking. Yeah. And he's like, man, he's like, oh dear God, and then falls. I'll walk into a room and just hear producer laughing so hard she's crying, and she'll turn the phone over. It's still that video. She's been watching it for hours. Oh dear God!
It never gets.
I need to add that to my
gets old.
stream. Actually, I'm going to bookmark that real quick.
Yeah, make him note. But watching Adam Cole get his head kicked clean off was incredible to me and my favorite moment. Here's why the conversation had to take place during that match. Yes, it was a semi-filler match. There was no stakes. It was a woman on the up versus a woman who's established. It was kind of here's a match we can watch and ignore, but here's also two wrestlers that are going to be kind of hard to ignore because they are going to be good. But they needed people to be brought into the Pat McAfee story, especially if you didn't live on Twitter and see all the back and forth that's been happening between McAfee and Adam Cole and the storyline that's been developing. They needed to tell that story before the main event. So when Adam Cole's constantly staring at Pat McAfee and saying, I can fucking hear you, dude, I'm 20 feet away, that it had more context. They had to build some context on the show because 100% of the story has been told outside of NXT thus far. That's the only reason why I didn't hate it. I felt bummed because I'm a huge fan of Indy Hartwell and of Tegan Nox, but I also loved they got to see Tegan Nox versus Indy Hartwell while still building on what may be the biggest storyline that WWE's had since Ronda Rousey.
Okay.
Can I jump in for a second there?
Yeah, this is you, Chap.
I do like how they brought out McAfee in the match before, so it didn't just seem like he was there only to be there for the Adam Cole match.
Yes, 100%.
But I don't like that they used that entire match to talk about Adam Cole. So
Aaron,
if
can
he
you
had
mute
actually
him?
come out,
Yeah, I can go ahead. I can mute him.
Yeah. I'm kidding.
Whatever.
Don't mute him.
But I was just saying, I like the continuity of him being there through more than just the one segment because it adds a little bit more credibility. And I know he's been on NXT other things before, like pre-show tapings and all that stuff before takeovers or whatever.
And I also thought he did a good job of putting the girls over. I don't mean to say girls. I apologize. I should be saying women. But I thought he did a really good job of putting the women over. And even at the end of the match, he goes, that match is great. He goes, I'd love to see that again. I want to see more of them. Like, he did a good job.
He shouldn't have talked over it so much.
Yeah,
He
but
did-
to be
to me,
fair,
that was
the
an
rest of the
apology.
commentary team was driving that action, though, because they were talking about Adam Cole the whole time.
I get it because that's what they were told to do, and that was
Right.
what the whole thing was. And the reason he would compliment him in that way is because he knew that he had taken over their entire moment. He'd taken over their segment to pitch to put himself over and put over his storyline.
Yeah, that's part of the business, but those segments always feel weird. I never liked them. I mean, go back and watch some old classic Raws and stuff. They do that shit all the time.
100%. What was the match they had recently where they just... It was in AEW even. They had a match, the women's match, Eva Lisa and DeMonte, where they just cut away. They just went to picture in picture and cut away, and they were doing an interview on the side. And you're like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Like they just went to like a small little thing. Like it wasn't even like they just went to commentary to talk about something. Oh, take JR's microphone and yell at it. They legit just cut away, and then they're like, "All right, back to the action in the ring." And you're like, "What the fuck was that?" So I mean,
Yeah,
Exactly.
that stuff happens. At least on this degree, he was sitting on commentary and talking, and I think that they also did a good job of getting to the place where they're talking about the match. He's saying like, "Oh yeah, we've put everything's behind us," and trying to establish that he doesn't think there's beef anymore, although he's being petty about shit, and still saying like, "Look, I am here for this." And he would cut into this is going on in the match, and then they would cut back with like, "You seem to be talking a little weird. Are you sure everything's good?" And like they were pushing the storyline. They didn't completely ignore the women. It also was a match that didn't mean anything or go anywhere. You know what I mean?
Not
So-
to just put you over, but I mean, like, look at the way Bailey and Sasha find a way to do it, where they're like
Oh,
they're
yeah.
pushing their own agenda, but also putting over the match they're currently watching.
That's true. But who's better than Bailey and Sasha at literally anything in the world? No one. So can't expect that from them.
It's a short list.
Yeah.
Could think of a couple women in the women's division I like over them.
I mean, you're allowed to be wrong about stuff, but the fact of the matter is what it is, But overall, so taking aside the women's match being talked over to push the storyline, once we got to the story of Undisputed Era at the end and the back and forth between Adam Cole and Pat McAfee, Chop, you said it was one of your favorite bits. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, not even just the bit. The match with Imperium and Undisputed Era is fun as well. I mean, both those teams seemed like they worked together really well, and it was another one of those hard hitting ones. I know Imperium kind of has a reputation for that, and I enjoy that.
It reminded me just how good NXT Tag Team Division can be and is.
Yeah.
I do think that NXT largely has had the best tag team division in the world for quite some time. And right now the talk is not on their tag team division. Other companies' tag team division is what they're talking about. And it reminded me of like, oh yeah, we can get there again. Like it's possible. They're great.
Yeah, it was fantastic. But the angle that did happen, hey,
We got raided. Whoa!
got raided. Some homies.
What does that mean? What's that mean?
It means a bunch of people just showed up and they're wooing in the chat. They're wooing.
Woo-woo.
Woo back.
Woo.
Woo!
Thank y'all for coming.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you guys for coming through. Tell us what you think, too. Go ahead, Chop.
But once they actually got to the angle part of it, it was actually really well done because I think Pat's commentary was pretty good, actually. Like his jokes were just corny enough to not be, too mean-spirited. So you could still tell that he was trying to have a good time with it, quote unquote.
Yes.
And that Cole was taking things a little bit too seriously, but he was still being a dick, which
Yes.
he's great at that. And then, that punt kick was excellent, and Cole sold it like he died, so it just made it look stronger as hell. I've put on my notes here one of the better outsider segments that I can remember in wrestling in quite a while.
Yeah.
Just anybody who comes in that's not part of the business into some sort of angle. And then
The next closest thing I can honestly think of is when Ronda Rousey was involved in, like, what was it, WrestleMania 30, where she came in with The Rock and did a quick little judo toss for Stephanie. And that was like it.
Yeah.
Like that was the second most. That's the only thing I can think of, like timeline wise, the next closest thing to this. And I think this was way better than that.
Yeah, and I put as far as NFL goes, give me McAfee over Gronkowski any day of the week.
Dude, I was about to tweet out I wanted McAfee Mania shirts. We got Gronk Mania shirts.
Everyone was pissed about those shirts.
Oh yeah, everyone hated the Gronkamania stuff, and they already got a Gronk action figure. It comes with the 24/7 title. Like,
Wait, really?
give me. Yeah, they made a Gronk figure, dude.
Wow. I didn't even see that.
That's crazy.
I keep up.
That's
with
also
wrestling.
very funny.
It's hysterical. And a bunch of people in the Discord I was talking about earlier were talking shit about it and couldn't believe it. And I said, "Future Hall of Famer assholes." Like,
That's
you,
also true. He will be a Hall of Famer for sure.
yeah.
Thank you to Audio Blood 812
Although-
hosting us.
Audio Blood's giving us a host. Thank you, Audio Blood. Thank you for coming through.
Thank
Check
you,
out
Audio
our
Blood.
podcast. You've been shouted out on it.
I think they should have R-Truth getting a Gronkowski action figure with his 24/7 belt. And watching just how he'd be confused. Like, why is belt so small? What's
Oh,
up with
yeah,
this
that
Tom
makes sense.
Brady figure?
That makes sense. Although I did really appreciate when Gronk was on, what was that singer show? The Masked Singer. He was on the after show of it, and
Yeah.
Was wearing the belt?
he had the title with him. He brought the 24/7 title with him.
Damn right he did.
Yeah, it was fucking hysterical. We just
Thank you.
I would give credit to Mojo for that.
La Leyenda 23 gifted a bunch of subs.
bunch of subs just got gifted by
Thank
La Leyenda.
you.
It's happening.
Oh God.
It's happening. I know you hate
Oh
it.
God.
Here it
Oh
comes.
God. What do we do now?
Did it work?
Can I buy stock in the show?
Yeah, woo! Money gun. I mean, I had to get the,
That took a
I'm just
minute.
now watching the stream catch up. Oh, there it goes.
yeah,
My jump's even further back than yours.
Once it gets going, it goes. But this is very upsetting for the producer whenever I use it. So we try to save it for good moments, and that was a good moment for sure.
Thank
Sorry.
you, Leanda.
Sorry, yes, thank you, Landa. You're fucking champ. As is evident by the new title next to your name. If you see, that's the 5 o'clock somewhere title. But yes, I think Pat McAfee in this angle came off as one of the most realistic celebrity angles that's ever happened. I loved when Triple H shoved him twice. Not only did I like that moment, because a lot of people talk about, oh, Triple H just pushing him. But what I don't think other people were talking about was how Pat McAfee physically responded to the pushing with falling backwards and going into high knees to keep his steps, much like you would expect an NFL person would do when they're practicing being tackled and stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
Good point.
He
I
came
didn't even
off
think about
as
that.
such. I watched. Oh my god, 150 times I watched this. He gets pushed
Yeah, you
back.
said you watched it a lot.
Yeah, he dives back and he starts high knee jumps, and then till he gets his footing again. And he goes, "What?" And then he gets punched again. Same thing. High knee jumps. You're not going to knock me off my footing, because that's part of their training in NFL camps or whatnot. Aaron, you were actually on a football team. Correct me if I'm wrong. They try to knock you over and you try to stay up, right?
You guys can't see, but
I was gonna
he's
say,
like,
especially for a
he's
punter,
kicking
because you
his
need to
legs
take care
up.
of
I
your
mean-
legs too.
Yeah.
Let's be clear. I wasn't getting a lot of action on that football team. I was only on for
No.
1 year.
You
I
didn't
would say
play.
most of no, yeah, I didn't play. No, but
But-
there's not much training on how to stay up. It's mostly actually how to be comfortable falling at the level I was at, because they didn't want us
Oh.
falling weird on our own bodies.
Mm,
But that's because that's how young I was with this whole thing. It wasn't like I was
I get you.
at any point where they're like, and now we're gonna focus on you staying up. It was like, no. If you fall, don't fall on your arm like this. You're gonna break it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense too. They're like, you're going to be knocked down.
Yeah, exactly.
This is
and
this
so
is how that
try
happens.
to tuck. Yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I apologize putting you on the spot like that. But
Yeah, I'm not an
watching the
athlete.
falls, no. Regardless of what everyone says on your podcast about you being a small, muscular man, I'm not buying this. But I thought that Pat McAfee style of the whole thing, I thought he did a fucking brilliant job. It came off so realistic that and the thing is if you really watch it, Pat McAfee was in the right. He's sitting at the thing and he goes, dude, I'm just joking around, man. I don't know why you're taking this so seriously. And Adam Cole's like, why don't you fucking do something about it? He goes, do something about it. Stand up, be a man, and do something about it if you have a problem with me. And then Adam Cole starts antagonizing him. And Pat McAfee's like, he's like, no, I'm not going to do it. He starts to walk away and you see it's so perfect. They take the shot of his face and as he walks away, he goes, you know what? I'm not going to let it go. And he turns around and he goes, this is what's happening. And he goes back over there and talks that shit that, the thing that's never going to change is how fucking tiny you are. And that's when they got Adam Cole into a position naturally with someone holding him back and him diving forward, where his head would be in a position where a punter could kick his fucking head off of his shoulders and knock him
Oh yeah,
dead.
they angled it perfectly the way they set it all up.
It's amazing. It's amazing. I think this is one of the best storylines going on right now. And it got a ton of fucking airplay, man. On ESPN
Hell yeah.
the next day, Triple H was there talking about Pat McAfee. Hold on, I have a screenshot. I sent the screenshots. Did you see the screenshots I sent in your chat that nobody liked? Chop?
My chat?
And mine?
No, Chops. Yeah, in your chat, yeah, Chop.
I don't think so, but I'll find it.
Yeah, because your shills in there are real fucking sensitive. It says Pat McAfee kicks Adam Cole last night on WWE NXT. So I made a little edit that was a picture of Tony Khan looking all goofy on a podcast, and put Orange Cassidy dumps juice on Jericho.
Oh, yes.
Because quite honestly, I'm sending it to Aaron right now. There's something to be said for the fact that WWE is doing stuff that's actually got ESPN talking. And again, one of my favorite things about wrestling, pettiness. And so I'm just being petty. But I thought it was great. And I also don't understand all the people who are saying that they hate it. I'm not here for it. I'm not interested in it. You don't want to see Adam Cole, who you guys consider to be one of the greatest wrestlers in our current generation, beat the shit out of a dude who blindsided him with a kick, got a cheap shot in. You guys don't want that? Because I want to see a real athlete beat the shit out of Adam Cole. So we both have reasons to sit down and drink beers and watch that show and yell at it.
Oh yeah, I'm here for all that bullshit. Give
Yeah.
it to me. Inject that shit into my veins.
Wrestling
dude.
always is a couple things you don't want, and then you have other segments to get to, and there's always the dumb celebrity thing, and it's usually pretty fun.
Oh yeah. Do you remember when the Muppets were on Raw? It turns out Beaker is Sheamus's cousin.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That's canon.
that's canon.
That's kayfabe.
What's up? Nothing. What are you upset about? Wow, producer's all mad at me. I didn't even fart this time. I don't know what I did. Can't win for losing, you know?
Wow. Can't win for okay. I don't think that's how that goes.
What? No, that's what it is. But that's so. After having taken over and been raided and subbed and all that, I don't mean to do that. Do you guys have any input on the Adam Cole thing? We'll start with Aaron. Adam Cole, Pat McAfee, go.
What I'm excited for the crossover. I like the fact that they're actually choosing somebody who's not. I don't consider Pat McAfee that famous.
Yeah.
It's like it's just what they happen to have access to, and they're using him well. Using a punter for kicking is brilliant. You know,
Did you
like
guys see
that's
his
like
training video?
no.
I'll send it to you guys on the side. He's like doing a bunch of shit in the ring, just trying to prepare, and it's kind of fun to watch.
That's great. No, I think it's great.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder if he's actually like a real wrestling fan, which I think he is, and I think that's also fantastic. I don't know, like
Is.
yeah, is he?
100%.
That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah, 100%.
He was on kickoff for WrestleMania. There's no way you're going to be on the kickoff show for WrestleMania and you didn't fucking die to be there.
It's true. Yeah, and he's doing all this now. Like it's cool for it's like I'm watching him have his dreams come true. Realistically, it's not like when WWE is like, I think we can get. Mike Tyson's the wrong name to pull. I'm just trying to think of like a weird celebrity pull where they've gotten it, like a David Arquette or something, where it's like, no, this doesn't necessarily work. We're kind of forcing David Arquette in this scenario. Like, no, this is like really fun for Pat McAfee. Hopefully fun for Adam Cole. If not, he's doing a great job for the company for it. And that's, I don't know, like this is like a win-win-win-win-win. Everyone wins.
100%.
Yeah, I'm super into it. I'm very much looking forward to this whole angle shaking out at SummerSlam or wherever they're going to do it.
It's got to be SummerSlam, right?
Give it to me. I'm ready.
They already said they're going to do it at TakeOver 30.
Okay, fine.
McAfee,
That's cool.
yeah, 100%. And fuck, I'm so here for it. You know how many Adam Cole matches I've given a shit about? Oh my
2?
God. Fair Oaks lighting us up right now. Are we getting the animations? Are they playing?
Yeah, they're not. They don't have the tag of the names. They just have subscribed and then the animation.
All right, we'll have to fix that. But as long as we're getting the animations, I put a lot of effort into those. I really want people.
Yeah,
to
those
see
look
them.
great.
Yeah. It's real quick. There we go.
Oh, and then the air horn goes. Oh, did you have to unmute that thing? Yeah, we got an air horn for subs and stuff. It gets
Funny, I
wild.
got a.
Oh my God, it's gonna keep going.
That's great. Let it keep going.
Yeah. No, you gotta let it go. You gotta let them go. Because if you got follows, that makes like the sound of ice going into a cup, and if they just do bits, it'll make the sound of a beer can opening. Like,
Oh,
it's a thing.
Nice.
Hitbox subscribe. Thank you.
Yeah, all the subs. I love you guys. I agree with you, Aaron. Them using Pat McAfee, I thought was such a good thing because he doesn't come off as like a super celeb, and it comes off that whole other thing. And there goes. And can you guys hear that on the Zoom call?
No, not on the Zoom call.
No,
Okay.
I just hear a car alarm outside.
That's funny.
There was a clinking of
We can hear the sound effect of the ice on it. It's funny.
That's funny.
They said that they're going to do it at TakeOver 30, and for me, I haven't cared this much about an Adam Cole match in almost ever. His first match, I was super excited for it because I'd heard so much about him, and then I saw it and I was like, okay, cool, this guy's good, I get it. And then his next match was largely the same, and I go, oh, okay, I guess maybe that's his style. And then the next match after that was largely the same, and I go, oh, is this what we're going to get now? Is this just it? And I don't think Adam Cole's ever had a match that was not predictable, that you couldn't see how it was going to go, and that you definitely didn't know how it was going to end. And I think that McAfee and Cole is all those things. I have no idea what this match is going to look like. I don't know how it's going to end.
It's going to be short.
It could go either way. It could go a bunch of different ways.
I apologize.
You don't get
guys.
somebody with this amount of training and give them 20 minutes.
I don't
That's
think
true.
I don't think the viewers could hear that, which is bizarre.
They can't hear it?
Well,
Don't think
they-
the
a bunch
show.
of
Oh,
them
you guys can hear
No.
that?
Aw.
All right, we'll have to figure out what's
We
going on with
gotta.
that.
Yeah.
Just the punt kick and
But
done.
thank.
Yeah,
but
hell yeah,
thank you.
Leander.
Yeah, actually, yeah, I would be there for that if
And he's
He just
actually an Adam
legit-
Cole fan.
if the bell rang and Pat McAfee runs across the ring and somehow punt kicks Adam Cole like right in the stomach and he just like flips over and gets the pin.
Or,
You just want a one-move match all the time.
I was gonna say too, since he's not really interested in getting a win per se because he's not in the business, he should just go across the ring and punt him in the dick,
Yeah.
like as hard as possible.
Immediately
Oh,
the
that'd be
bell
great.
rings.
Gets
ding,
disqualified.
Ding, ding. Blood
Yeah.
capsule. Blood capsule.
You
that.
just watch Adam Cole's eyes pop out of his
Oh,
skull.
I'd love that. Yeah, if he started spitting out blood because he had kicked the dick so hard.
Mhm.
That'd be the greatest 2020 moment of my life.
Oh man.
It would be the best face turn I think we've ever seen. People talk about it for ages. They're like, remember when Adam Cole got kicked in the dick so hard he bled and became a baby face? And I'd be like, oh, yeah, I remember that.
And he can sign 8x10s of him getting kicked in the dick for the rest of his life.
I would only want that picture signed by him, yeah. They bring up a good point in the chat. I mean, in Raw Underground, we had someone get their dick ripped right off. Why couldn't Adam Cole just have his
That's true.
clean off?
Raw Underground. We'll get to that later. I was
Yeah.
We're
surprised
gonna
by
get
it.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that. But again, I do think that with this match, we don't know what we're get. We don't know what it's going to look like. And I think for me, that's exciting for an Adam Cole match because typically we kind of get it. It's going to be a good match. It's going to be this kind of style. It's going to be this many minutes. This is the finish. It's how it's going to end. Even so much as saying Adam Cole losing, I think we all saw that coming a mile miles away too. It's like, oh, this
You
is
know
where
what's
Adam Cole's gonna
interesting?
lose. Go ahead.
We might be able to watch Adam Cole have the most fun he's had in a match in a long, long time.
That's true too. That's true too.
Because he can really let loose. There's no reason to put stress on this. He's doing a novelty thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of in the same bag. He doesn't really have to worry about this match in terms of winning it. He just has to have a weird, fun time with it, and I'm here for
Yeah,
it.
just an inside joke for him and Triple H to joke about. for years to come.
Just to pop the boys in the back. Why not?
Yeah, 100%. Chop,
Such
anything
good
else you want to
shit.
say about this match? The segment, even?
I'm good. I think we covered all of the things I wanted to talk about.
I think so too. I apologize. I was just so excited for this one. This one really had me hyped up for all.
Oh, it was
week
great.
long.
I mean, that's why it was
Yeah.
in my top. It's probably the top of my top 5 this week because I
Oh,
really
wow.
enjoyed this whole
I didn't
segment.
rank my 5.
I didn't rank them,
I
but
don't-
going back and looking at through my notes, I'm like, you know what?
Mhm.
That was probably my favorite thing that I saw this week, just because
Yeah.
I enjoy goofy bullshit like that.
Yeah, I don't rank them either, but I do think that if I had to, that this probably would have been number one, and everything else would have been like variations of this is hard to pick. It's hard to. I don't know who should be 2, but it's
Oh,
like,
interesting.
definitely Adam Cole being kicked to death, and Pat McAfee giggling about it on his way out. Dude, when he gets to the door and goes, "Real professional place you run here."
I loved it.
Oh my god.
I loved it.
There is some chat we're gonna hit on. Let's see, the old twist stick, Underground. Imagine Cole losing to a former punter. Yeah, but you have to have the other wrestler to follow as well. Does Pat even have some wrestling experience, or have to have the other? I just wear spandex and yell at myself in the mirror. Does that count? And it does. But Pat McAfee doesn't have wrestling experience that we've seen. He got drunk one night like a couple years back and bought a ring and had it put up. And so he has this ring in his house area. And so he's had that for who knows how long. And
That's incredible.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah,
Can
you imagine being that that rich that you're just like, I'm drunk, I want a wrestling ring.
I know a dude who builds wrestling rings for about $4,000. And every
It.
time I look at my bank account and think I'm saving up for the future, I go, or hear me out.
There is a wrestling ring in my friend's neighborhood that we're all aware of. Somebody went ahead and bought one and put it in their backyard, and we're all very aware that it's there, and we're invited to play with it, and we're all afraid to.
Not me, man. 100% of the time, that guy's called me and said, "Hey, I got people training and I need a body for them to throw. Can you come on out?" I'm like, "Yes, yes, I will be there."
Oh, I'm gonna get so hurt.
Actually, GR Lunar, who's usually in the chat, he's the first person I did training with, and while we were there, we were trying to work on all these different things. Like, all right, you want to work on your lockup? I was like, yeah, I'm more of a ref. I don't really need to work on my lockup. I was like, but if he wants to keep putting me in headlocks and shit, that's cool. And they're like, okay. And he's like, murdering me. It was long before I ever farted on him, which changed our relationship drastically. But
Did I hear a fart right now?
I wish.
Okay. Sorry, I thought I heard
wish
an
this
audible
mic-
fart.
No.
Like on
My
cue.
chair on this-
Oh, good.
No, he got it hopefully all out before the show.
No, it's not all out. I can promise you that.
I've known Chris
If
for
I
a
sit
long
up
time.
straight
It's
enough.
never been empty.
Yeah, it's never quite empty, just enough to let
pretty bad.
the
Yeah.
the pressure.
He's always got a fart for a rainy day, that guy.
It was quite
Yeah.
bad.
Let's see. What was the other thing? Oh, we have seen Pat McAfee. So he has this ring that he owns. We also have seen him training. There's a video that came out recently. Actually, Pat McAfee's Twitter has it, where he's training. The only problem I have with the training video is he does like a standing moonsault, and then he jumps from the ring to the top rope, and then he does a moonsault off of it. And I just wish that was the kind of shit that we wouldn't have seen prior.
I was just gonna say, could you imagine him busting that out in the match? And you're like, oh
Yeah.
shit.
You'd be like,
we're about
"Wow!"
to.
But I also think that if he's playing it up now, that he's flashy, I kind of hope that if he loses, which I really don't want him to, but he might have to. If he loses, I want it to be him going for a flashy move, like we've seen him practicing, and then just get rocked. You know what I
want
mean?
to see him hit that Phoenix splash.
Like when Brock Lesnar effed up his splash.
Oh
Yeah. His
the
oh
shooting
my
star.
god, I just had the name in my mind too.
Shooting star, yeah.
Shooting star press, yeah. And that's just it too. He was doing these flips, and I was like, "Was that a shooting star press? Fucking McAfee, stop! Like, you gotta save something."
Triple H should tell him to not reveal any of that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, oh wow, Full Spectrum Odyssey just showed up in the chat saying hello with what looks like a turtle.
Oh,
Oh, that is,
Oh, no, that's a fart.
100% a fart. That's
That
a
is
fart.
absolutely
Oh.
a fart in the chat. He farted in the chat.
Oh, yeah. It looks like the fart is COVID.
That's
farted like
COVID
5 or
being
6
farted
COVIDs.
out. I was all excited to see him because I haven't seen him since the last time I watched his channel, but I didn't shit my pants in his chat the way he just did. It changes the dynamic.
Yeah, we got to put on face masks now.
Yeah, have you guys seen that video going around of the adult in Sprouts getting mad about the masks here in Tucson?
Of course. Yeah,
God.
that was awesome. He got carried out.
And then he gets carried out. If you listen, as I listen, the
Oh, is that the-
moment that he's picked up and squeezed by his son, he farts.
Yeah,
Farts.
he does.
And
farts.
no one liked my comment that, you know.
That's like, dude, that's the trifecta. You're calling somebody a pussy while you're getting carried out by your son, and it squeezes out a fart.
Our burritos
Yeah.
are the size of
Amazing.
children. Like, they're little
It's
babies.
awesome.
That's
I mean,
true.
fuck that guy, but everything else about that video is amazing.
Yeah, our
Go ahead, Aaron.
burritos are babies, so.
Oh, that was
you
all
know.
I said was that was awesome. And I recognized that Sprouts.
I know, it's
Yeah,
right next to El
100%.
Charo.
Yeah, we think he went to El Charo, goes into Sprouts, gets carted out, and shits himself. But 100% of people who've been in that same situation have shit themselves minutes after eating at El Charo. That's kind of their trademark. El Chardo, we call them at times. I apologize.
Don't apologize. Listen to the producer. She's loving it.
Our family has beef with El Charo.
Hey, I'm gonna get some more water. I'll be back in like 2 minutes.
All right, cool. Put some vodka in it.
I'm gonna grab water too. I'll be back in 2 more minutes as well.
At the same time,
That's a joke. I was kidding.
dude. There was an episode a few weeks back where all three of us, one after the other, was like, "Okay, I gotta go," and so it's just one person talking by themselves, pretending to hand it off to the next person.
That's funny.
It worked out okay.
Shut off his camera while he's gone.
So I think we hit all the Pat McAfee stuff. I'm really excited. Like I was saying before, I don't think we've seen him wrestle, but I think we're in for a treat. I do think that brings us to SmackDown.
Okay, let me get rid of my NXT sheet. Dun dun dun. Yeah. Oh, the only other note I had on NXT, by the way, was just that it was the most boring I've seen Keith Lee ever. But SmackDown.
Yeah. Last week, Keith Lee had a fiery promo, which was out of the ordinary and really cool. I do think that he can come off pretty boring. I've said it in the past, and I don't mean it as a knock, but I think it's something he's going to have to overcome. Is I think he comes off boring just because I've worked with people like him in the IT field, not like him necessarily, but people like he comes off where they're so proud of how far they've come from where they came from that they talk a different way than everybody else, and they're trying to assert and prove themselves to be a certain level of intelligent, and it comes off a little forced.
Yeah, I have met people like that.
100% of the I mean, I've seen them a bunch in IT, and I always get it. When I hear the person talking, I go, oh, you probably grew up in a shitty neighborhood. Like, you're super proud of how far you've come with your education, and rightfully so. But it sounds a little forced, and that's all. And so I think it's something he's going to have to work on or overcome.
Oh, for sure.
That's all. I do like him otherwise, for sure. So we'll get to SmackDown right now.
Boom.
I have one top and one bottom. What do you got?
I have a top and bottom, but they're both the same thing. I both like, but I don't want to. My question is, do I start with Retribution or not? But I have another thing that's not Retribution that I have on my top, and that is I was happy to see Tucker going at it. Like as Otis has become a shooting star, Tucker just gets more and more buried. And I think
everyone said it would happen that way too. So I'm glad that
we all saw it, but I was really happy to see them in a full out match that was really exciting, and Tucker got some great moves in. Like I was really happy to see how not buried he was in this storyline. Like he was able to kind of revive, come back, and be a real wrestling highlight. While they were because we're all waiting for the Mandy moment. We knew she was going to run out. But it was also while we were watching, it was just one moment after the next, you're like, damn, go Tucker. Look at him go. We got to see some
wrestler.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I don't forget. I remember that this was always going to I knew this was going to happen, and I was really happy that it didn't fully happen. When he showed up, I was surprised and happy.
He was a collegiate wrestler. You know where he went to school too, right?
No, where'd he go to school?
ASU, man.
Yep.
Fuck that kid.
Well, now I hate him. Never mind. Get him out of here.
Fuck him. No, fuck him.
So close to liking him.
Yeah, see, that's the whole thing too. When he was out here at Raw in Phoenix, he threw up the ASU symbol. I forget what it looks like, and everyone cheered.
Like
and I was all like, "It does look like the Shocker." That's what it was. I was like, "The dude's trying to, he's trying to do the thing," and I was all like, "Oh, yeah." I was like, "That's you trying to stink me," and I was so mad. Everyone's like, "Woo!" and I was like, "Oh, fuck that guy, man." I hope Otis Genetti's his ass. And I don't mean HBK throws him through glass. I mean beats him with a brick in the back of a bowling alley. You know what I mean?
Make him
Not
disappear.
the first. Eats him like a ham.
Yeah. What did George Shop do? What's that? Is that snap?
Yeah, it's like this.
That's the snap, isn't it? I think so. GR Lunar just popped up saying, "What's up, peeps? We just talked about you 10 minutes ago, dude."
What's up, GR Lunar? Yeah, we talked about some ring stuff.
Yeah, we were talking about you beating me up in the ring.
Doing locks on my brother.
So, Chop, we're on SmackDown. I
Yes.
got one top, one bottom. He said he's got a top and bottom. He said he didn't want to get in Retribution yet, so he talked about Tucker coming out. What did you have written down for SmackDown, if anything?
I have one official bottom and one outside.
As a bottom, I also want to hear your bottoms.
My main is Retribution.
As a top or bottom?
as a bottom. I'm just over it in general. We can get more into it later. And the other one I had was the Miz and Morrison segment where they were talking to Sonya, and they
And
had
Mandy's hair, yeah.
and the googly eyes and all that.
Mhm.
But not just that. Just this
That's a
seems
super
like it's-
top, right?
What's that? No,
That's
no.
a-
This
that's a
is
super
definitely my
top?
bottom. This isn't. This is
Right up your
outside
alley,
my
dude.
bottom.
Dude,
Yeah,
that
you
would have
like
been
goofy
on
shit.
AEW.
I like
Like
the
next
goofy
week.
shit, but this seemed like Sonya was really trying to give off more of a serious tone and vibe to this story, which I think is a little bit better.
And
Even
everyone
though
else
they're
was
surrounded by goofy characters. So I wish it had just been a little bit more on the even serious side.
So when Mandy's hair with the googly eyes goes AEW in 2 weeks, are you flipping your
Oh
story
yeah,
on
I'm gonna
this?
pop for that for sure because I'm a show.
Oh, there we
yeah.
go. Thank you.
I'm gonna do this while we talk about Miz TV. I'm gonna.
Yeah,
put
Miss
on that
TV
segment.
was awful, and I loved it for that. I was laughing, and it was probably the funniest I can think of Miz being, because Miz tries to be funny all the time, and I hate it.
I generally just
Wow.
don't like the Miz anyway. So he's
Yeah, I don't
usually
like
You
him either.
somewhere
thought
on the
this was
bottom floor.
funny, dude?
Yeah,
Wow.
I did. I laughed.
Producer here, I normally actually like The Miz because of how dumb he acts. Like, I know he doesn't actually believe it,
Yeah.
which is what I think is
I
kind
feel
of
like
funny.
he believes it.
Yeah, but
I believe
this one, I couldn't even stand to watch it.
She said this is the worst I've ever seen the Miz, and I like.
No,
it.
I heard every
And
word
also-
she said, and you know what? I mean, I'm not disagreeing with Michelle. I understand that this is like when I watch a horror movie that costs $1,000 and you can see all the strings and they're running out of blood, so they have to use it over again. It was like that level of like entertainment where you're like, this is so bad, and this is on TV nationally for millions of people to watch.
Yeah.
This is the best The Miz can do for me.
It almost felt like they were trying to like intentionally butcher the like whatever Sonya was going for. It seemed like
Yeah, no, and
oh
I'll give
man, let's
give Chop
give her
that.
the Miz, see how she works through that. Like
Yeah.
that's kind of how
Good
bad it
fucking
felt.
luck, kid. What?
Yeah, exactly. No, she was thrown to the sharks, and she did try to make a good segment out of it, and they
You know what it
did shit
reminds me
on
of?
it. But I enjoy good trolling.
When I was in New York, I went to a big New Year's party that was a variety show. There was a band that I knew, and they created this community of artists around them. And I went to see my buddy who played characters, and one of his characters was a children's author who would come out and explain his books. And it was like kind of deadpan and always like, this is definitely not a children's story or heart-wrenching, and you're trying to present it as funny, which made it its own kind of funny. And I remember I was able to see him backstage before he went on for one of the segments. And as we're back there, we see the person on stage pulling anal beads out of their butt with debris. And he turned to me and looked and said, I meant to follow that. And I was like, well, have fun, man. Knock him dead. And I walked back
dude.
out to the audience.
Sounds awesome.
But
Well
it
done.
reminded me of that, where it's all like Miz is out here pulling out anal beads, and Sonya's like, I'm supposed to do something now.
Yeah, no, like that is exactly what it was. But I enjoyed watching that sidetracking of the show. It is the
always
most
feel-
Muppet show of WWE all week.
That's true. Well, because literally they used hair as a puppet. I always feel like the Miz pulls away from stories more than he gives.
Yes, all the time. Miz is awful. He's not a good dance partner.
I will say though, I just watched that. I think that WWE timeline episode that they just put out on the network with Miz and Daniel Bryan. And
Incredible,
that was
right?
really, really well put together. And that
It
made me
reminds
more
you how much
interested in
you
the
hate
Miz than
Miz.
it made me more interested in the Miz than I have ever been.
Whoever put that together
I-
then should win an award.
Yeah. Well, I remember when he cut that Talking Smack promo, and I remember calling
Oh, that was a good
Kevlar
one.
right away and being like, fuck that guy. No, fuck him straight to hell. He's getting in the face of fucking Daniel Bryan. He can't do anything about it. And I was like, storylines aside, heel face aside, this he's breaking Daniel Bryan's heart. And like I still fucking feel bad about it. And then I look back on it and I go, God damn it. I was like, fucking, God damn it. He may have got me. He may have got me a little bit. He got me so good that time that I still feel about it. When I think about where Daniel Bryan was in his career, I was like, he didn't know if he'd be back. He never know if he'd be back.
Our chat, they're a little surprised. Dork Chop
Our chat's blowing up about Dork Chop watching WWE, and you guys are about to really hear it because Dork Chop's about a gush over some stuff. You don't think he's gonna?
I might.
That doesn't
Yeah, I mean,
mean that
also, by the way, Mandy's hair was not in my top 5. I just happened to enjoy the trolling of the moment. That's what I enjoyed.
Right.
I wasn't like, oh, you know what? We got to bring up that it's going to be great.
You know
Her chopping
what I also
the hair
think
and the
that
haircut.
with Twitch, they talk about being rated, and I think that's never been more accurate than tonight when we got rated by the AEW and Shill chat room as we talk about WWE. Okay, so I had 2 things on my bottom. I had Bray Wyatt, which was talked about in our chat here. La Leyenda said the Alexa Bliss and Fiend segment was meh, and then said, wait, Dork Chop watching WWE and lost his fucking mind, and said he praised for him. He said he was WWE till the pandemic. What? You're missing all the best stuff, man. My problem with it was this. Bray interrupted by Braun for a lame promo. Bray and Alexa, whatever's going on there, is incredibly compelling. And I get that maybe they want to stretch it out, but it also had me think, right? So she starts to like Beauty and the Beast this guy. She goes, well, maybe he's not so bad. How's the song go, Aaron?
Tales of Old Time, dude?
Yeah, Tale as Old as Time.
Dude.
Yeah. Even though I was skeptical, Lunar said he was until Goldberg, which is true. Once Goldberg won the Universal title, Lunar was out because he knew he'd never see something better. That's all he ever wanted was to see Goldberg win the Universal title. And when he did,
that's when wrestling finally peaked.
Yeah, that's to him the greatest thing that could have ever happened in wrestling.
And then he's like, I want to learn 3 wrestling moves as an adult.
Yeah, and now there's a Goldberg figure that comes with the Universal title. Well, guess whose birthday's coming up? So, Lunar, I mean, obviously, once you see the only thing you've ever wanted in wrestling, it makes sense that you might check out a little bit. But, I think the story, the Beauty and the Beast thing going on with Alexa and Braun is really compelling. I think that Braun showing up and saying, I don't care about Alexa Bliss.
That was weird.
Was kind of really weird. I was like, what? The whole point of this is that you do, right? But then it made me think. So one, Braun cuts this childish promo of I'm a monster and I'll be a monster and I'll be mean and bad and brr. But he did nothing or said anything that made you think that. But what if we end up in a scenario where Bray puts Alexa in danger to get Braun to give in to the Fiend and let him in?
Well, that's clearly what's about to happen. They're leading to that.
Right. Yes, but in that, what if Braun doesn't give in? Where at first I was saying last week, I went on forever about it. Braun gives in, joins the Funhouse. Alexa turns around, boom, I'm also in the Funhouse. Fuck you, dude, we're doing it. What if Braun doesn't and says, yeah, fuck you, dude, let her be murdered? Maybe there's a whole bunch of Pat McAfee's on the other side of the fence. I don't know. And then Bray stops the match or runs from the match to save Alexa, saying, I can't do this.
Oh.
And then you have a
We can see
connection
a little
between
bit of
Alexa
heart.
and Bray. Yeah.
I am curious to see if she becomes Sister Abigail.
I don't think she'll become Sister Abigail.
I was hoping. 'Cause they dressed her
I
up
think
like
she
Sister
might
Abigail.
become Lexi. I think we might see a Lexi character. We might even see a Miss Bliss specifically and see a little bit of a dichotomy there, a little good and evil.
That'd be interesting, but I don't know. Like watching her interact with this, you kind of go, but what does she become of this though? Like further down she goes with this, what does she become, a manager?
No, she can become a fucking creature of the night. She become a fucking demon. She could become
If
what
she
we always
stays
thought
in the
Nikki
title
would be.
picture. Oh, that'd be good. As long as she keeps wrestling. I'm afraid that this is like straying her from actually wrestling.
No. I think she becomes the female presence in this fucking crazy fucking world. I think. I mean, I don't know. I'm not writing there. They should be listening though. Bruce.
I don't
What's
know.
up, pal?
I think that could be interesting, but I don't know if she's really menacing enough for that. She's too much on the
I
the
think she's got
cutesy
acting
side.
chops for.
I mean, yeah, I do. I think she's got acting chops, but I just think she's just because unless they drastically change her look, which I don't think they will because her look
Why not?
sells.
Well,
Here's
yeah,
what
but
I'm
they
thinking.
could also sell a little gothic girl too.
I mean, that's
Here's
true.
what I'm thinking. I got you, Chop. I got you right here. They give her some of that fucking Darby Allin face paint.
Oh, there you go.
Exactly.
Boom. Darby Allin starts going by 5 feet of fury because they don't know what to do over there.
Oh my god.
And Alexa becomes the half undead. Yeah. And you know what it feeds into? My love of pettiness.
There you go.
Feeds
I love
right
that.
into it. I would love it. I would love if they're all like, oh, you think Darby Allin's a badass? Well, the shortest girl on the roster we have could probably look similar.
That's hilarious. I'm into it. I say go for it.
I feel like
I'm just
any-
excited to see the Fiend actually have a real wrestling match again.
How great have they protected the Fiend? It occurred to me today.
They protected
He's
him
been
for an
around for a
entire
year.
year.
A year they've done it.
Yeah.
And what did
It's been
everyone
protected
say
the
on his
entirety of
debut?
time. Hope they don't ruin it.
Oh my god, I hope they don't ruin it. I hope this goes on for at least a year. We haven't even seen that fucker since Mania. They've done such a good job of protecting the Fiend.
I feel like any
Well, because they almost
quick here.
destroyed
Yeah,
it with
real
Hell in a
quick.
Cell.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Oh,
that's the
yes.
one major hiccup, but other
That
than that, I
and
agree.
Saudi Arabia, which obviously
Oh,
never
yeah.
actually happened.
that
Yeah,
doesn't
that
count.
doesn't
That's
count.
not canon.
Didn't happen. No.
any new
Producer, go.
any new look you give Alexa Bliss, I feel like is going to be gold because of her acting chops. I feel like she'll just sell it, and also her fan base loves anything she does.
Oh yeah.
Anything. So even as much as we didn't even like the Bliss Cross applesauce thing,
Yeah.
I felt like that was actually still getting marketed, and I was shocked. But
Yeah. I hated it. I was like, wow, this is stupid. And
Yeah.
then there's T-shirts. And
yeah,
people
people
loved
loved
it.
it. I was like,
roll with it, I
oh,
guess.
okay.
Yeah, she can sell stuff like Enzo, where it's just like it doesn't matter if it's good or bad. She's selling it.
I hate you.
Yeah. I'm sorry,
You
man.
see that
Enzo
new fucking
sold.
Mandy shirt?
Oh
did not.
yeah.
It's a can of peaches.
No, his is a ham. Hers is a can of peaches.
Oh well, his makes sense.
Yeah.
I guess I kind of understand where they're going with her, but it's not like she's out there wearing her shirts. She was
That's
out there in
true,
like
too,
a
so I
white
guess
tank
they
top
can-
today,
She
or
will
like
be
this
soon.
week.
Yeah. All right, so that's all I had about SmackDown, except for Retribution, which we can start to dig into, unless there's something else you guys want to talk about that wasn't Retribution.
They still love women barefoot.
Women are still barefoot, but that happened on Raw.
Yeah. I feel
Not
like
on
there
Raw.
was something on SmackDown, no?
Oh, Mandy was barefoot on
Yeah.
SmackDown.
Yeah.
But that was the
Someone-
week before.
Okay.
Somebody on
Somebody.
creative is a big proponent of Wiki Feet. And that much we
Yeah,
know.
you said that last week, and I agree
Yeah,
with you.
Quentin Tarantino directs half of the episodes.
Yeah.
I'm pretty convinced at this point.
There's absolutely nothing someone can tell me that there's not someone high in creative who isn't also a major contributor to WikiFeet or was maybe once a major executive at WikiFeet.
Dude, no, you know what? I swear to God, it seems like they make some of these women do some things just to make sure they're all on WikiFeet as well.
Yeah, 100%.
You know,
They've been
I've
doing
definitely
some legit
noticed.
WikiFeet.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and when I see it, I'm always like, God damn it, who is it? I tweeted at Conrad Thompson to find out if it's Bruce Pritchard. I said, have you seen his search history? Does he frequent WikiFeet? He didn't respond to me. But I will say this. I positioned and I proposed a podcast, and anyone here listening, retweet it. It's
called
easier to find on
WW
Instagram.
WikiFeed.
No. I said it's me interviewing Conrad Thompson, and it's called How in the Hell. And it's all about breaking down his life and how the fuck he got to know every fucking buddy and live the greatest wrestling fandom life that's ever been. And he liked it. And I made a graphic. And the How in the Hell is spelled like Hell in a Cell, and it's really funny. You should take a
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that sounds good.
But the only
That's
other thing
great.
I had talked about was Retribution. Are you guys ready to talk about Retribution, or is there something else you want to hit before then?
No, I'm ready to talk Retribution.
Could I just go through a couple of quick things?
Yeah, let's hit it.
Just I won't take up too much time. Just that Cesaro was awesome. I always love to
Incredible.
see Cesaro.
Hmm
That setup, probably what's going to be an excellent match with him and Nakamura versus the Luchas, which is going to be
Yes.
a barn burner, probably, and fun.
Yep.
A
Doesn't
great
really
kickoff
have
show.
doesn't really have any meaning, but it's just going to be a fun match.
I love everybody involved.
Right, exactly.
100%.
And that was the only match of the night that didn't end in some sort of DQ or screwy finish. So it was the
what's your
only clean win.
It was the only
It was
AEW
interesting.
ending.
The only AEW ending. Yeah, that's why I liked it so much.
Oh yeah.
And then just some of the Sheamus antics all night, since him and Riddle and Corbin were kind of going back and forth all night. It seems like they're kind of positioning Sheamus to go babyface again already, which is kind of weird.
I can't tell really what's going on in that storyline
It's
other
it's
than
on the fence.
everyone
It's just
involved-
very strange.
everyone involved is a tremendous wrestler, and I think we're going to get some really great matches, but
Agreed.
I don't know where the end game is for sure. Which is
That's
part of the
the-
reason I'm curious.
That's Cesaro and Sheamus' whole career. I feel like neither one of them ever really had an end game. That's why, like, when they were in the bar together, you're like, oh no, we put them in a limbo. Like they're in a very successful limbo.
Oh, yeah. I thought you meant
And now that
the
they
bar
put
fight. I was like,
Cesaro,
dude,
no, I like the bar fight. No, and then when Cesaro did his, now that he's tag teaming with Shinsuke, I was also like, but Sheamus is still backstage. There's no, are we not going to ever mention the fact that Cesaro's most probably successful thing since Paul Heyman is still standing just 15 feet behind that curtain?
yeah. And I loved in the promo, one of the promos that Jeff had, I think he talked about the bar when he was talking about Sheamus. I love that too. When they were, I think, in the bar fight. But I also really loved Sheamus's new look with the suspenders and the wife beater and all that shit. Like, I wanted him to keep that, and he did for the week after for a promo. But this week I didn't really see him in it, and I want to see him wrestle in that shit more. Like, I want him to just be a Peaky Blinder. Fucking do it.
I'm kind of into that too. He looked like some reject from Gangs of New York or something, and I was fucking about it.
All about it. I was all in. I was like, if we're gonna do some crazy shit and have dinosaur luchas and all that stupid shit, we can have a fucking Peaky Blinder walking around.
Oh yeah.
I'm into it.
Yeah. What was your other thing, Chop?
That was pretty much it. Just the fact that Sheamus, is kind of being positioned to go kind of back towards the babyface side with him
weird, yeah.
going up against Corbin and him taking out Shorty G after the interference in the Riddle match and stuff. I just think it's
so
interesting.
mad every
Curious.
time they say Shorty G.
I know. I didn't mean to. I
Yeah.
even have Chad Gable written down in here in my notes, but
Thank you.
yeah, it's just habit. At this
Former
point.
Olympian.
They got me.
Show
The
some
fact he
respect.
fucking wrestles in goddamn basketball.
Drives me
And
crazy.
He's not anymore. I think they changed it.
They took off the jersey top, but he's still in the fucking shorts like he's Angelo Dawkins, except a lot less pudgy and a lot less fart bag. Sorry, I have feelings about Angelo Dawkins.
He does that twirl.
He twirls. Dude, Angelo Dawkins wrestles like a kid on a trampoline.
Yeah, it's fun.
All right, Retribution, let's get into it. Dork Chop, you want to explain why you're so wrong on this?
I put this on my top 5 and my bottom 3. So
Fair.
Yeah, I think we talked about it a little bit last week. Well, no, in the lead up to this week when it was actually happening, I think on Friday night, me and you were talking on the Discord, Marsh,
Yeah.
just about what was going on. And on Friday night, I was more into it than I was by Monday when Monday rolled around.
100%.
But which we can get into later. But the Friday night section, I actually did partially enjoy. Just I don't know if using current event storylines, especially ones that are so charged as this one, is a good idea. It feels like it's going to blow up in their face one way or the other because, their audience is going to come down on the fence one way or the other on that issue. So it's just, I don't know. It just feels really weird and I just don't like it,
I felt
especially
like on
knowing
Friday,
where Vince stands politically as well.
Well, we won't get into Vince politics, but I do feel
Exactly.
that
I don't want to bring
we
that
all
up,
say that we know how Vince feels about things, and I don't think we do, and I think he's a lot more complex than we give him credit.
but that's true.
I also
100%. I agree with you on that, but
I also think that he
circles that he runs
leans
in.
right, definitely for a degree, but it's a pretty liberal company when
yeah,
you look
but
at
the
it.
dude
and I
also
think that it's
loves
hard to
Martin
say.
Luther King.
Yeah, every year, man. But
Yeah.
I just think he's more complex than that. But given that, my Vince McMahon apologies aside, I felt during the Friday night with Retribution coming in, raising hell, chasing Michael Cole with a bat, which who hasn't wanted to see that? Corey Graves almost having his head caved in with a bat, which feels so sweet to the lips. Like, so good. And them having women in this faction who clearly attack another woman, but clearly the women
that was
are
startling
involved in
to
here.
me.
Yeah. But I felt like that coming with a live chainsaw and cutting the ropes.
Yeah.
I
Loved
was
it.
way more into the idea that they were towing a line very well. Where by Friday, I thought they kind of weren't towing the line as well anymore. Or by Monday, I felt they
Yeah.
weren't towing the line as well anymore. But we'll get into that. But
I agree.
on Friday, this was one of my favorite things.
It's exactly what I had written. Was it Friday? I was so over the moon and excited, and by Monday, I feel like they didn't. They needed to progress the story, and instead they just kind of just broke more shit. Which I love breaking shit. I love watching shit get broken. They can break a door and they can cut the ropes every week. I'll be excited every time, but I really need more from them now. And I haven't gotten it.
Yeah, the sizzle from the chainsaw and the yelling and screaming and the spray paint and all that stuff.
Oh yeah,
I
and the
was into
security
it.
cam angles, like
Yeah,
all
I
that sort
was-
of stuff. We're like, oh yeah, our cameramen have left. We're now only showing security footage. So smart.
So good.
They did nothing to build on that on Monday. In fact, they felt like they almost took a step backwards.
100%. I was going to say they did it in reverse. Real quick, I'm going to hit the chat room because Fair Oak, who deserves our attention, if you like our podcast and you want to be a part of the podcast, like Fair Oak is right now, you can go to WrestlingOnTheRocks.com and find all of our links on social media. You just got to be when we record on Twitch. Fair Oak asks, do you think Vince politics are part of the persona, or is there a chance it's more complex than that? Fabchina says they believe it's more complex. Farrock says it's a very complex topic. No reason to solve world issues, though. 100%. But what I do want to say about that is the reason I said what I said was because taking a step back, which is kind of how I watch most things, is I take a step back and just kind of really look at it from afar. I think Vince is a very smart businessman and has self-interest at heart. I think that he knows he can change his vote. I think he votes for what's best for his business. But I also think he's putting out a product for what he thinks, in a sense, might be best for the world. And he's very attuned to what the world is saying and doing. They've always said that they presented a product that was on par with what was happening in the world. You could almost watch an episode of Raw from any given year and kind of know what was happening in the news at the time. So I don't think he's blind to it. I don't think that he's extreme on it. I think that he votes the way that's going to keep the most money in his business. And I think he lives a way that's not necessarily attuned to, I mean, I don't know, but he lives in a way that is how he feels is right, but he votes a way that how he's going to protect his business. That's kind
I
of what
agree
it
with
looks like
all
to
of
me.
that. Although we do have to keep in mind that he's friends with the president now. So like that
would you not
definitely-
be?
I mean, under his circumstance,
Yeah.
under
given
his
the
circumstance, I
opportunity to be
understand.
friends with the president.
I get it. No. I would. That's the. Yeah, I get what you're saying. If Aaron, could be friends with Donald Trump tomorrow, I'm not sure I would. But if Vince McMahon, could be friends with Donald Trump in 1983, I would. And then come down 40 years down the line, that guy was also the president, and you've known him the entire time. I get it. I totally get it. But that's why I'm
And-
also just like, he's not going to be a swing vote this time around.
Oh, for sure. I think we all know where
Yeah.
he's going, but I think he's
Yeah.
trying to protect his business more than anything. But
Oh
I
yeah,
also think that
he invests in more anti-Vince shit than I ever really imagined.
yeah. But I think that to just throw in a layer of complexity with all that, when Vince partnered with Trump in WrestleMania, it was like 2 and 4, or was it 3 and 5? He was in a financial limbo, and if Trump had given Vince the deal that he got, and if Vince hadn't worked with Trump, there's a possibility WWE would have gone out of business. So I think that Vince has also always shown a respect for loyalty to a degree where, from a business standpoint, Donald Trump's business relationship with Vince saved his business and made him a billionaire. So I think that there's a level of loyalty he feels he has to provide to Trump almost regardless.
Very much. I agree with all
Which-
that.
Which I think is a level of complexity, not a level of excuse.
That's how politics works, baby.
But like Fair Oak said, no reason to solve the world issues tonight. That's just how I feel about it because I don't listen to everything Meltzer says.
It just
and mine.
made, the more I thought about it, the more it just made me uncomfortable. That's really all it is. And especially by the time Monday night rolled around and they're really hammering it in with flipping cars over and all that kind of shit.
They flipped the
It's
car,
just
they
hard
broke
not
the
to
glass.
Yeah, it's hard not to see it as just the, you know, that version of what's going on in Portland and around the rest of the country.
Which is also weird because I would have thought they would have done it differently, right? Because on Friday they got in.
Yeah.
On Friday they were in. So
That's what I'm
you'd
saying.
think
That's the reverse. Is that they should have done all the external kind of lesser than damage, and then built to destroying the ring, which is more significant. But they
100%.
broke
It
the
feels
ring,
real
and then
weird.
they were like, "Oh, we also are a terror on the outside." You're like, "Yeah, but you were on the in." You know, like
on the in. And you yelled at a camera. You had a live mic to the national audience. Why did you turn away from that?
exactly. And you also
Tell us
like,
what you want.
I mean, destroyed the ring. What a way to end a show. You
Dude,
know,
I
like
think
you
that's so
can't
fucking
continue
sick.
the show. Yeah, that's what I loved about it. You're like, oh yeah, there's no more left that this ring can do. And then like the next time be like, oh yeah, but we yell outside. You're like, well now you're just a segment in the middle. You're the have to be closer. And so like it was just like, no, and you didn't move your own story along in this either. You just broke more shit. I was so disappointed because I was so over the moon Friday night watching the end of SmackDown.
Yes.
You're like,
And I
yeah,
felt like
just
Raw was a
enthralled.
stutter.
Yeah. No, it was their segment is kind of skippable. If you get to
And Raw, for
Monday
sure.
and you're like, exactly, if someone's like, hey, I can only have 45 minutes to figure out what to watch on all of Raw, you're
There's
like, no, I'm
way
not
more
showing you
interesting
this.
stuff to watch on Raw.
Exactly. Yeah. Then I need to show you the Randy Orton, Ric Flair stuff. Like I can't even or the
match,
Asuka Bayla. Yeah, that was a great match. But it was just like that kind of stuff. You're like, yeah, that's really way more important than what happened here.
Yeah. Oh, that's
That
throwaway
doesn't make
for
sense.
sure. Like I said, it was a stutter. I felt like it came in hot. I felt like the Monday before with the technical difficulties and the fire on the thing, you're like, okay, they're fucking around. They knocked over a box, man. I'm into it.
If they made it only a SmackDown storyline, that would make more sense than it would to just flip over a car and break a window.
Right. But since they're on both of them, you expect progression on both of them, but this felt like a stutter. Real quick, Fair Oak saying, just an addendum, be safe, good energy, and positive thoughts. Thanks for the stream. And 100% Fair Oak, we appreciate you being in here.
Thank you, Fair Oak.
Showing us some love. Absolutely come through anytime. Apologize, didn't see you, but thank you for the gift sub. But yeah, Fair Oak says they're going to lurk around. But again, thank you so much for everything, and come through anytime to be part of the pod. And if you want to be a part of the pod, go ahead and find us on WrestlingAround.com and find all of our links and follow us on Twitch to get the alerts. I did feel that Raw was a complete stutter, but I felt like the presentation on SmackDown was perfect. It felt chaotic. It felt crazy. Here's a thing that I liked that a lot of people are giving criticism about. On Monday, they did all that shit on the outside. New factions coming. Oh my God, they're wrecking shit. They knocked over a box. Charlie Caruso right there live on the scene. Box knocked over. We got it. Then it's like, oh my God, lights flicker. Flickering lights. Music stops sometimes. I got it. I'm in. And then they throw fire on a power surge thing, which is oddly parked in the back corner of a parking lot with one cable. I don't know. It seemed out of place. Either way, damage. I get it. Then you fast forward like a day. They go, we figured out who it was. It's Retribution is what they call themselves. A lot of people were really upset that they announced things about it on social media. What I like about them doing half and half social media with this story is it allows it to be chaos in the moment. No one knows what's going on. It adds a level, although not presented completely in realism, it adds a level of veil of realism of this is chaos happening. This is crazy stuff going on. We don't know how to stop them. And we're getting information slowly. And as we get it, we give it to you too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think
it's great.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, you go ahead. Actually, I think I'm going to go to the restroom real fast. We'll be back, gentlemen.
No worries.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I think that my main issue with this whole thing is just the way that this group is being presented, just their overall look and everything being presented in just that context of the current events that are going on. If it was
Yeah.
just like as a pure wrestling storyline, it's great. And the presentation was great. Dress them any other way so that it doesn't have that obvious allegory. And I think it would be taken a lot better by a lot more people in the first place, myself included.
I don't think it would be a problem if we had even a little bit more information. If on Monday, instead of them breaking a window and flipping a car, they actually got a mic and said, "This is
Yeah,
who we are, and this
give
is
us
why
your
we're here."
manifesto, right?
Exactly. Then we'd say, "Okay, that's why they." You don't get to know who we are. If they'd cut anything like, you know, we're hiding in the shadows because this is where you forced us. If it's retribution because we were promised something in this company and we're never given it, and now we're here to take back. We're here
Yeah,
to
what
set
reason
you
are
back
they here
because
to
you've been
seek
in our roadblock.
retribution?
Exactly. Your reasoning, your like you said, the manifesto. Why are you in the shadows? Why are you covered up? Why are you destroying all this stuff? Any reason you give would be enough reason for me to say, okay, I'm on board for where this is going. But to keep it static, that's when you start to. We don't have a choice but to start to compare it to other things. You
Yeah,
haven't
and that's
allowed
what
us to take on whatever it is.
that's got to be my main issue too, because like you said, without its own storyline, you can only take it as a comparison to what's going on, and that's where it obviously goes because the allegories are obviously there, the parallels
It's
are
right there.
obviously there. So yeah, give me a reason to think otherwise, and then maybe I'll be a little bit better on it. But like you guys said too, they just took a real step back on Monday by having it be just a kind of a whimper, like a fart in the wind compared to their Friday night performance.
Yeah, Friday night was huge. Everyone was talking, and then Monday they're like, they broke a window. That's where they had a live chainsaw 2 days ago. Like the live chainsaw, I think is awesome. I made a comment on Twitter. There's someone who tweeted that they remembered going to school and talking to their friends who didn't watch wrestling that they needed to check out what happened with DX and NWO on WWF and WCW. And they go, now all these kids are going to school talking about retribution. This shit's lame. And I'm all like, DX stuck a flag up their nose. Retribution, or I said DX stuck a flag up their nose and mooned the camera. They walked out naked for a segment. If that's what you were bragging to your friends about, I guess the Retribution should have shown their ass to the camera instead of walk in there with a live chainsaw and cut the ring to bits.
They stuck a big piece of PVC pipe to a Jeep and drove up to an arena and invaded him.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
100%.
And it was wonderful.
But I get it. I get it, but I think that the comparison is a little frivolous. Like, oh, DX and NWO was so real, but this shit's bullshit. One of the number one clips we see of Shawn Michaels is with the Canadian flag sticking in his nose. And with him doing the fucking sock in his fucking shorts. And you're saying that, like, oh, yeah, that was real and legit and awesome. These guys fucking chainsawed a ring.
Everyone thinks what happened when they were watching was the top. Everyone thinks
Yeah.
what their childhood had the best SNL cast. It's just the way people think.
That's true. No one will be better than Dana Carvey. I'm going to live and die by that. I mean, we've already bled into Raw. We might as well get into it because there's really not as much to say here, right?
No, we're
Yeah,
done.
let's
We
go.
finished
Yeah.
SmackDown. We're into Raw.
I only had 3 things to talk about, and they're all on my top. What did you guys have left over on your list?
They're all on my top. I mean, clearly, opening segment with Samoa Joe, Seth Rollins, and Dominic.
Man, how great was that? Surprisingly, that had no business being as good as it was.
No, I never thought Dominic was going to be a part of any storyline that it was worth talking about on this level.
No,
Yeah,
I thought it was
same.
always going to be something we would talk about a little bit. Oh, yeah, Ray's kid's doing some stuff. It's pretty decent. But this was all like, hey, guys, are you seeing what Dominic's doing? Like,
Yeah, exactly. Like
Who would have thunk it?
my friends and I shared that picture that they put on Twitter afterwards of him with all the bruising.
Oh,
Yeah.
they beat the shit out of that poor kid.
I mean, to be fair, he needs to have the shit kicked out of him for
Oh, for sure,
some
but
respect.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
awful. After they tied him up into the ropes,
Yeah,
he took 24 shots with the kendo sticks.
Who counted that? Because WWE Instagram said 30.
I counted it, but that was just after he got tied up in the ropes. That wasn't before.
Oh,
Didn't
that
count
wasn't before. And he took a couple before. So
Yeah, exactly. So I said at least
24 is a
25.
fucking lot with your arms
Yeah.
tied behind your back.
That's
Yeah, but
24
fuck
more
it.
than Alexa Bliss took during the kendo.
And that was
stick
front
match.
to back at the same time because he was getting hit from both sides by Murphy and Rollins. I mean, it was pretty fucking nasty, dude.
Yeah, it was
Dude,
pretty
that was
awesome.
brutal. I felt like it was a pretty public display of paying your dues. I felt like they really wanted to get the "this is Ray's kid" out of people's mouths pretty fucking fast.
Yep.
I also felt like, hey, if your first match is in SummerSlam against Seth Rollins, they need to
Pretty good.
fucking toughen up that skin because you probably got a lot of shit ahead of you.
Yeah,
You know what
no,
I
I was
mean?
thinking about that too. You're like, oh man, you're doing a match at SummerSlam versus Seth Rollins. You got to bring it. You
Yeah.
have to bring it, and he has to like show like some toughness and like there's this like. I'm curious to watch because this isn't going to be all healed up by the time SummerSlam shows up. You know, like
He can't be. Yeah, GL Lunar in the chat. I saw those pics. My God, he's just a boy. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, but like how many years of bumps did they just put on him real quick? Like, fuck, man. I want so bad to know the conversation that Seth had with Dominic before they went out there. From a peek behind the curtain standpoint, he just look at him and like cry a little bit and be like, "I'm so sorry, dude. This is how it has to be done."
I don't
know
think
what I
it's
mean?
like that at all. No, I think that it is like Dominic's like, yeah, you guys are gonna do this and get me some respect. And they're like, oh, we're gonna fucking lay into you and you're gonna get that respect, but it's gonna hurt. And he's gonna be like, yes, please. I think there's no I'm sorry. I think it's like Dominic's like, please, harder. You know,
Do you
like
think they know 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
I bet you they knew 3 weeks ago, and that's why Dominic's like, I better fucking get him in now.
No, I think they knew 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, when he started hitting Seth with those kendo sticks, I bet he was all like, I gotta fucking do it now because in a couple weeks here, this dude's gonna light me the fuck up.
I think 3 weeks ago when he was doing it, Seth is like, get him in now.
Yeah. Hey, tough guy, come here. Let's talk real quick.
Yeah, because I want you to remember, I know you don't look like a wrestler, but me and Murphy here, we can swing a stick around pretty hard.
I know you don't think we're good at baseball. I'm gonna tell you one thing. But yeah, I thought that whole segment. I thought Seth and Samoa Joe's back and forth. Dude, Samoa Joe.
Samoa Joe's a treasure.
Yeah.
Fucking damn it, man.
He's
That
so
dude
good
is
at
next
everything.
level in everything he does.
Yeah, everything.
I forgot, like, when he first showed up, you're like, oh, yeah, he does do the thing. You know, like, because he just, every time they show him on camera, I forget that he's still around. And
Yeah.
then it's just like, oh, thank God he's around. You know, like, we need more Samoa Joe.
So good.
You know what he's better at than anybody else? When the camera just pans over and someone else is talking and he's just sitting there, not talking.
Yeah.
A smirk. They'll get a
Yeah,
little
his
smirk.
reactions off camera is as good as reactions on camera, and it really sells it because every time the camera goes to him, he's already making a great face.
It's
Yeah.
fucking incredible, dude. And then even, like I said, you can't not watch him when he's not the topic of conversation. When it pans to the desk and Tom Phillips is like, I'm so sorry to report this. This is tragic. What's going on over here with Dominic? And then he's just sitting there like, I'll fuck up every single one of you. It's like, look at Joe. He's going to fucking kill somebody.
Yeah, he's probably the scariest.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
my God. I tried to pull it to Samoa Joe today. I think it worked out okay. Producer was setting up,
What?
and she's all like, oh, I'm going to grab the computer. I was like, really? Because it's right here in front of me. And she's like, I meant the monitor. She sets the monitor. I look at her, and I'm all like, do you need the, without even looking at it, pointed right at it, the computer? Like when Joe pointed at Murphy, didn't look at him?
Not have the same
Boom.
effect.
Same effect.
No.
Killed it.
I'm
Nailed it, man.
hearing
Just
that you didn't nail it as
No.
hard as you're telling us you did.
I was expecting
Can
a
you
fart to happen.
mute her mic by any
No.
chance, Aaron?
No, I'm
No,
right
she's
here.
not on the
No?
Zoom. Sorry.
All right, well.
Yeah, well, you did that, and I thought a fart was gonna happen.
But I'll tell you what I
thought
can
about
do.
it.
If you get mad at her, I can just mute Chop anyways, just cause.
No, just mute.
Yeah, there we go.
GR Lunar's asking when's Dominic versus Goldberg, and I'll tell you, that's what's going to take to bring him back. GR Lunar will get the network when Saudi Arabia has Dominic versus Goldberg. Full Spectre says, thanks you guys for the entertainment. I've had to head out now. Wish all the top,
Thanks.
all a top rope stream. Thank you, Full Spectrum, for coming
Thank
through,
you.
man. I'm sure I'll see you soon in your chat. Thanks for coming through, man. Cheers.
Good job. Good job.
Hell yeah! Thanks for coming by, brother.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm glad you had a good time. But yeah, I'm just gushing over Samoa Joe. He's so good at just sitting. He's so good at sitting in his seat, not being the center of attention, and making you think something's about to happen with Joe.
Yeah, that was good. It was a good Raw.
So good.
Because
Yeah,
if we're talking
so-
about that happened, we haven't, Asuka Bailey. I'm not going to jump ahead.
Yeah, and that's just it. I think so. Before we finish, I'm going to say right now, I think my show of the week was Raw. I think there was the most highlights for me from Raw. Aaron, what do you think your
That's
show of the
easy.
week was?
Easily
Easy.
Raw.
Raw? Chop, do you think AEW was the best of the week, or do you not?
No, actually, I'm gonna go with Raw this week as well.
And you don't
Get
typically
a
watch
cheering
Raw,
sound
right?
effect.
No, I don't. But everything that I watched this week, from the Rollins and Mysterio stuff, the VIP lounge stuff, even though the end of that is kind of in my bottom of the night there. Raw Underground was actually really entertaining for me as well. Asuka Bailey and then Orton and KO. You can't really go wrong with any of that stuff. It
felt
had
like
a
a
strong
pay-per-view in its
overall
own way.
show. Yes, it could have lost probably a good hour, honestly. If it was a tighter 2 hours, I think I would have liked it a little bit more. There was some stuff I could have just done without, but other than that, man, it was a
I
great
bet
show.
you it's closer to 2.5 than you think.
I mean, yeah, without commercials and all that stuff, for sure.
No, I meant like I bet you the tight 2 is probably closer to a tight 2.5 than you think.
Yeah. No, I mean,
bet you
you're
if you
probably
shaved
right.
off
The only
enough.
thing I'd really get rid of would be the Andrade and Dawkins stuff, because I don't really care about that storyline. And then
Actually,
the
yeah, that
Ninjas
was
and the
less-
Raiders.
Yeah, Ninjas Raiders was worthless, and Dawkins and Andrade, but I would still keep
Yeah,
Zelina Bianca.
actually, I was about to say everything else I like, but I only like Zelina and Bianca because of their of what happened on Twitch this week. That was more
Yeah.
entertaining than TV. But they didn't even talk about it on TV.
Well, a little bit. She almost did, because she goes, when Bianca attacked me last week, and you're like, that was a couple days ago. She
Yeah.
invaded your home.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Definitely looked like Zelina stole Carmella's kicks.
Actually,
I commented.
those were custom shoes made by what's his name?
Mach.
Machete? Mach?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Aaron, talk about the
MACHE
shoes.
525.
Okay.
He's a dope custom shoe guy that does it for all of WWE.
Really?
Yeah.
The Becky shoes that are on the pop?
Yeah.
These ones? The
Yeah,
little-
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Same
Yeah, he
guy?
painted those. He painted the Black Becky ones that say the man. He painted. He did Zelina Vega's. He does a lot for Liv Morgan. He does.
Mhm.
He did Ronda's shoes for WrestleMania. The ones that look all plaid. Those are actually hand painted. Those aren't plaid.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, they were just white
She
Pumas.
put up pictures of them up on Instagram after the fact,
Oh.
and that's why I saw it. And on the back of it says that Munica stuff or whatever.
Oh,
And then
Yeah,
I really, because I thought the same thing. I was like, those look straight out of Carmelo's wardrobe.
I guess
And then when I
I
saw
shouldn't
him, I
have
was like,
commented
oh.
then.
Well, no, it's totally
Yeah.
fine.
Although Carmella does use a lot of his shoes too, and so does like Nikki Bella and stuff.
Yeah.
I think he started from giving the shoes to Nikki Bella and John Cena, and they've since moved on, really. And he's still providing a lot for the WWE.
He does a lot for
wrestlers.
Kofi. I know he did a lot of Kofi.
Oh yeah,
shoes.
yeah, yeah. He matches Kofi's outfits to the shoes.
Lunar's in the chat saying, I'd be interested if they started to build a WWE champ run for Joe, but wait till the full arena and keep Drew champ throughout the pandemic. I agree. Drew can be a champ throughout the pandemic because no one's there, and I don't give a shit if he ever gets a cheer.
And I
That
thought
is
it was
true.
producer. I thought it was so telling that he wasn't at the top and he wasn't at the end of the show.
Yeah, he was. He closed out the show.
Wait.
You just barely remember it because
Oh,
it was all
damn
about someone
it.
else, but he closed it out.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Sorry,
but-
my bad.
Yeah, I agree. I would take out the Angelo and Andrade stuff, and I would leave in the Zelina Bianca stuff because, like you said, building it on Twitch, fucking brilliant. I thought it was so good. I loved that when it went around.
Yeah.
GR Lunar, I'm sure, also was privy to it. Kayla Braxton had Instagram storied that she was going to be on Zelina's thing. I know GR Lunar and Kayla Braxton, she's unaware, but they have a thing going on, and I thought maybe he'd be watching. But it was really cool, and I thought everyone played it out really well. So I'll give you that. So, with that in mind, Dominic, Seth, Joe, the chemistry between all three of them and Murphy was outrageous. Couldn't
was
believe
great.
it. Joe will murder someone someday, and we'll all forgive him.
What if he murders?
Janetti?
I was gonna say Benoit's
Ooh.
family.
Oh.
Lunar
Well,
says, no, you make it sound creepy.
no,
Sounds stupid.
no, you make it sound creepy.
Stupid creepy.
Stupid creepy. I'm not great at describing things, but I'll tell you right now, I'll get real low, and I'm gonna talk all about how GR Lunar be following Kayla on Instagram.
Stop it.
God.
That's how you get blocked, man.
Yeah.
That's how you get blocked.
It is.
Yeah,
You know what's
Don't
funny
get
too
blocked.
is every now and again I'll even ask, I'll be like, "Did you see her Instagram story today?" And I'll be like, "No." I'm like, "What?" I watched it.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Remember, I had a friend that was like, "I like this Instagram model," and I like looked at the profile. I'm like, "Yeah, I can tell you've liked all of the pictures."
Yeah, there they are. She had a really funny one a couple of weeks back, and I had asked him if he saw it. And he was like, "No," and I was like, "Dude." So
Good.
he's not being creepy.
She said, "I love Big E." That's it. It's-
Oh, that was the other thing. Yeah, she said I love Big E,
Yeah,
and then we
it's
tweeted
moved
like,
on.
"Oh, Gr, at least Charlie's being double timed." So like, I don't know. We're trying to get him someone backstage. So if Johnny
Trying to
Walker
get him
wants
someone
to sponsor
backstage.
It doesn't sound
Like that's
good.
the prize. Somebody backstage. Hey, like at the end of a show, they're like, "Hey, you're his now."
us, yeah. Have you seen his muscles? It's not bad.
No,
Not
I
bad
haven't. Hey,
situation.
Wow.
you know what? Send me your shirtless pics. I'll send them backstage. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, Lunar, send him in.
All right,
Shirtless
Samoa
pics.
Joe. Samoa Joe, the
All right.
Samoan Joe Pesci.
Oh my God, Samoa Joe Pesci. He's gonna break some legs. Okay. Was there anything else about that segment you guys want to talk about?
No, just we all loved it.
It's so good. Outrageous, bro. Making me sound like a ring rat. Let's see. So, all right. What are your other? You had a top, right, Lunar? Not Lunar. Oh my God.
Wow.
I need
Wow.
Guess who needs more Walker?
To be fair, Doorchop Lunar was on the show
I'm
for
leaving.
quite a while.
I'm leaving.
I'm out of this shit show.
He doesn't need us.
Hit my limit. Chop, you had another top, right?
Yes, the final segment, and then I had
Okay.
a bottom as well.
Let's go to the bottom.
The bottom for me this week was the Apollo Crews and Shelton Benjamin match, I believe. After the VIP lounge, which was awesome, because Apollo Crews had a really awesome line that he makes bad decisions because he's a bad man, which almost anybody else would sound stupid, but he made it sound fucking cool.
It was
And
funny
then,
and cool.
And then he also just hucked the couch over the top rope, which is pretty awesome looking.
Yep.
But
Yeah,
then they had
100%.
they had a good match, and then it ends with a surprise roll up, and that's it. And Apollo loses. So after that great promo and looking all great, they just kind of jobbed him out a little bit, and it was the end of
Well,
that. It's like if you're gonna make him a
because he's-
threat, have him go.
They
over
have to
or-
make MVP a threat.
I get it, but if they want to have a
I want
feud,
MVP out of the
Apollo
whole
Crews, you need to have him at least have Apollo Crews win at the surprise roll up. You know, if you're gonna do it with the surprise roll up, if anything.
They have to
You know
make
what I
you
mean?
think the MVP could win the title back at SummerSlam. So that
I'm
way,
just
when
not
Apollo
into it.
wins it, he gets one over. He gets one back on him. Where if Apollo wins every time, it's just a bunch of the same.
thing. Let him squash him.
Yeah, I'm okay.
I
with
just
the
wasn't
squash, to be
into it.
honest. I get it. I understand the storytelling behind it as well. I could see why you weren't into it. But at the same time, it was a clean finish in the middle. Dick.
I mean, you're not wrong
Surprise
about
roll
that.
ups don't count.
That's true. That's not a clean finish. Actually, I think they've done 65 cents March in WWE. Is where the current
Surprise
count is.
roll-ups?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Not a
matches.
surprise,
Perfect.
really. Yeah, it kind of takes the
Yeah, I
surprise
mean,
out
you'd
of
think somebody would scout it by now.
No, that's how you get them, man. We're not paid by the hour, they say. They're paid by the winner's purse. Get
I
it
wonder
up,
how
you can
many
get
of
it,
those 65 are the men. I feel like the women are just there
Are-
tapping out to each other's finishers all the time.
man. Wait, what about... Okay, first off, yes. Secondly, how many of those are 24/7?
Not many. That's not been counted, I don't think.
Okay, I just don't
You're
want
pulling
those
your numbers
counted
from
in the
what
number.
culture, right?
Yeah, I saw
Yeah.
that earlier this afternoon, which I thought was funny.
Yeah, I love
That's
what
pretty
culture.
good. Okay, before we get to Flair Orton, was there another thing that you had, Aaron?
Yeah, I had one. I just wanted to say, like, there's not a lot of discussion on it. I want to see more of that 7-footer guy in the underground.
The guy who's watching the door?
No, the dude who's like, no, the guy that ripped the guy's dick off.
Oh, the Dick Ripper. Yeah, that guy's good, man.
Yeah, I want to see more of that guy. But of course the Bailey Oscar match.
Oh, it was tremendous.
Yeah, that's always going to be a top match of the card.
Exactly. I was watching and they're like, well, this is a pay-per-view worthy match we're watching here.
That's basically all I have written down on there is Asuka and Bailey never disappoint. Looks like a pay-per-view match every time. Can't
Yeah,
wait
exactly.
to see
Yeah,
them
5
again.
stars. Yeah, exactly. There's not a lot to say outside of just gushing over it, but it was just like
Yeah.
gushing over it.
And I'm going to gush just for a second because, to be quite honest, this show wouldn't be a thing and my house wouldn't look this way if it weren't for Asuka versus Bailey to begin with. Watching Asuka Bailey, that SummerSlam, what was it, 2015, I think, in Brooklyn. They were doing the takeover.
Yeah.
That was the same one as the Universal title with Balor and Seth.
Mhm.
I watched that takeover, and the only match I texted a friend about was Asuka versus Bayley. I said, "Who are these two women, and when did they start wrestling like this? What have I been missing?" And then the next night I watched, and I text my same buddy who was at the event about Balor and Seth, and said, "That was crazy. I can't believe a demon just won the title." And I said something like, "I can't believe they gave the title to such a gimmick." And he goes, "You don't know what you're talking about." And I was all like,
Interesting.
yeah. And so then when I looked into it, I said, oh, yeah, because it's different. It's not Gold Dust. He's not always the demon. He tapped into it. So it is different. I didn't know what I was talking about. He was completely right. But if it wasn't for Sasha or Asuka and Bailey at that Brooklyn and that SummerSlam of Finn and Seth, I wouldn't have got back into it. I had stopped watching for over 10 years. And watching those two matches back to back, I pinpoint as those were moments where I said, I need more of this. So anytime they say Asuka versus Bailey, I always go, yep, serve it up.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, and it's
do it
great
again.
every time.
Run it through.
Absolutely great.
inject it into my veins.
I thought that when they announced that was happening, or when Sasha sort of threw Bailey under the bus for that, I was like, perfect, sounds good. And then it happened. Was as good as I hoped.
Keep
Good as always.
serving it up. Serving it up.
But essentially, yep, just a stand for the match.
100%. And it was one of the better matches of the week overall.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
We can dig into Raw Underground briefly. Dabo Kato threw around someone's dick, and Lunar said they've been hanging on to that guy for a while now, which is true. I've seen him for a few years. He's been in NXT, and he's looking like a real threat. I think their usage of Raw Underground is phenomenal. They're putting over new talent. They are reestablishing talent who've been weakened by stories.
Yep.
And
Got Shayna Baszler
they're-
look like a fucking monster on Raw Underground. I loved it.
they made Baszler look like a murderer. Loved
It
it.
was awesome.
Absolutely loved it. I think that anybody who's on the edge of being seen as dominant, they're putting in there and becoming dominant. Anyone who's seen as being weak because of other storylines are being thrown in there and being shown they're a fucking threat. And people you never heard of, you're like, I need more of this. That guy, Arturo Raúz. Oh my God. That was such a realistic MMA fight. It truly was. The way that he was doing it, I got lost in it for long enough to think this looks just like any UFC fight I've seen. I know it wasn't like flashy. There wasn't a lot of wrestling moves, but that looked like ground and pound MMA.
Yeah, there was moments where I'm like, is this scripted? This isn't scripted. Wait, this is totally scripted. You know, like it was like I went back and forth with it,
The
but
first
loved it.
couple shots especially looked like she was beating the shit out of her.
Oh yeah. With Shayna, but we're also talking about Arturo right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that
funny.
one.
I wrote his name down on my little sticky note. I was
The
watching
only
TV.
issue I have with Raw Underground is just like, give me a reason. That's it. Like, just explain on TV why Shane is down there and why this exists. because I don't really know. But as soon as I know, I'm going to think I'm going to be into it because I like it. But I just feel like it needs to have some sort of reason to exist,
I kind of went off. Sorry,
like an
producer.
official reason. A kayfabe
Yeah, no, I
reason.
need a little bit
Yeah.
more, but I'm very happy with where it's at.
Yeah, like I like it. The vibe is very cool.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
aesthetic is just different from the rest of the show, which so every time they flip to it, you're like, oh, good, 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 good.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
just
kind
need
of-
that one little
Chop.
morsel. Yeah,
I
no,
kind of
please.
thought it was
Yep,
more along the lines of what Marsh said, going on the underground prohibition-ish vibe. That when you think about that, like back in the day, who ran those were like mobsters and quote unquote bad guys, or So when I think about this world, I just think, oh, it's gonna be the MVP, like the guys that you think are the bullies, the heels, like. This is their world. So if we're going off of that, then anything kind of goes, right? So that's why
Yeah.
I don't know. That's kind of just what I get. And in that world, I don't really feel like I need much of a story.
I do feel like it's sort of the disenfranchised mid card. Where it's
Yeah,
all
it is.
like,
Yeah,
And I was like, first I was all the people I didn't really recognize fully. And then
Yeah.
it was just like, oh, no, look, there is Baszler and there is Dolph Ziggler, and you're like, oh, okay.
and of
it gives
course
it
Dolph Ziggler
some-
would be in here because he's been pushed around and it should have been me.
Yeah,
But-
exactly.
He doesn't ever get the stories. He doesn't get the respect he deserves. And now here's a fucking fight pit where it's all like, look, man, we're not going to tie you down with rules. Just go in there and fucking make it happen. He can get out the aggression and build his own confidence back almost,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I thought it was really cool.
A space where they can be top dogs in a world where no one's watching.
I also think that it's a space that's believable for someone like a Ziggler who couldn't beat McIntyre in a wrestling match, but could maybe rip someone's arm off or put them to sleep in just a ring without ropes with no rules. Where it's all like, yeah, the rules are what's holding me back, not my ability. And so I
I
think,
think
that
that's
in
interesting for sure.
Yeah.
That,
I would definitely like to see them expand on that, not just with Ziggler, but with some other people too.
oh, for sure. Seeing Eric, Eric from the Viking Raiders, seeing him
Yeah.
knee that dude to sleep.
Yeah,
Fuck, I was there for that.
yeah, that was cool. I would like to see Chad Gable beat someone up and ask to be called
Oh,
Chad
yeah.
Gable again.
Oh, Chad Gable in there would be fucking awesome.
Although
Yeah.
That'd be good.
I was
Give him some
wondering
respect.
if anyone else had this thought. The Dick Ripper guy.
Dick Ripper,
Yeah.
Dabakato.
Someone mentioned online like, oh, that's Joey Ryan's move, and I was like,
What?
is
Fuck
this
outta here.
is this the thing that we're thinking?
This
What?
is not Joey Ryan's move. Joey's
Okay.
Ryan's move was you held my dick and I flipped you with my dick.
Okay.
This dude
Yeah.
is saying, I'm going to rip your dick off until you pass out.
You can't own a
Okay.
dick.
Yeah.
Attacking
Well,
someone's dick
I
is not
feel-
something that's exclusive to one person.
Yeah, but Joey Ryan attacked with his dick powers, not even with
Yeah,
his
no,
dick
it was fun.
itself.
Yeah, but that was a different weird novelty thing. That's different.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want.
Yeah, anyone who said that was a Joey Ryan thing is missing the fucking point. Turn off the TV, deactivate your Twitter, and never come back. That's how I feel.
Is that the same people that can't stand the dancers?
The dancers. What do you guys think about there being no dancers? Do you think it made a difference?
I didn't really notice them one way or the other.
Yeah, I didn't notice that they.
Yeah,
I didn't
because they
pay
didn't
attention.
fucking matter, so everyone can shut
Yeah.
the fuck up already.
Don't care.
It was a thing for
Yep.
6 seconds. Give it up.
I love that Liv Morgan's fighting it though.
I love it. Liv Morgan's all
She's
like, "Can we have
on-
the dancers back next week?"
Yeah, she's on Twitter going back and forth with people, being like,
That's funny.
pretty much being like, yeah, sex. Well, I mean, she didn't say it like this, but she was like, yeah, sex workers make good money. Like,
Yeah, like, why are they not allowed to have a job because they don't do the thing you like? Here's the other thing. As a little side note, there was a lot of people really defending that WAP music video and the lyrics saying, oh, we grew up on this type of stuff, how you've never seen a music video. And a lot of those same people were saying, ugh, those dancers at Raw Undergrounding was real fucking objectifying. I was just having a hard time understanding where they stood.
Mm-hmm.
Those are some
I didn't
PG
see the huge dichotomy that apparently they see.
yeah, those were very PG-13 strippers.
They were not
It was
edgy.
very classic Vince McMahon.
Yeah. But I just loved Raw Underground. I still like it. They put out some shirts for it. I think they're great. I might get all of them. But
What do they say?
They just say Raw Underground.
Okay. All right. Sorry, I thought
Yeah,
there'd be a
fuck
little more to that.
No,
Nope.
not much to it. Simple.
Okay.
Better
Yeah,
than a
I'm
peach
super
can.
into the idea. I really want to see where it goes. I'm very curious. I hope
I think
that
they're doing a
it
great
doesn't
job.
Yeah.
You know what I think
I'm gonna
it
be
does,
very
which
optimistic.
people aren't giving it credit for, is that everyone's been saying that the thing that the pandemic era has given us more than anything is cinematic matches and the greatness that is cinematic matches. But the other thing people complain about is these empty arena matches. But they say that like real wrestling in these empty arena matches have been good. They've put in a few audience members in here. This is right down the middle. This is half cinematic, half empty arena. And they're doing
Yes.
a fucking phenomenal job with meshing those two.
Although I would say more masks, please.
Yes, they could be using more masks. I don't know why they.
Yep.
I don't know why you get fined for not having a mask on in the main performance hall, but you don't
Yep.
in the underground. Other than maybe they're trying to rub it in that it's the underground.
I thought
think
that, but
Maybe, but
then-
also like don't.
Yeah, no need. I don't need that
Yep.
part of the story. I'm not gonna
Agreed.
watch it. See everyone wearing a mask and be like, a lot of rules for the underground. Huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's not
Focusing on the wrong part there,
Agreed.
Shane.
With that in mind, was there anything else you want to say about Raw Underground besides Shayna being a badass?
No.
No, I don't think
I
so.
thought it was great for Shayna.
Yeah, I'm
we
super
ready
into it
to go
as
to
of
the
now,
big thing.
for sure.
Uh,
I love seeing Shayna back on TV looking like a hardcore badass.
Really-
100%.
really into this Liv and Ruby Riot story, whatever they've got.
I'm very curious where they go with Liv and Ruby Riot. I kind of don't know if there's any direction they could take with it that I wouldn't be that interested in. Were you guys okay with how it played out this week?
I wish the match was longer, oddly enough.
Okay.
I feel like those 4 performers can do a 10-minute match. And
Yeah.
they just like give these women tag matches like these 2-minute matches. It's just not enough for 4 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, was producer saying something?
No.
Okay. I was just gonna pretty much agree on that. I not really much to say about it. Just kind of happened and then it was gone.
Yeah,
was
happened
okay.
so fast. And I love the Iconics. So I'm happy they got the win.
You love the Iconics?
Yeah, I love the Iconics.
I'm not into Billie Kay wrestling. I think I would like her more as a manager, maybe,
That's how I feel.
but just not in the ring.
But
Because
it's fine if Aaron likes them.
I notice more, I don't know, like
Also, it's weird
seems
to
weird.
bring that tag team back together to make them lose in 2 minutes.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I think there's more to the Liv Ruby thing going on, and I'm in for it. But
Yeah.
was there anything else that you had about the show before we get into the last segment? I think the last segment was the top for all three of us. Yeah, the Randy Orton, Ric Flair stuff.
Yep. What's
Uh,
for me?
Yeah, I'm so scared of Ric Flair all the time, especially like he's to me is like the guy that's like, I know Kamala just died of COVID, but he's the guy that I thought was going to.
Yeah,
And so to
Yes,
watch him like be in
definitely.
segments where he's like right next to people, pretending to take bumps and all those other things, you're like, yeah, the real world part of me is like, protect him by not having him be in a storyline right now.
Yep.
But that being said, I absolutely loved the storyline he's in.
the way that it played
Call
out.
me a hypocrite. Yeah.
You know, it's actually funny that you mentioned that because during this segment was one of the first times in quite a long time that I forgot about COVID-19 happening.
Yeah,
Like
wow.
it didn't even register to me. I was just happy that Flair was there and he looked fucking like he was on fire. It was one of his best promos in years. It was
Yeah.
great.
But what did we
Show
say
those
last
kids
time he
what's
got a
up.
big promo?
Yeah,
Like
same.
what was it,
yeah.
a month ago? Same.
True. He's on his game again, bastard. He's gonna come back and bump around at Mania.
One more time, me and Randy Orton.
No, he's
last
really gonna
ride.
die in the ring.
Yeah, no, he's the one person that I think might do that, but like, not from this horrible Randy the Ram aspect, but from this like love of the Randy the Ram aspect. But yeah, his promo this week was everyone's. A lot of people have said might be the best promo he's had in a decade. But I remember clearly a month or two ago when someone said the same. When a lot of people were saying the same thing, best Ric Flair promo in a decade. Well, you can't have a back to back best in a decade. Like, I mean, come on, you said best since the last one. Like,
And obviously, I think we all have our nostalgia glasses on. We just love seeing Ric Flair on TV cutting good promos. But I mean, it was legit. It was excellent. It was emotional. It was logical. It told a good story. It was all
natural.
there. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it just flowed. It wasn't written.
Orton over.
It was so good. Producer fell asleep before it had happened, and when she woke up, she was like, "What I missed?" And I was like, "We're putting it on tomorrow before the show."
Yeah,
Before the show, I put it on. Yeah, and it was just like, you got to see it. And I was like, she, I was like, come on, tell me, because she, she pressures me and she wants to hear stuff and she bullies me and stuff. And so, what? And
I bully you.
I told her, I was like, there's a promo, Ric Flair, or Orton cut a promo on Flair, and then Flair said a bunch of things, and then Orton kind of kicked Ric Flair's head off. And I think you got to watch it. And she was like, yep, I'm going to watch that. We put it on today.
It's so good that we haven't even mentioned Kevin Owens' name at all yet.
I know. Like the match itself was fantastic too.
It was great. Oh yeah, no, KO is one of my favorite wrestlers right now.
Yeah.
And like, so watching him like really selling all these things for Randy Orton, and then I was like, oh, this is so great. This should have been a pay-per-view match too. Like I thought that like a lot throughout this Raw. Mm-hmm. And then to have it like, oh no, it's being won up by this like really great promo from a legend. And to bring up his dead son and shit. Oh
yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that.
Yeah, Randy said some
Flair?
savage shit.
Yeah, Randy said some shit. Like the Ric Flair I know wouldn't need a pacemaker in his chest. I was like, fuck you, dude. What?
He said something about being the son he never had. Isn't that what he said?
Yeah, the son you wish you had.
Yeah.
Like, how fucking brutal is that from a dude who lost his son to the business? And you want to talk about MJF, you dick? No, I'm just playing.
Yeah, exactly.
But then when Ric Flair was like, he goes, I'm not that Flair. He's like, no, of course I'm not. And he's like, no. He goes, you have to get this close to death to be not that anymore. And he's like, all I am right now, he goes, I'm Charlotte's dad. I'm the guy who's just trying to stay close to Randy Orton because you're so good. I was all like, fuck.
How about that?
It was
good old Ric Flair cut a better promo than his daughter ever has.
Yeah.
He's like,
He's
hey,
always joked about
they've
that.
only given me the couple mics a couple times a year, and I every time just do loop-de-loops around what my daughter can do. Yeah, no, I've heard him talk about that. How he can talk better than her, but she can wrestle better than him.
Yeah, he's always like, oh, she do circles around me in the ring. He goes, but give me that mic. And
yeah.
You're like, all right, well. But every time you do, it's like you can't argue with it. And yeah, I couldn't believe the stuff that the Orton said.
Even when Hogan comes back, like his promos nowadays are still like very 80s, very 80s people. Like like oh, happy birthday, Hulk Hogan. By the way, today's his birthday.
Oh yeah, happy birthday, Hulk Hogan. Cheers.
Yeah, don't cheers. Cheers, that guy.
Poop in my gym, brother. I'll always remember that tweet.
But it's but exactly, it's like even like when you bring his era people, like they don't cut promos that cut deep like Flair does now.
Because those era cut promos of nostalgia, of remember my time. But Flair's promo was, I know who I am. And I know where I am. And I know who I used to be. And I understand that that's a dynamic process.
Yeah.
Like, his level of understanding of who he is what makes him infinitely better than Hogan, in that Hogan's presentation is Hulkamania never dies.
Yeah.
Hulkamania is immortal. I'm always the same. And Flair's like, I'm not always the same, man.
Oh yeah, no, he's definitely very mortal.
Yeah. It was I was surprised. I was surprised for sure. And then the way that they did it artistically to the low blow and Randy Orton helping him down so he never actually even took a bump. Although I liked he was selling like he got shot in the gut. Loved it. Just go. He's like holding his stomach. And then for the lights to be flickering the way that they flicker because that's what Retribution's been doing.
Do you think Retribution was created just for this?
Nope.
Punt moment?
Nope.
I think they took advantage of it for sure. I think they built around it. I think they knew that's how they could get there. Or I think before they're thinking, how do we get there?
I mean,
And
I think
as
it
soon
was
as
definitely
retribution happens.
I think it was definitely the best way that they could have done it to have, because I don't want to watch Ric Flair take a kick in the face.
Nobody
So
does.
I'm glad they did that, but I just thought it was interesting that this has all been going on. They did a good job of setting it up though, because they've had the lights been doing that shit all night, so it worked out. I just thought it was
As
funny.
soon as he got to the corner and it flickered once, I went, "Oh shit!" You
Yeah.
got me.
you sons of bitches, you got me.
Yeah. And then as soon as the lights went out, and then you just heard it, and I was like, "Fucking so sweet." It's like, I believed it. I believed all of it. I was like, I felt like I saw it. Like I saw it in my head. I was sure of it. And the more, like today when I was putting it on, I was like, "Oh, she's gonna see him get kicked in the head." And as I was watching, I was all like, "Oh wait, he never got kicked in the head." Like you know what I mean? Like I saw
That
it.
was pretty brilliant.
They did
Yeah.
it so good that I saw it and I never saw it.
Like a Tarantino movie.
Yeah. Yeah, you remember the gruesomeness that never happened. It's crazy.
It's almost more gruesome because you fill in the blanks in your mind.
Yeah. You know it's going to be a good match though eventually.
That's
Randy Orton versus Pat McAfee.
Oh, let's go.
slightly off topic.
footy match.
But the
Kicks only match.
Yeah, let's just have
Yeah,
them hunt each
kicks
other in
only.
the shins.
Slightly
Producer's
off.
got something real quick here.
Slightly off topic. That kind of reminds me of like the video games that we play. Like,
Yeah.
there's this one game that is like really gruesome, but it's like you don't actually see the like horror that is the game. Like it's kind of exactly what you said. Like if you can fill it in your mind and just imagine how bad it is, it's almost like just worse. Which is great in this case because I don't actually want to see him get a 71-year-old get pummeled.
Yeah, but I do actually want to see Adam Cole get kicked in the head as hard as possible.
Yeah,
So
that I can see. But
That
Is
I
Ric Flair
want.
actually only 71?
only that's kind
I
of
mean, in 70,
He looks-
in Ric Flair years.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
130, I think, in Ric Flair years. 71. It just
That
feels
dude's
like he
lived
should be
2
older.
Hogan lifetimes.
Yeah. Ugh.
Well, the whole time Hogan was running wild, Rick was laughing in his face. Oh, you thought that was wild?
I think he's still younger
Yeah, it
than the
was good.
president.
Yeah, they're all still younger than the president. I'd vote for Ric Flair for president. Was there anything else about that segment you guys wanted to touch on?
No, I think we did it.
No, yeah, I think we pretty much covered everything that I wanted to talk about. It was awesome.
Wrestling's
I
good.
thought it was going to be a shorter week. I thought I was going to end up, throwing dirt on AEW. I think more than I did. I did feel personally that AEW the week prior was much better than this week. I felt
Yeah,
like
I agree with that
NXT
too.
was much better this week than it was the previous week. So for me, I feel like it's a coin toss. What the fuck was that? I feel like it's a
coin toss?
Coin.
A coin
A
toss?
coin? It was a coin toss.
It's a toin quash.
We're at the
It's a
3.5
toy
hour
toss.
mark.
Yeah. This is wrestling.
Oh,
on the
so
rocks,
so
man.
the toin quash.
It's episode 1. What do you expect?
Hey, it's first time.
First time. I think it's a coin toss every week, every Wednesday. Who's going to do the best job? I think that's what makes it fun. Is you watch both of them and you think who actually did a better job. Numbers aside, and demo shit aside, because none of that
I
shit means
couldn't
anything.
give one
I
single
don't know
fuck
anything
about
about
ratings.
numbers. Yeah.
Yeah. I am interested in the regard of I wonder about a little bit, just because I like to see trends, and because I think I always like to know if last week's episode dictates this week's ratings, right? You were good last week. Does that mean this one's going to have a bump? And I get curious about stuff like that. Like this week I thought was so good in NXT. I wonder if tomorrow night, or if you're listening on podcast or wrestling.com, that if you'll see a bump this week, if more people are interested. Like I wonder about stuff like that, but I don't take it for anything less than just a face value quick number check. Where are they at?
Like
Oh,
on a
cool.
macro level, it's really interesting. But going week to week and comparing, like who fucking cares?
Yeah, I don't give a shit. There's been times where I was watching it and then I saw it and I was all like, oh, wow. Like 2 weeks ago, I think AEW had 900,000 and AEW had like 680. And I was like, oh, wow. I thought NXT did a much better job that week. It's surprising to me that AEW did so much better in the ratings. And then the next week, I was like, oh, NXT didn't do as well, I didn't think. And then you saw that they got like 100,000 more. And you're like, oh, wow. People are watching, you know what I mean? Like, but I don't take it any bit past that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think of it as, oh, this guy won or this one didn't. It's just,
Yeah, we're not
I'm
the
interested.
advertisers.
And to be honest, when I think of the Monday Night Wars and ratings always comes up in there and the quarter hour and all that, none of that shit was interesting until 2010.
Yeah.
That's when it became interesting.
Well, because we
Living in
had
the
a long
moment?
enough moment of it to know the narrative. We don't know the narrative of this yet.
No. Ratings is interesting in hindsight, not in the moment.
Yeah.
So fucking if you're living and dying by the ratings, you're not watching wrestling and you need to watch different. You got to watch it and just see what you like and what you don't.
Hey, if you love
Ratings-
ratings, watch Modern Family.
Yeah, they get a shitload of ratings. You know,
The only reason I
who-
care about ratings is to see that more people hopefully are watching wrestling every week.
Yeah.
That's all I want to see. I want to see everybody's numbers go up, baby.
I like to see the fluctuation because it seems to be about 150,000 seem to flip back and forth between the channels, and I always wonder what episode they watched. That's kind of
It's
how I
never-
feel. Like, what they see?
It's never occurred to me to even look at the numbers.
No. When I see a tweet come through, and I always look at it, and for a second I go, "Oh, okay, that's cool," and that's it. I don't 100% over it after that. So I don't understand their whole deal. I feel like I had a thing I was going to read, and I'm looking through, and I don't see anything, so I must be wrong on that.
Well, who are you choosing? You're definitely choosing WWE this week, I think. From everything
This
we
week, I
talked
think
about.
Raw was the best show. I think Raw
Yeah.
was the best show, and I think that surprised me. Oh, that's what it was. Is Raw did like 1.7 in the ratings, and
Oh, good.
NBA's best rating was like 1.5. I thought that was incredibly interesting. That Raw actually did better than all of the NBA games. One of them got like 400 and something, and I was
That
like,
is
wow, one of
interesting.
those games did worse than NXT and AEW, and all that. Like,
Yeah.
I from a surface level, it's like that's neat, but it doesn't mean it was a bad game. It doesn't mean you can't go buy a hat or a jersey from the game of those guys. It doesn't mean you can't have your favorites and like what you like. And I think that
No, it
watch
means
it.
if you're gonna buy a jersey, you should only buy LeBron's.
Ew.
I mean, this guy LeBron's pretty good. I've heard he's going to be a big star.
Mm-hmm.
I heard he's onto something.
Yeah, he did it.
But I think that's really it for the shows themselves. I liked it. Like I said, overall, I picked Raw. It sounded like both of you guys also said Raw was the best show of the week,
Yeah.
right?
Raw was the best show of the week for me.
Yeah, I think for me, overall, I enjoyed a whole shitload of stuff on Raw. So yeah, I would probably pick that as my favorite overall this week too.
Chop, were you shocked at how much you enjoyed Raw? 'Cause I know before it even started, you said you weren't sure you were going to watch it.
Yeah, actually, I really was. I had watched the Raw Underground stuff from last week, and I was intrigued. That was probably the main reason why I tuned in this week, actually. So from
Yeah.
like a casual fan perspective, maybe that will actually bring some people in. Yeah, I was into it, man. It was good. Between that and NXT, I actually overall enjoyed WWE product for the first time in a long time.
Mm.
Which I think is
SmackDown
really
was
cool.
pretty horrid, but
So you gonna buy a T-shirt for it or something?
no.
Okay,
no.
all right.
Do you want me to get you a Raw Underground shirt, man? I'll get you a Raw Underground
Oh,
shirt.
Yeah, I'll
I
take
should
one of
tell you
those.
that T-shirts are
Yeah, see?
20% off if you buy 4 on WWEshop.com right now.
That's true. We can get 4 Raw Underground T-shirts. Get them out. I don't think
Different
Chop
colors.
even has a Wrestling on the Rock shirt. To be honest with you,
I
Do either
don't.
of you guys have?
I'm a fake wrestling fan because I only own 2 wrestling shirts.
You don't,
You don't-
own any wrestling shirts?
I only own 2.
Which
Oh,
two?
which two? What are the two?
Wow.
Cody Rhodes and Kenny Omega.
Okay, but which ones?
Ugh.
I know,
What's that?
Prost. Which ones?
The Cody Make Him Say 90s rap album cover, and the Kenny Omega Gundam One Winged Angel
Mhm.
cover.
Sure.
Wow.
So you just like the
Lord.
90s. It's all 90s.
I like what I like, baby.
Just
I think I own more wrestling shirts,
than
and I don't
you.
even consider myself a wrestling T-shirt guy.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I
have
just
more
never
wrestling
really
shirts.
bought shirts. I was never really that guy.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right,
almost
send
all
me
my
your
shirts are
address.
black T-shirts.
What size are you, Chop?
Huh?
What size are you?
Large.
I was hoping you'd say that. Send me your address.
Okay.
I don't fit in any of my larges anymore. We'll stack you up right now.
Oh shit.
Because I'm getting big, man. I'm getting big for my britches around the
Yeah,
gut
well, you know, when the
area.
show gets big, you get big too. It's the
Another month of
That's how it
quarantine.
works.
I might not be at a large anymore either.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you can't have those ones. I'm starting to fit in the XLs again.
I'm
so
doing
you
so
can't
many
have those ones.
push-ups. I think I'm gonna start wearing larges now.
Yeah, just start. Well, then you won't look like a little buff guy anymore. You're just gonna look like a kid in a baggy shirt.
I'll take it.
They're dropping people because they know we're wrapping it up, and that's totally fine. At the end of the day, I do want to say that it's really cool to me that Dork Chop, AEW, and Shill really enjoyed some WWE products today because he gave it a chance. He gave it a shot to enjoy it for what it was. My brother, a Raw and SmackDown only guy,
That's right.
through and through, really enjoyed AEW this week because he decided
did.
just because I asked them both, could you just watch for a week and let's see what it's like? I watch all of it all the time because I'm insane and I can't stop myself.
Yeah, that's
But I
too
asked
much.
these guys, I asked both of them, hey, for a week, can you watch all of the shows and just see what you think? And they go, oh my God.
It's a
I
lot
don't
to
think I
watch
can do
every week. I think that's one of the reasons why I pick and choose. And I was like, hey, AEW is a new company. I'm going to get in with a new company because that's kind of exciting.
I
you
pick
know?
and
So
choose
I want
'cause
to
I
get on the
can.
ground floor.
You
Yeah.
know,
100%.
I like rejecting a show.
And that makes total sense. But here we are, and you guys have watched your shows, and I mean, it's hard to say Raw wasn't the best because of all the things, but Aaron really enjoyed AEW much more than he anticipated. It could have been a battle for him on if he picked AEW versus Raw. If it was a bad Raw, he might have picked AEW this week.
Oh,
And it
I've
just
watched
says
Bad
something.
Raws.
Yeah. We've seen Raws that were not as good as what we saw today.
Oh, for
And
sure.
that's all I'm saying, is that it's all out there. It's all available. There's no reason to pick a side before you've even seen the product. And I think that it's just cool to have these conversations of what did you like and why, what didn't you like and how could it be better. I think that's the whole thing. I think it's really cool that everyone here really enjoyed stuff they didn't expect to. To me, that's the best part of all of it. No one was all like, knew it, you know.
Oh,
You know
for
what I
sure.
really like? Professional
Friendship?
wrestling.
Oh,
Oh.
I just like wrestling, man. I'll watch it any shape or form. Just give it to me.
Yeah. Do you think that there's a possibility that you might watch Raw next week, even if you don't watch SmackDown?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I always at least at the very least try and keep up. So I will watch highlights. I will troll the subreddit and Twitter for clips, that kind of thing. But to actually sit down and watch 3 hours of Raw is hard. I will say that forever. It's hard to watch 3 hours of AEW. So watching 3 hours of TV a week or one specific show a week is a lot to ask of anybody.
It is. I'm glad that this is the week you chose to do it because it was a great week to not want to miss a bit.
Yeah, same.
don't always
I'm glad I did too.
Yeah, they don't always get it right, but I feel like this week everybody was on it. Everyone was getting it right. Even though I gave AEW a lot of flack, feeling like they missed a lot of missed opportunities in there. It wasn't without a lack of putting out their best foot. I just always hope for that one little level up in everything I watch. I'm like, go, but so I'm glad that you guys watched all of it and that you guys had something to say. Sorry it ran a little long, but I think it's because there was so much good stuff to talk about.
we started late too, though.
Yeah.
We did.
We had like 45 minutes technical difficulties at the top.
Yeah, there was a lot of technical difficulties, but it was the first show, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah, first show.
I have it all ironed out by next week.
We'll have by episode 2, you'll never even notice it happen.
Yeah.
So, thank you guys for coming through. Aaron, go ahead and plug all your stuff one more time.
Aaron M. Marsh on all social medias, so Instagrams, Twitters, Venmos. My podcast is called Putting Up with Aaron Michael Marsh. I troll my friends.
It's a really fun show. It has a lot to do with Aaron trying to explore himself through his friendships. So it's pretty insightful in that regard of a friendly.
Yeah, I hope it
psychology
helps
session.
people do that for their own lives.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I feel like the best look inside is from the outside. Like I said from before, the best way to take a real
That's
good
how
look
I eat
in
my
is by
food,
stepping
man.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah, you eat with your eyes before you eat with your mouth. Chop, go ahead and plug your Twitch.
Twitch.tv/dork_chop. I play video games badly most days. You can come see me there. I also do freelance video work, most of which you can see on my Instagram, which is Mr. Texas Media.
Well, that's a shock to us all right now, I'm going to be honest with you. But that Instagram. We've been asking you for quite some time about your
Literally my only other social media platform.
We could have been plugging it all along.
That's fine.
On banners.
I don't plug it much
What's
myself.
your Twitter?
He doesn't do Twitter, man. He's got all it does is it auto populates from his Twitch.
Yeah, that's basically all I use Twitter for.
Well, it's the first time. It's episode 1. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, I'll get my Twitter game up by next time I'm on the show.
Thanks.
Or we'll have your Instagram ready by episode 2. So we can plug it on the bottom. Thank you guys so much for coming through and doing the show with me. Kevlar and Clump could not make it for their own personal reasons. They're not watching either, so fuck them both. Thank you guys so much. You can find us at wrestlingontherocks.com, where you can find all of our links, our shops. You can get your Pointless Aggression t-shirts. I've been a little chill the last couple weeks, but trust me, there's a lot of Pointless Aggression to go around online. So go ahead and pick up those shirts. Check us out next week. Guys, that's last call. Cheers.